Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 2 PSP. Chapter 41. The Island of Beasts. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Roar. Suddenly, when Marine's fleet approached the island, it seemed that they felt the invasion of outsiders, and a loud roar suddenly came from the depths of the island's forest. The terrifying roar spread throughout the entire island, the sound waves radiated like shock waves, and countless leaves were blown up into the sky, causing many birds circling in the sky to panic and flee. The sudden roar startled the recruits on one after another of the warships, and many people showed fear and dignity when they looked at the wild island ahead. Is it an island where countless beasts live, but the degree of danger should not be comparable to that of Ruskana? Luo Wei stared at the island in front of him. Ruskana is the beast island near Nine Snake Island where Luffy has practiced for 2 years. The beasts living on it are as strong as monsters. The situation of the island in front of him is obviously similar to that of Ruskana, but the strength of the beast must be inferior, otherwise, it would be that the marine executives are sending the recruits to their deaths. After arriving at the destination, the 4 warships did not land at the same place, but out of the number 1 warship, the other 3 warships dispersed and headed for the other 3 directions of the island. Such an arrangement is naturally due to the fact that recruits' way of landing on the island is somewhat special. It is not that everyone rushes to enter the island, but enters in batches one by one after drawing lots, and lands in 4 directions, which ensures that conflicts will not break out between recruits at the beginning. The number 3 warship that Luo Wei was on board landed on the northern coast of the island. This is a rescue device. When you encounter an unstoppable danger, you can press the button inside, and rescuers will rush to the rescue as soon as possible. Advertisement. Although when the rescue device is activated, it also means that you will be eliminated with 0 points, but this is just a competition. I hope you will not die in vain for a temporary victory. Quote. After drawing lots to determine the order of entering the island, the commander also spoke again, asking for each recruit to be equipped with a rescue device like a watch. It can also be seen from this that although this recruiting competition is very cruel and strict, the senior management of Marine is not really letting it go, and the real purpose is only to have a better training effect. After Luo Wei put the distributed rescue device on his left wrist, he waited calmly. The order he drew was ranked farther than 100, and at the speed of a group of 10 people landing on the island in 3 minutes, he would have to wait at least half an hour to get on the island. At the same time, before landing on the island, each recruit will be inspected by the soldiers on the warship. Except for weapons and rescue equipment, it is forbidden to bring other items such as food. More than half an hour later, Luo Wei stepped off the warship with 9 other people from the same group. After practicing kendo, Luo Wei chose a long knife as his weapon, which he simply wore on his waist. When they landed on the coast, the 10 people glanced at each other vigilantly, and then, just like the people who landed before, they each chose a direction and rushed into the island quickly. Galloping at the speed of a cheetah, Luo Wei disappeared into the nearby forest in the blink of an eye. About there. After running for more than 10 minutes, after making sure that he was not being followed, Luo Wei slowed down and changed from galloping to walking. This competition will last for 10 days. Before hunting the prisoners on the island, we must first ensure the most basic necessities of life. Advertisement. While maintaining vigilance to his surroundings, Luo Wei was also thinking about it. Food and water are essential for survival. In terms of food, the island is full of ferocious beasts, and there is obviously no shortage, so the first thing to look for is clean water. The knowledge subjects taught in the elite training camp naturally include wild survival skills. Through the subtle observation of plants, it is not too difficult for Luo Wei to find water sources. After a while, Luo Wei made a discovery after careful observation, and then he decided on the direction and prepared to move forward. Boom. An unexpected situation suddenly appeared, and there was a loud noise in the grass on one side, followed by a strange figure ejected from it. The figure was about the size of a human head, and it popped up extremely fast, appearing in front of Luo Wei almost instantly, and opened its mouth to bite Luo Wei's head viciously. Swish. The phantom's attack was very sudden, but it didn't cause Luo Wei to panic. He moved to the side in an instant, causing the phantom to crash directly into the thick tree farther away. Kacha. A tree trunk that was thick enough to be embraced by a person was bitten by the ghost, and then saw sawdust scattered around, showing a terrifying gap that was close to 1/3 of the diameter of the trunk. The ghost fell to the ground very nimbly, and at the same time, Luo Wei, who was watching coldly, could see the real appearance of the other person clearly. Although the field of mind can perceive the shape of the target, it can't present the specific appearance of the target, so Luo Wei is also very surprised when he sees the appearance of the strange shadow. Advertisement. What is this? An unknown new breed of rabbit. Luo Wei frowned. The ghost is gray all over, with a pair of long ears. If you don't look at its sharp teeth, it looks almost the same as a rabbit. Let's call it the rabbit for the time being. Obviously it will not stop attacking because of Luo Wei's astonishment. It is not at all as docile as a normal rabbit should be, but is extremely ferocious and aggressive. Boom. Just like the previous attack, this strange-looking rabbit once again burst out with incredible power. Amidst the sound of bombardment, the ground was kicked by the strange rabbit's hind legs and collapsed, and then it bounced up like a cannonball, and its long teeth and mouth went straight to bite Luo Wei again. The gap in the tree trunk on the side is used as a reference, which is enough to prove how sharp the teeth of this weird rabbit are, and how terrible the bite force is. Zheng. His eyes instantly became extremely sharp. Although he was a little surprised by the strangeness of the other party, Luo Wei would naturally not be polite when facing the attack again. The bright light of the saber flickered in front of him for an instant, and Luo Wei suddenly drew the saber and slashed fiercely. Unsurprisingly, the strange rabbit that was ejected was slashed by the light of the knife, and then, under the spray of blood, its body split into two halves, and landed on both sides of Luo Wei. Chapter 42. Water and Wolves. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Luo Wei frowned slightly after beheading the weird rabbit with a single blow. Not only does it look weird, but its body is also surprisingly tough. The creatures on this island seem to be more dangerous than imagined. Although his swordsmanship is still at the entry stage, but combined with his physical strength approaching 600 points, the power of slashing can be said to be able to easily cut even hard rocks. And just now, although he chopped off the strange rabbit's body with a single knife, the obstruction from the blade was much greater than expected, which is enough to prove that the strange rabbit's body is extremely tough. At the same time, the moment the blade touched the opponent's head, Luo Wei also felt a strong impact force, at least reaching hundreds of kilograms. According to the normal food chain, creatures like rabbits are undoubtedly at the bottom of the food chain. Although they haven't come into contact with other creatures on the island yet, it is enough to make Luo Wei more vigilant. Although it looks a little weird, it doesn't look like a poisonous creature. It's not bad. The first food is settled. After a quick analysis in his mind, Luo Wei put the blade back into the scabbard first, and then picked up the halves of the rabbit carcass. He smiled lightly, did not stay, and continued to search for water sources based on the discovery just now. Although this island is nameless, it does fit the title of the Island of Beasts. Even if it is only a weak animal at the bottom of the food chain, it has the terrifying power to fight the beasts from the outside world. Advertisement. Also, for unknown reasons, the creatures living here are very aggressive. After the weird rabbit, Luo Wei was also attacked many times in the next process of searching for water sources. There is a poisonous centipede the size of an arm, a bamboo rat as hard as a rock, and what's more, Luo Wei also encountered a hedgehog that can shoot spikes like sharp arrows. Although his current strength has reached the superhuman level, if he does not have the perception of the field of thought, it is really uncertain whether he can survive the attack of this series of strange creatures safely. Found it. After a lot of effort, Luo Wei came to the edge of a stream that didn't know where it was going. His eyes lit up, and he checked the stream to make sure it was safe. As a result, he didn't let him go all the way to waste. The water quality of the stream is very clean, which also means that Luo Wei's water source problem has been solved in the next 10 days. But the area around the water source is also a high-risk area. Standing up after checking the stream, Luo Wei pulled out the long knife at his waist without changing his expression, and stared coldly at the black wolves that sprang out of the surrounding dense forest just for a while. Saliva flowed on the ground between the crisscrossed teeth, and around Luo Wei, dozens of black wolves as strong as tigers quickly gathered. The cruel and cold beast eyes locked on Luo Wei's body, and the stomachs of these dozen or so black wolves kept making the sound of hunger. One of the one-eyed black wolves, suspected to be the head wolf, looked up to the sky and let out a penetrating wolf howl, followed by the other black wolves, which became extremely ferocious and quickly launched a fierce attack on Luo Wei. Advertisement. Stamping on the wolf's feet, behind Luo Wei's blind spot, the three black wolves burst out with astonishing speed and strength. They approached in the blink of an eye, and opened their sharp-toothed wolf mouths to bite out fiercely. Under the field of mind, even the attack from behind could not escape Luo Wei's perception. He rushed to the side at the first moment, causing the wolf attacking him to bite in the empty space. But before Luo Wei could catch his breath, a few more black wolves pounced on him, clawing out sharply like daggers. Paper arts. Luo Wei's expression remained unchanged. Instead of continuing to retreat, he stopped suddenly, and his body swayed like catkins with the swirling airflow. Luo Wei nimbly dodged all the black wolves that came at him. When he encountered the last black wolf, he suddenly turned from defense to offense, and slashed the opponent's neck with his knife. Blood spurted out, and the black wolf's neck was sliced in half by the blade, causing it to fall to the ground beside it while howling. As soon as the blow was successful, Luo Wei did not feel happy, but his eyes narrowed slightly. The bodies of these black wolves were as tough as the creatures he had encountered before. In the slash just now, he was going to cut off the opponent's head directly, but because the opponent's body was too tough, he only cut off a third of it. The howling of wolves full of anger echoed in the woods, and their comrades appeared and sacrificed, which undoubtedly angered the remaining black wolves. They became more bloodthirsty and ferocious one by one, and rushed towards Luo Wei frantically. Both legs bent and then bounced up immediately. Under the attack of the pack of wolves, Luo Wei leapt decisively into the sky, and under the powerful explosive force, he easily reached a height of 6 or 7 meters. However, the black wolves were not weak either. The two black wolves kicked off the ground immediately after, and quickly lifted into the air with super strong jumping power, and opened their mouths to bite Luo Wei in midair. Tempest kick. Advertisement. Sweeping with both legs, two blazing slashing waves flew down immediately, slashing straight at the two black wolves that leapt up, not only knocking them back to the ground, but also tearing huge bone-deep bones from their bodies. Gaps. The body turned upside down in midair, Luo Wei's eyes sharply locked on the one-eyed black wolf among the wolves. Capture the thief first and capture the king, and the same is true for wolves. Exploding air. Luo Wei cast Moonwalk, with the help of the reaction force generated by the collision with the air, the whole person dived down like an arrow. With the speed of the fall and the leverage of Moonwalk, he appeared above the one-eyed black wolf almost in the blink of an eye, and then slashed violently without hesitation. Sheila. The solid ground was deeply scarred by the bright light of the knife, but the one-eyed black wolf who was the target flew to the side at a swift speed, dodging the blow. The reaction is so fast. Surprised in his heart, Luo Wei quickly made a somersault and landed smoothly. At the same time, under the perception of the field of thoughts, he paused and moved towards the back. The ghostly black shadow flew by, and the one-eyed black wolf who was fighting back was also avoided by Luo Wei from the opponent's sharp claws. The wolf that failed to attack rushed 7 or 8 meters under inertia before stopping, and then turned around ferociously to look at Luo Wei. The cold eyes of the beast glowed cruelly. It turned into a black shadow and rushed out again. Not only that, the other black wolves also rushed towards Luo Wei from several other directions, as if they wanted to cooperate with their leader to tear Luo Wei into pieces. Chapter 43 The Long Lost Harvest. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Interesting. A smile suddenly appeared on Luo Wei's face. With the insight of the field of thought, he moved sideways a few times and abruptly dodged all the attacks from the attacking pack of wolves. Finger pistol. The empty left hand presented a finger pistol attack, one finger pierced the neck of a black wolf, piercing the opponent's main artery. At the same time, his right hand also swung the knife to draw a gloomy light, precisely and sharply slashing the throat of another black wolf. With the finger pistol in his left hand and the blade in his right, Luo Wei wandered among the fangs and claws like a leisurely stroll, while constantly harvesting the lives of black wolves. This group of black wolves may be enough to rival a human army in the outside world, but to Luo Wei, it is just a very ordinary battle training. After passing through the initial temptation, these black wolves were very vulnerable when facing Luo Wei. When the real fighting broke out, it took less than 5 minutes, and the dozen or so black wolves were all reduced to corpses. Even the strongest one-eyed black wolf among them was pierced through the heart by Luo Wei's blow to finger pistol, and died tragically at his feet. Advertisement. Phew, today's food is settled. Although there is no seasoning, we can only roast it with fire, but the taste of wolf meat should not be too bad. After the battle, Luo Wei wiped off the sweat that didn't exist on his forehead, put the blade back into the scabbard with a chuckle, and gathered all the wolf corpses together. Although it wasn't very long after entering the island, it had been a while since the last time he ate. Luo Wei, who felt a little hungry, prepared Mr. Huo to fill his stomach. As for whether starting a fire would bring danger, such as attracting nearby beasts or prisoners who were released on the island in advance, Luo Wei didn't care at all. Leaving aside the ferocious beasts, if a prisoner was attracted, he would be happy to do so, which would save him the time of searching. After a while, a pile of flames was born beside the stream. After a simple cleaning, the wolf corpse with its head cut off was roasted on wooden sticks by the campfire like a roast pig. Although Luo Wei didn't have very good cooking skills, with the high-quality ingredients, he soon had bursts of meaty aroma. Sitting on the rock next to him and waiting for the food to be finished, Luo Wei also shot from time to time to deal with the creatures that were attracted by the smell of meat. So far, no very strong creatures have been attracted here, and all the creatures that appeared were those at the top of the food chain, not to mention posing a threat to Luo Wei, not even trouble. After turning it over a few times, the roasted wolf meat gradually matured, and the smell of the meat became stronger and stronger. At this time, Luo Wei, who was sitting bored and waiting, suddenly frowned. This shape is unmistakable. It is definitely human, and there are 5 of them. If there are recruits who have the audacity to cooperate in violation of the regulations, then there are only those prisoners. Even if the field of thought was not expanded to the limit in order to reduce the consumption of physical strength, it still radiated a full radius of 100 meters. But now, Luo Wei sensed that 5 humanoid creatures had entered his field of thought, and they were approaching quickly. Advertisement. Come on, the smell is coming from this direction, I'm sure it's definitely the smell of barbecue. Damn it, those bloody places that Marine didn't know how to find, are full of horrible beasts. Lousy is starving to death now. Stop talking nonsense, you're not the only one who's hungry, my wife is also hungry and her chest is almost flattened, no one can stop me from filling my stomach this time. Before the person appeared, the shouting voice came over ahead of time. But after a while, 5 figures armed with various weapons and wearing eye-catching prison uniforms of the deep-sea prison ran out of the dense forest beside the stream at a sprinting speed. These 5 people were 4 men and 1 woman. After rushing out, they were all attracted by the roasted and fragrant wolf meat, and each of them showed greedy and excited expressions. It's meat. It's really meat. That's great. Lousy wants meat. Among the 5 people, a man with a beard and a very burly physique was drooling. With excitement on his face, he rushed directly to the wolf meat recklessly. In contrast, the other 4 seemed much calmer. Although they were also salivating at the fragrant wolf meat, when they saw Luo Wei standing next to the campfire, the 4 of them all endured it. Facts have also proved that their patience is the right choice. Luo Wei had already pulled out the long knife hidden in the scabbard the moment the 5 prisoners appeared, and held it by his side. At this time, when he looked at the burly man who turned a blind eye to him and rushed towards the wolf meat, a cold light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Shave. Advertisement. Disappearing in place abruptly, his figure flitted out at a speed beyond what could be seen with the naked eye. In just a split second, when Luo Wei reappeared, he was already in front of the burly man. The cold and bright knife light bloomed in an instant, and Luo Wei slashed at the opponent mercilessly as if he was about to tear the sky apart. The prison uniforms worn by these 5 people were enough to prove their identities, so he would naturally not be polite to them. The sharp edge of the knife light woke up the burly man who was dazzled by the food. The knife light caught his eyes and made his pupils shrink into needles, and he hurriedly backed away in horror. Woo! The terrifying knife light flickered and disappeared, and the burly man who took a few steps back froze in place, his eyes widened, and his empty left hand covered his throat. But even so, the bright red blood quickly flowed out from between his fingers, staining his entire palm and even his chest in blood red. After all, the burly man was a step slower in reacting. Although he avoided beheading, his throat was still slit open by the sharp knife light. The blood drained quickly, and the burly man seemed to have been drained of strength. First, the big axe held in his right hand slipped, then he knelt on the ground weakly, and finally he fell limply on the ground. Crime value +98. Information that hadn't been reminded for a long time flashed in his mind. Luo Wei's eyes flickered slightly, and with a wave of the blade, the blood stained on the tip of the blade fell to the ground aside. Then, with a strange look in his eyes, he glanced at the other 4 prisoners. Chapter 44 Gentle Smile. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sure enough, it's an excellent prey. I think this recruit competition is really about to have a bumper harvest. The corners of Luo Wei's mouth rose, revealing a seemingly gentle smile. It's just that his smile obviously didn't make the remaining 4 prisoners feel warm, but instead made them feel a deep chill in their hearts. The death of the burly man freed the other 4 prisoners from the temptation of food, and they all stared at Luo Wei with fear and vigilance in their eyes. Be careful, this person's strength is very dangerous, and he should be one of Marine's recruits. When the prisoners entered the island, they were naturally informed of their role. Among the remaining 4 prisoners, a thin man with short blonde hair stared at Luo Wei vigilantly while lowering his voice to remind the other 3. As if Luo Wei determined their identities based on their prison uniforms, the 4 prisoners also judged through the recruit uniforms on Luo Wei that Luo Wei was not a prisoner like them, but a recruit from Marine. Oh hey, Lousy has been imprisoned in the deep-sea prison for so long, and he wanted to kill a few Marines to vent his anger. Don't be in a hurry to kill. Didn't you see that this is a handsome guy? My wife likes handsome guys the most. Put some of you guys away later. At least let me have a good time before killing him. Tracy, are you stupid staying in the deep-sea prison? Even Marine is interested. If you become an addict, I can sacrifice a bit to play with you. Go away. I'm not interested in such ugly things as you. Advertisement. The other 3 prisoners didn't seem to be nervous at all about the burly man being instantly killed by Luo Wei. Prey like malicious gaze. Of course, this is just a performance, or a psychological tactic the 3 of them imposed on Luo Wei. Using words to stimulate is a very effective tactic, which can destabilize the enemy's emotions and expose flaws that shouldn't be there. It's just that the tactics of these 3 prisoners obviously didn't have any effect on Luo Wei. Marine executives are really harsh on this recruiting competition. They even equip the prisoners with weapons. Is this so that the strength of the prisoners will not be affected? Luo Wei's eyes flickered slightly, and after scanning the weapons in the hands of several people on the opposite side, he had a new understanding of the cruelty of this recruit competition. Just like a swordsman, whether he has a sword in his hand or not, his strength is completely different. The competition had just started, so the weapons in the hands of these prisoners could not have been snatched from other recruits. In other words, it is very likely that the prisoners were equipped with weapons by the Marine executives when they were put on the island. Such an approach naturally greatly increases the danger of prisoners, and also increases the difficulty for recruits to obtain scorecards. Luo Wei didn't wait for the 4 prisoners on the opposite side to attack before launching a counterattack. Instead, while the other side was still talking unscrupulously, he decisively launched the offensive first. Shave. He is now more and more proficient in using Marine 6 styles. He just heard a sound of breaking through the air, and he disappeared in place in an instant. As if crossing the space, Luo Wei appeared in front of one of the four prisoners in the blink of an eye, and then swung his knife at the top of the opponent's head without hesitation. Advertisement. Ding. The violent impact of the sharp blade caused sparks to splash, and even the terrible collision caused the surrounding air to turn into air waves and spread, causing waves of ripples. The prisoner enveloped by Luo Wei's slash was the blonde man. This person has always maintained a high level of vigilance against Luo Wei. When the knife light swept across, he reacted very quickly and raised the long sword in his hand to block. Although the burly man was killed by Luo Wei with one blow, it doesn't mean that the prisoners that Marine put on the island are weak. The reason why the burly man performed so poorly was because he was so dazed by the food that he was caught off guard by Luo Wei. The real situation is that the prisoners on the island are all dangerous criminals with a reward of 5 million to 10 million berry. If any one of them is placed outside, it can be said that they all have the power to destroy a village. The blonde man's ability to keep up with Luo Wei's speed is enough to prove that he has extraordinary strength. Although Luo Wei's swordsmanship is still in the introductory stage, his physical fitness has already approached 600 Dao strength values. This kind of physical fitness can be called a humanoid tyrannosaurus. The blonde man's strength is extraordinary, but compared with Luo Wei, who has steadily stepped into the middle level of superhuman combat strength, there is still a big gap. When the long sword blocked the blade, the blonde man's face immediately changed drastically, and the unrivaled force oppressed him, causing his legs to bend sharply. Boom. The ground under his feet could not bear the huge pressure and collapsed. Oops, his strength is too great to stop. Advertisement. The blade that blocked the blade was also suppressed and retreated, approaching the blonde man's face, which made the blonde man terrified, and his fine hairs exploded. He wanted to dodge, but he was tightly suppressed by the terrifying force from the blade, not to mention dodging. Even if he wanted to move, he couldn't do it. Swish swish swish. Just when the blonde man was almost waiting to die in despair, suddenly, the other three prisoners beside him reacted in time. The three showed a fierce posture in an instant, and slashed at Luo Wei with the weapons in their hands. Even if the prisoners are extremely vicious and ruthless, they will still cooperate with each other when facing the same enemy. Iron body. His eyes flickered slightly. Luo Wei did not dodge, but the muscles of his body suddenly swelled up, making him look stronger all of a sudden. Bang bang bang. The swords of the three prisoners hit Luo Wei's waist, head, and right arm holding the knife respectively, but it was as if they hit the steel, which only caused Luo Wei's clothes to shatter, and did not really hurt him. How can this be? The three prisoners only felt the palms holding the weapons go numb, and when they saw Luo Wei who was unharmed, their eyes widened and expressions of shock appeared on their faces. Chapter 45 Improvement. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At this moment, a scream suddenly sounded. Luo Wei did not choose to dodge, of course it was not without gain. On the other side, the blonde man who was not really rescued finally failed to hold on, and was cut in the head by the backward blade and Luo Wei's blade. Under the powerful slash, the scream stopped abruptly as soon as it started, and the blonde man was split into two, cut in half. The sprayed blood drenched the three prisoners next to them, and it also made them wake up from the shock, and backed away in fright. Crime value plus 125. After all, he was a prisoner with a bounty of more than 5 million berry, and killing the blonde man brought more crime points than the burly man before, directly exceeding 100 crime points. But at this time Luo Wei didn't pay attention to the information that appeared in his mind. After beheading the blonde man, he immediately glanced at the remaining three prisoners with a cold gaze. It was undoubtedly beyond the imagination of the three prisoners to block the sword attack with their bodies, and the tragic death of the blonde man made them fear Luo Wei even more. Escape. This word appeared in the minds of the three prisoners almost at the same time. They had completely forgotten about their hunger, and they did not even have the slightest will to fight. The three of them turned around and ran desperately towards the distance, wanting to escape from this place and the terrifying marine Luo Wei. Advertisement. Boom. During the wild dance of air waves, Luo Wei certainly wouldn't just sit back and watch the three of them flee. He raised his leg and kicked a tempest kick chopping wave towards one of them. The blazing slashing wave burst into the air, hitting the prisoners back at an astonishing speed, and then displayed terrifying tearing power, tearing the prisoner in half right down the middle. The soles of his feet landed, and Luo Wei appeared behind the second prisoner like a fleeting image at the moment when the sound of breaking through the air sounded. The other party obviously also noticed the abnormality behind him, and when he hurriedly stopped, he turned around and slashed wildly, trying to force Luo Wei back. Swinging the knife without changing his expression, he shook off the opponent's slash. Luo Wei approached the opponent with one step, and pierced the opponent's heart with the finger pistol, by raising his hand. The prisoner's body trembled, and a blood hole appeared in his heart, followed by loss of energy in his eyes, and his body fell limply to the ground. Boom. Before the corpse fell to the ground, Luo Wei kicked it out with a sweeping leg, hitting the waist of the corpse with great force, causing it to fly out like a cannonball, and plundered towards the last female prisoner who had already sprinted more than 10 meters away. The female prisoner noticed the movement behind her and quickly twisted her body to avoid the impact of the corpse, but she was also delayed, causing Luo Wei to perform shave and came closer in an instant. No, I surrender. As long as you let me go, I can do everything for you. The female prisoner turned pale with fright when she saw Luo Wei appearing, and knelt down on the ground, crying and begging. Although she is a prisoner, this woman's appearance is not bad, her skin is white and beautiful, and she is very charming, especially her figure. The ugly prison uniform is propped up to present a different beauty. At the same time, the female prisoner was obviously very good at using her body, and while begging, she pulled down her neckline without a trace, exposing a large piece of white snow to the air. Advertisement. The whole scene can be said to be very tempting, but Luo Wei looked as usual and walked in calmly. Zheng. The cold knife flashed, and she was still pretending to beg, but in fact, the seductive female prisoner's head was separated from her body. Before she died, she still had a stunned expression on her face, as if she didn't understand why Luo Wei was willing to kill her. Luo Wei naturally likes women, especially beautiful women, but he is also a person with pursuits. Even without the factor of guilt, he would not be interested in a bus. Calmly wiping the bloodline-stained blade on the prison uniform of the female prisoner, Luo Wei sheathed the blade, turned and returned to the campfire. At this time, the wolf meat was already roasted, but Luo Wei's temptation was not so great. After removing the wolf meat from the fire, he didn't taste it right away, but looked at the golden template first. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. Level 3, 58 800 tenths. Kendo. Getting started, 15 30ths. Open black lens bracket evil value. 538 close black lens bracket. Finally I have gained again. Seeing the amount of crime points, Luo Wei smiled in satisfaction. Advertisement. Before that, his sin value was only the spare 74 points, but now it has reached 538 points, which means that killing the 5 prisoners has gained 464 crime points. Should it be said that they are prisoners who can be imprisoned in the deep-sea prison? The bounty offered does not even exceed 10 million berry, and each of them has a crime value of about 100. Luo Wei sighed inwardly. Back when he was hunting slave traders in the Sabayati archipelago, he generally only had a few crime points, and the highest one did not exceed double digits. But now it has broken through double digits casually, which shows how serious the crimes discovered by these prisoners on the island are. However, this is also a good thing for Luo Wei. With the harvest of the 4 prisoners just now, he may usher in a bumper harvest in this recruit competition. Now that the sin value has been obtained again, it's time to improve the Nianian fruit and sword Dao. Luo Wei pondered for a while before making a decision. In the past 2 years, because Nian Nian Guo has been focusing on other aspects of cultivation, the improvement rate is really very small. Until now, he has even changed from a killer weapon to an ordinary move. There is also the way of the sword. After all, it is too weak at the entry stage. His slashing is not so much using the way of the sword to fight, it is more like relying on strong physical strength. The first thing to add points is the weaker sword Dao. With 15 points of evil points invested, open black lens bracket sword Dao close black lens bracket immediately becomes introduction 30 30ths. The increase in experience points has directly promoted Luo Wei's understanding of the realm of Kendo. Although he is still in the entry stage, it is enough to greatly enhance his slashing edge. But this was not enough. Luo Wei quickly consumed a little more evil points, making sword Dao break through the entry stage and upgrade to level 1 0/90ths. Although it only consumes a little evil value, the change brought about by the upgrade is a qualitative transformation. Chapter 46. The Rescue Team. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After upgrading to the first level of Kendo, Luo Wei's understanding of the realm of Kendo seems to have entered a new level. Not only has a closer connection with the blade in his hand, but also seems to have some indescribable changes in his consciousness. A look of enlightenment appeared on Luo Wei's face. The realm of Kendo is very wonderful. It is not something that can be seen intuitively like swordsmanship, but only one can feel it. At the same time, this power is also derived from consciousness, which seems to make the original illusory consciousness become real, and it also promotes the sharpness of the sharpness after the slash is integrated into the real consciousness. The realm of swordsmanship is indeed very wonderful. I really don't know how much consciousness will be condensed after reaching the level of a great swordsman. Maybe a look can make the enemy lose their fighting spirit as if they were beheaded. Recalling some of Mahawk's Kendo performances in the plot, Luo Wei couldn't help but yearn for it. What he longed for was not eagle eye, but the high-level state of the sword. The more he practiced on the sword, the more he would be able to discover the infinite potential and terrifying power of this power. After sorting out his emotions, Luo Wei paid attention to the golden template again. After the Kendo was promoted to the first level, he did not continue, but added all the remaining evil points to the Nianian fruit. Such a choice is naturally to better improve strength. Advertisement. After all, compared with Nian Nian fruit, which has reached the third level, the Kendo, which is still only at the first level, needs more evil points to upgrade to the point where it can become a powerful force of its own. When the crime value returns to 0, Nian Nian fruit has reached the third level 588 tenths. The increase of 522 experience points directly contributed to the increase of 1,740 kilograms in the strength of the mind. If Luo Wei activates the Nian Nian fruit at this time, the strength of Nian Nian will directly exceed 4,000 kilograms. With such a strong mind power, it can be said that whether it is manipulating matter or directly attacking, it is very terrifying. Facts once again prove that for Luo Wei, gaining evil points is the best way to increase his strength. In such a short period of time, his strength can be said to have increased by 20 to 30%. After filling our stomachs, we will start hunting immediately. Feeling the growing strength, Luo Wei's eyes flashed brightly, and he turned around and began to eat wolf meat, getting ready for the next hunt. Puff. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and in the lush green forest, a figure flew upside down like a cannonball, and even broke a big tree that passed by, causing chaos. The figure fell to the ground in embarrassment, and then hurriedly got up to wipe off the bloodline overflowing from the corner of his mouth. He is wearing the uniform of Marine recruit, which means that he is not a prisoner, but a member of this recruit competition. Advertisement. Why do you still want to resist? If it wasn't limited to the regulations, I could hit your vitals with that punch just now. I haven't honestly handed over all the scorecards yet. The person who knocked the recruit into the air also followed quickly. This person was also Marine's recruit. He looked at him and snorted with disdain and pride. Hateful. The injured recruit was furious in his heart, but the difference in strength made him dare not refute. In this big competition, although recruits are prohibited from fighting, as long as there is no death, it is not illegal to snatch the scorecard. That is to say, if he continues to fight hard, he may really be seriously injured. What's more, even if he tried his best and was seriously injured, he still couldn't keep the scorecard on his body. At that time, he might have to activate the rescue device and end up with the even worse result of being eliminated with 0 points. You win, I will give you my scorecard. After struggling in his heart for a while, the injured recruit finally succumbed, and with an ugly face, he handed over all the scorecards he had finally obtained in the past few days to the opponent. Such a situation is not a special case, but occurs from time to time throughout the entire island. Compared with obtaining scorecards one by one from prisoners, snatching them from other recruits will undoubtedly gain more. Just like now, the defeated recruits have 7 or 8 scorecards, which makes the victorious recruits reap a lot of money. After handing over the scorecards, the 2 recruits left in a hurry. One was eager to find prisoners to regain the scorecards, and the other was to prevent others from picking peaches. Sure enough, it finally developed into this advertisement. When the 2 recruits left, a tall figure walked out of a hidden rock pile nearby, and he thought with admiration. This person has long pink hair and a beautiful face. At the same time, he has an outstanding figure. Not only does he have a slender waist that can be grasped, but he also has a tall bust and a round body. Hina also graduated from the elite training camp, and because of her own excellence, she also participated in the recruit competition, so she sighed at the scene just happened. Of course, understanding is understanding. She does not approve of the behavior of obtaining scorecards by snatching other recruits, but is more inclined to snatch the scorecards from prisoners. Perhaps this is also the result that the higher-ups want to see. In the final analysis, the recruit competition is also a training for the participating recruits, competing with each other, so as to grow in the battle. Hina shook her head, didn't go any further, but continued to patrol the island. Although the recruitment competition is brutal, it does not mean that the Marine executives really let it go. At the same time that recruit entered the island, Marine executives also dispatched a rescue team of 50 people to land on the island. Moreover, because the ferocious beasts on the island are very ferocious, and the prisoners are dangerous thugs, the lineup of the rescue team is also very luxurious, and the lowest rank is the rank of a major in the headquarters. 5 headquarters colonels, 15 headquarters lieutenant colonels, 30 headquarters majors, this is the composition of the rescue team, and Hina is one of the 15 headquarters lieutenant colonels. The duty of the rescue team is not only to go to the rescue after the recruit activates the rescue device, but also to act as a supervisor. Chapter 47 4-Armed Vajra. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This supervision is not only to prevent recruits from cooperating in violation of regulations, but also to prevent prisoners from engaging in petty actions. After all, there is no limit to the fact that prisoners cannot cooperate with each other, and it doesn't matter if they unite on a small scale, but if a large number of prisoners unite to hunt and kill recruits, it will easily cause serious casualties to recruits. The supervision of the rescue team is to avoid this situation, so rescuers like Hina will patrol everywhere on the island without interruption. Located on the east side of the island, there is a beautiful lake, which is undoubtedly a beautiful place against the backdrop of the surrounding lush trees and mountains. Only now, this beautiful scene was destroyed by violent movements. Roar. The angry roar formed a sound wave visible to the naked eye, which not only caused the nearby trees to shake violently, but also caused violent waves to set off on one side of the lake. This is a gorilla standing upright that is more than 10 meters high. Its black hair is like thick armor, which is strong enough to withstand bombardment-level attacks. At the same time, its strong muscles are full of terrifying power. But the most weird thing is that it has 4 arms, and there are 2 thick arms that shouldn't have grown under the armpit. Boom boom boom. The 2 upper arms waved their huge fists and struck towards the chest, making a loud roar. After the 4-armed Vajra declared its invincible power, its tyrannical eyes looked down at the opposite side. Although the 2 sides were very different in size, Luo Wei, who was holding a knife in his right hand, stood opposite him without showing any weakness. Instead, he hooked his index finger provocatively towards the 4-armed Vajra, as if to say, "Come here." Advertisement. The 4-armed Vajra was obviously quite intelligent, and when provoked by Luo Wei, 2 streams of hot breath spewed out of his nostrils, unable to suppress his brutal nature any longer. With a deafening roar, the 4-armed Vajra rushed out violently, and the ground was suddenly trampled and violently shook and continued to collapse. When approaching, terrifying power erupted from the 4-armed Vajra. It swung its thick arms and punched Luo Wei on the ground below. Under the terrifying power, a frenzied air wave was set off, and even before the punch came, the ground under Luo Wei was under terrible pressure, and quickly sank into a pit. Sure enough, I am indeed one of the overlords on this island. I just want you to test my current strength. Facing the powerful and terrifying punch, Luo Wei grinned and showed his sharp teeth, with a look of ruthlessness on his face. Boom. The earth shook violently, and the terrifying punch of the 4-armed king directly smashed a huge deep hole in the ground, and at the same time, the astonishing impact lifted the dust in a radius of tens of meters into the air. As for the lake on the side, it is even more choppy, as if there are giant beasts making waves at the bottom of the lake, and the entire lake is churning with huge waves. The figure suddenly appeared as if flashing, and Luo Wei, who was shrouded in the 4-armed Vajra fist, suddenly appeared in midair. However, when the fist of the 4-armed Vajra fell, he used shave in an instant, not only avoiding the terrible blow, but also came to the top of the arm that the 4-armed Vajra swung. Jung. Without the slightest pause, the moment the figure appeared, Luo Wei cut him down with a single blow. Brilliant and swift terrifying knife light bloomed, falling on the thick arm below like a flash of shock, and then saw blood spraying into the air. Advertisement. The 4-armed Vajra roared in pain, its arm was broken at the elbow, torn apart by Luo Wei's terrifying slash. The broken arm was like a huge pillar, and with the spray of blood, it fell powerlessly to the ground. Moonwalk. With a neat knife cut off one arm of the 4-armed King Kong, Luo Wei slammed on his feet to ease the falling body, and at the same time turned the blade again, and sent out another slash without hesitation. This time, the mind force wrapped around the blade turned into a blade of mind more than 10 meters long and flew out, like a crescent moon, quickly slashing towards the neck of the 4-armed King Kong. The violent friction with the air made the originally invisible blade of mind appear translucent, which also made the beast of the 4-armed King Kong feel the threat intuitively. The life-threatening sense of crisis made the 4-armed Vajra endure the pain of breaking his arm. At the same time, because Luo Wei's slash was extremely fast, before he could dodge in time, it crossed its 2 arms under its armpit to block it. Pooh! Amidst the creepy cutting sound, the arms of the 4-armed Vajra were cut wide open by the Nian blade, and the bones inside could almost be seen. Hot blood flowed out quickly, dyeing the hair around the wound black and red. It can be seen that even the thick hair and tough body of the 4-armed king can hardly completely block the edge of the blade of thought. The severity of the injury and the increase in pain made the 4-armed Vajra's eyes, which were already full of violence, appear densely bloodshot, like 2 scarlet lights. Roar. Amidst the terrifying roar, the 4-armed King Kong counterattacked, and the injured arms under the armpit and the other remaining arm turned into afterimages, and crazily blasted fist shadows at Luo Wei. Advertisement. Luo Wei stared slightly, stopped Moonwalk immediately, and changed to paper arts. The 4-armed Vajra crazily swung his fists and the fierce air waves caused by the bombardment made him crumbling like a lone boat in a storm, as if he would be destroyed at any time. But the actual situation was that Luo Wei took advantage of the airflow blown up by the opponent, and his whole body swayed lightly like catkins, and finally fell back to the ground safely. Seeing this, the 4-armed Vajra became even more enraged, and raised his huge foot to stomp on Luo Wei fiercely. Cut. Raising his head suddenly, his eyes sank into extremely sharp eyes, Luo Wei held the knife with both hands, and swung the knife upwards without fear. The brilliant light of the knife collided with the huge soles of the trampling feet immediately. The edge of the blade entwined with thought power showed an unparalleled sharpness as before, and the light of the blade was as powerful as a bamboo, directly cutting the huge foot that fell in half. Boom. Only half of the soles of his feet fell in front of Luo Wei's body, and the heavy body and turbulent force caused the ground to collapse immediately, making a dull and loud noise. Ah! The 4-armed Vajra burst out with an earth-shattering roar, which was a howl of pain. Chapter 48. The Hidden Man. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The furious air wave caused by the violent collision between the incomplete sole of the foot and the ground did not make Luo Wei retreat in the slightest. Instead, he jumped up like a lightning bolt, passing by the legs and feet like a huge pillar in front of him like a lightning bolt. Jung. The piercing light of the knife flickered, and Luo Wei appeared tens of meters away in the blink of an eye. But behind him, the thick legs and feet of the 4-armed Vajra spattered hot blood, and the entire right leg was broken from the middle. Roar. The deafening roar turned into sound waves and spread, and the four-armed Vajra, whose foot was lost, waved his arms indiscriminately, and fell to the side because of loss of balance. The heavy body shook the ground and rolled up a large amount of dust. Suffering severe trauma one after another, the four-armed King Kong no longer had the ferocity and terror it had before, but now it looked extraordinarily miserable and vulnerable. The moment he stopped, Luo Wei, who was 10 meters away, turned around and looked coldly at the four-armed Vajra. There was no wave in his eyes, and he held the knife in his right hand with an indifferent expression, and strode towards the opponent. The four-armed Vajra spewed hot air from its mouth and nose, as if panting violently to relieve the pain. But when Luo Wei came close, it paused for breath, and then showed its violent side again. Suddenly, it rolled its huge body, and by virtue of its inertia, it swung its terrifying fist several meters square, and slammed at Luo Wei from above. The hammer on Wei's head fell. The astonishing power caused the huge fist to set off a whistling air flow visible to the naked eye when the hammer fell, demonstrating unparalleled strength. Boom. Advertisement. The roaring sound of collision suddenly resounded around, and a ferocious impact erupted crazily, causing the ground in a radius of more than 10 meters to collapse and collapse. The four-armed King Kong's fist stopped suddenly when it reached the top of Luo Wei's head, but it was not because it gave up the attack, but because Luo Wei also raised his left arm below, hit the opponent with a hammer and fell. Fist. The two fists, one big and one small, with an absolute disparity in size, burst out with terrifying power. Under the shocking collision, not only the ground under Luo Wei's feet collapsed for several meters, but even his legs sank into the ground, down to his knees. However, his clenched left hand firmly held against the fist of the four-armed Vajra, and did not allow it to cause substantial damage to himself. Little monkey, you are quite strong, but you are still far from smashing me. The corners of the mouth were raised, seemingly showing a smile, but in fact, Luo Wei's eyes were filled with extremely cold eyes. Boom. The turbulent thought power erupted from the fist, and with a slight vibration of the left arm, the fist of the four-armed King Kong was sent flying high. At this moment, Luo Wei's right arm turned into an afterimage, and the blade was like an illusion, cutting out a swift and brilliant terrifying blade light from bottom to top. Hu! An expression of incomparable pain appeared on the ferocious face of the four-armed Vajra. Its arm that was thrown into the air was struck by the terrifying knife light that was slashed upwards. Immediately, blood was sprayed, broken and thrown away. Tempest kick. Advertisement. The fist fell, the knife fell, Luo Wei's right leg turned into a blade, and it was another attack from the bottom up, kicking out a blazing and violent chopping wave, bombarding the chest of the four-armed King Kong. In the frantic tearing, a large amount of blood sprayed in the air. Although the four-armed Vajra was not severed, it was also driven back and slid by the powerful impact of the tempest kick. When his body slid nearly 10 meters back and stopped, he could see a bloody gap on the chest of the four-armed King Kong. This time, he did not choose to fight back again, but used the arms under his armpit as his legs, supporting his heavy body. He hurriedly crawled towards the distance in a very embarrassing manner. The almost overwhelming battle, as well as his own tragic injuries, the four-armed King Kong has obviously lost all fighting spirit, leaving only the survival instinct of a beast. Want to escape? You should stay as my food. Luo Wei frowned. With a sneer on his face, he decisively shaved, and his whole body shot out like a floating shadow. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with the four-armed Vajra who was about to escape, and then jumped to get behind the opponent's head. Jung. The rapid and brilliant light of the knife bloomed, and the blade entwined with thought power produced amazing power. With the sound of tearing flesh and blood, the bright light of the knife cut across the neck of the four-armed King Kong. Puff. A large piece of hot blood gushed out like a fountain, flying away with fearful and unwilling hideous heads, and finally landed in a lake not far away, splashing billowing waves. The blood that flowed out quickly dyed the lake water red, but soon it gradually faded due to continuous dilution, and finally returned to normal. It fell to the ground vigorously, and the huge headless corpse behind him fell heavily to the ground. The ground shook and reverberated. Advertisement. Calmly turned around and glanced at the corpse, Luo Wei did not rush to the cliff cave on the side of the lake, that is, the lair of the four-armed King Kong, to look for the silver scorecard belonging to the other party, but shifted his gaze and looked at the corpse coldly. The lush forest on the other side. Boom. Whoosh. When Luo Wei cast his gaze, there seemed to be a response from the dense forest on the opposite side, and there was a sudden violent collision sound, and then a half-meter square rock flew out like a shell, straight and fiercely towards Luo Wei smashed it. Boom. Without dodging, Luo Wei punched out with his left hand as if at random, and the flying rock was crushed by the terrible force, causing tiny gravels to scatter around. Crack, crack, crack. Applause sounded, and a lean figure walked out of the woods where the rock appeared. It's really amazing. It's so easy to deal with the beast overlord on this island. If you don't mind, can you tell me which training camp you are from? The person who walked out was also wearing Marine's recruit uniform, with a knife on his waist. He was an unruly young man with dreadlocks. When he spoke, he looked at Luo Wei with a playful and provocative expression on his face. Luo Wei was not surprised by the appearance of the young man with dreadlocks, because when he was fighting the four-armed Vajra, he had already spotted him in the field of mind spreading around him. It was also because there were other people lurking in the dark that he was not in a hurry to find the silver scorecard in the four-armed king's lair. Chapter 49: The Overwhelming Battle. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Elite Training Camp. Luo Wei looked at the other party up and down, without extra expression on his face, and replied very flatly. A flash of light flashed in the eyes of the young man with dirty braids, his face showed playfulness, and he said, "So that's the case, no wonder, it turns out that you are a genius in the elite training camp of the headquarters. Back then, I really wanted to enter there." Luo Wei smiled lightly, but this time he didn't respond to the other party's words, but walked towards the other party. There was still blood dripping from the blade hanging on the side of his body. The meaning of his current actions can be said to be very obvious. No matter what purpose the other party has or what he wants to express, he actually doesn't need to pay attention to it at all, as long as he defeats him, that's enough. Moreover, it's not that Luo Wei hasn't been attacked by other recruits before, so naturally he doesn't mind taking away the scorecards collected by the other party. When the young man with dreadlocks saw Luo Wei walking straight towards him, the smile on his face suddenly disappeared, and fear and sharpness appeared in his eyes. Da da da. The sound of footsteps echoed, and when Luo Wei was less than 10 meters away from the young man with dreadlocks, suddenly, as if they had agreed in advance, they both disappeared in place. Ding. Dazzling sparks flew everywhere, and the two people who disappeared reappeared in the blink of an eye, and the place where they appeared was already in the middle of the distance just now, and the two blades collided with each other extremely fiercely. Don't look at the young man with dreadlocks, he seemed to be very calm when he first appeared. But in fact, after watching Luo Wei fight with the four-armed King Kong, he was extremely afraid of Luo Wei. Advertisement. Not only did he use shave to move like Luo Wei, but the slash that the young man with dreadlocks unleashed unreservedly his strength and kendo. The youth with dreadlocks comes from the recruit training camp of the G3 branch. Because it is located in New World, the overall quality of the recruits of the G3 branch is very good, and the young people with dreadlocks who are among the best, even among the recruits in the recruiting competition, their strength level is enough to rank the first step. His physical strength is around 600, which is extremely good in the elite training camp of the headquarters, and besides that, he is also a first-class swordsman whose kendo cultivation is only a line away from the swordsman. If evaluated based on the division of combat power formulated by Luo Wei, then the strength of the young man with dreadlocks has not only steadily reached the superhuman level of combat power, but has also faintly approached the middle level. Perhaps it is precisely because of the strength of such a penultimate that the young man with dreadlocks still has the confidence to make a move after witnessing Luo Wei beheading the four-armed King Kong powerfully. Boom. At this time, under the collision of the two people's slashes, apart from sparks splashing in all directions, violent air waves spread. The ground collapsed as if it had been severely smashed by a giant hammer, forming a pit with a diameter of several meters. And the violent air waves that ignited also spread wildly, causing large swaths of soil to be swept into the air and into the distance, and the whole scene looked extremely frenzied. What? Suddenly, the face of the young man with dreadlocks changed drastically, and a force beyond his imagination came along the blade, and he staggered back 7 or 8 steps as if he had been hit hard. The tiger's mouth of the hands holding the handle of the knife was shattered, and blood flowed out from it. The young man with dreadlocks hurriedly stabilized his figure and looked at Luo Wei in shock. Advertisement. How is it possible? How could his slash be so strong? He exclaimed in his heart, as if he had discovered something incredible. Sometimes the reality is so cruel, what you see and hear may be just self-confidence without personal experience. The young man with dreadlocks thought he had figured out Luo Wei's strength and had the confidence to win, but it turned out that he fell into an absolute disadvantage as soon as he fought. The powerful thought force enough to shatter steel was lingering on the blade. After Luo Wei chopped off the young man with dreadlocks, he locked the opponent with sharp eyes. Shave. The legs that were also entwined with thought power burst out with astonishing explosive power. Luo Wei flew out like lightning at a faster speed than before, and in just an instant, he came close to the young man with dreadlocks. Paper arts. The blade slashed along the way, and the cold light of the blade made the pupils of the young man with dreadlocks shrink instantly, and he twisted his body to dodge hurriedly in horror. The evasion effect of paper arts is naturally very good. Even though Luo Wei's speed and slashing have been greatly improved under the blessing of mental power, the slashing knife light was still avoided by the young man with dreadlocks. But Luo Wei's offensive was not over yet. The moment the slash failed, he predicted the opponent's movement with the field of mind, and his empty left hand turned into an iron fist, and punched fiercely. Boom. This punch of Luo Wei seemed to make the paper arts of the dreadlocks youth lose its effect. The fist hit the opponent's abdomen. The powerful punch made the dreadlocks spurt blood, and then flew backward like a cannonball with pain on his face. A few meters. During the reverse flight, the young man with dreadlocks collided with a big tree behind him, and the astonishing impact directly caused the big tree to break in the middle. Advertisement. Amidst the noisy roar, The upper half of the trunk connected to the crown of the tree flew across several meters, smashing the ground into a cloud of dust. Cough, cough, cough. Falling to the ground, the young man with dreadlocks knelt on one knee, leaning on the ground with the long knife he held in his right hand, while covering his painful abdomen with his left hand. He coughed up several mouthfuls of blood continuously. Suddenly, a touch of cold came from his neck, and the body of the young man with dreadlocks who was still relieving his pain and injury suddenly stiffened. He raised his head with difficulty like a marionette, and then his sight was blocked by a tall and straight figure. Luo Wei did not know when he came to the opposite side, and put the blade in his hand on the neck of the young man with dreadlocks. At this moment, as long as he exerted a little force, it would be enough to cut off the opponent's head. I don't need to say more about the rules, hand over all the scorecards on your body, and I can let you go. Looking at Luo Wei, who was condescending and looking down on him, the young man with dreadlocks has mixed emotions in his heart, including strong shame and anger, and a decadent sense of powerlessness. Bitterness appeared on his face, and he said hoarsely, I understand, the scorecard on my body is yours now. Unless you are willing to be eliminated with 0 points, handing over the scorecard is the best choice after defeat. The young man with dreadlocks naturally knows the consequences of refusing, so no matter how unwilling he is, he can only obediently hand over all the scorecards he has collected so hard. Chapter 50. The strength has skyrocketed, please collect. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Facts have proved that the young man with dreadlocks is indeed very strong. Before half of the time for the recruit competition has passed, he has already collected nearly 20 scorecards. After the two parties completed the settlement, the young man with dreadlocks dragged his seriously injured body and left resolutely, while Luo Wei also put away the scorecard and headed towards the lair of the four-armed King Kong. With the help of the field of mind, it didn't take him long to find the silver scoreboard representing 100 points, and then included it in the harvest again, walked out of the cave leisurely, and started to clean the corpse of the four-armed King Kong. On the huge fire, the peeled and cleaned four-armed Vajra was divided into several huge pieces of flesh and bones, which were continuously cooked by the flames. Luo Wei cleared out a clean place as a resting place. While waiting for the food to ripen, he also looked at the golden template. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nian Nian fruit. 5th level, 07290ths. Open black lens bracket kendo. 5th level, 07290ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 3700 close black lens bracket. Consciously seeing the information displayed on the golden template now, the corners of Luo Wei's mouth slightly raised. This recruit competition is really like a big harvest for me, he said with satisfaction in his heart. Advertisement. In addition to being able to predict the opponent's attack through keen insight, the field of mind also has the penultimate detection ability. Compared with other recruits, Luo Wei's process of finding prisoners is undoubtedly simpler and faster. In the past few days, relying on the investigative ability of the field of thoughts, he can be said to be everywhere. No prisoner can escape, and they are all hunted and eradicated by him. Even without counting the scorecards snatched from other recruits, Luo Wei had already collected nearly 100 black scorecards, which meant that he had killed nearly 100 prisoners. This kind of hunting quantity has naturally brought about an astonishing crime value. At this time, Nian Nian fruit, which was originally a 3rd order, 588/110ths value, has already passed the 4th order, and reached the 5th order level. The same is true for swordsmanship. Even from the level of 1st level, 090ths, it has directly gone through the 2nd level, 3rd level, 4th level, and directly reached the level of 5th level. Such a crazy increase would naturally consume a huge amount of evil points. Adding the two together, it cost a full 6,262 points of evil points. But even so, there are still 3,700 evil points on the golden template. No way, none of the prisoners on the island was an ordinary character, and they were generally criminals full of crimes. When Luo Wei hunted and killed them, at least he had a double-digit crime value harvest. With my current strength, if I don't hide it and show it all, I'm afraid it will shock many people in the upper echelon of Marine. Luo Wei smiled in his eyes. The transformation-like increase in numerical values naturally also represents an astonishing increase in strength. Just like Nianian fruit, after the 3rd level is full, the strength of the mind will reach 5,300 kilograms, and when the 4th level is full, the strength of the mind will be 16,100 kilograms. Advertisement. As for the current 5th level, although the experience value is still in a state of 0, but because of the substantial increase brought about by the upgrade, the strength of the current thought force is a terrifying 24,200 kilograms, which is more than 24 tons. Such terrifying power, if converted into a physical strength value, let alone 1,000 strength value, even a 2,000 strength value would be inferior. There is also kendo, which is also a kendo that has entered the 5th order level, and it has naturally reached an astonishing level. To put it simply, Luo Wei was able to sense the breath of all things when he entered the 4th level of kendo. That is to say, the level of swordsmanship at the 4th level is the level of swordsman that countless swordsmen are eager to pursue. Although the current 5th level is still far away from the higher level great swordsman, it also allows Luo Wei's kendo realm to make great progress in the swordsman level. Ignoring the deficiencies in swordsmanship, Luo Wei can be said to be comparable to those sword masters who have practiced for many years based on the perception of the realm of swordsmanship. Nianian fruit and swordsmanship go hand in hand, both of which have been greatly improved. Therefore, Luo Wei's current strength has surpassed the level of superhuman combat power and reached the superhuman level of combat power. Although he is only at the lower level of the powerful level of combat power, even in the entire world, he is now enough to be called a strong man. There is still half a year left before the age of 16, but the combat power has already reached the powerful level. If Luo Wei's strength is exposed, marine executives will naturally be shocked, and even treat them as monster recruits like Kuzan, Pelusolino, and Sakazuki. It's just that Luo Wei doesn't intend to stay in the marine, so he will naturally hide his strength. Just like his fight with the dreadlocked young man just now, although Luo Wei still won with overwhelming strength, in fact Luo Wei didn't even display half of his strength. Advertisement. The experience value required for the 5th level needs to be 7,290 points. Not surprisingly, after upgrading to the 6th level, the upper limit of the experience value will reach 21,780. No amount of evil points is enough to spend. Even though there are still 3,700 sin points left, Luo Wei still feels the pressure. He is not even willing to calculate the experience points required after the 6th level, so as to avoid destroying the current good mood. After feasting on the 4-armed King Kong as food, Luo Wei started hunting again. He would go to the 4-armed King Kong this time just to get the opponent's silver scorecard, so as to ensure that he can enter the top 3 places in this recruit competition. Now, with the silver scorecard he got, his accumulated score is close to 300 points. You must know that the young man with dreadlocks who was able to rank first among all recruits had only collected less than 30 scorecards. Luo Wei's score is now close to 300 points. To put it bluntly, even if there is no gain in the future, the top 3 rankings are still safe. With less pressure on the score, he can naturally devote more energy to hunting prisoners. As soon as the power of thought burst forth, the field of thought that extended for a full kilometer immediately spread out in all directions centered on Luo Wei. Chapter 51. Hunting and Anti-Hunting. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Is there no one? It seems that we need to take a walk around. After not sensing the humanoid creature, Luo Wei didn't care. After finding a direction at random, he just wandered around leisurely. Moving with it is the field of thought. It can be said that wherever Luo Wei passes by, everything within a radius of 1 kilometer cannot escape his perception. Once he finds that a humanoid creature appears in his perception, he can immediately rush to check to determine whether the other party is a recruit or a prisoner. The field of mind not only greatly helps Luo Wei in terms of combat convenience, but also makes him feel like a fish in water when it comes to scouting. Yes, there are still a lot of people. After wandering around for less than half an hour, Luo Wei, who was maintaining the perception of the field of mind for a radius of 1 kilometer, stopped suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he quickly shot towards one side like a phantom. In the dense forest, a fierce battle is taking place. One side is composed of 9 prisoners, and the other side is a marine recruit. 9 prisoners armed with various weapons surrounded the marine recruit, constantly coordinating and launching ferocious attacks. Ding ding ding. The blade danced swiftly, parrying attacks from all directions. In breathed quickly, and sweat was already breaking out on his white forehead. Advertisement. Yes, the marine recruit who was besieged by 9 prisoners was none other than Ain. Although the recruitment competition seems to be a competition for recruits to hunt prisoners, in fact, some prisoners also regard marine recruits as prey. Ain was originally looking for prisoners, but he didn't want to, and instead was hunted by 9 prisoners in front of him. One-on-one, with Ain's strength in the first tier of all recruits, none of the 9 prisoners would be her opponent. However, when the 9 prisoners joined hands, she fell into a disadvantage, with little chance of counterattack, and was tired of defending and resisting. Just like now, In blocked the attacks of the 3 prisoners in front, and just when she was about to launch a slash and counterattack, 2 or 3 prisoners from behind quickly attacked her with weapons. Because she majors in Kendo and Devil Fruit, even though her physical strength has reached 500 Dao points, she only masters 3 types of shaved, moonwalk, and finger pistol in the practice of Marine 6 styles. Lacking paper arts as a dodging physical skill, Ain naturally couldn't use the airflow created by the enemy's attack to dodge, so he could only give up the counterattack and hastily turned around to block the attack from behind. But even so, there were still remaining prisoners attacking from both sides, keeping her on the defensive all the time, and her physical strength was constantly being consumed in this process. It's really lucky to come out this time. I didn't expect to meet such a beautiful female marine. I must have a good time later. Hey ha. Little girl, you should give up resisting. Maybe I can let you live after the brothers are done playing. Don't be careless. This woman's strength is not simple, and she is also demon fruit power. Be careful not to be touched by her hand. Advertisement. During the fierce fighting, the prisoners also behaved differently, some provocatively and jokingly, and some reminded others to be vigilant. Damn it, there are so many prisoners united together, and my abilities have been seen through. Even though Ain is a calm person after all, he still feels anxious and unwilling in the current dangerous predicament. In the previous fight, it wasn't that she didn't use the fruit of regression to break the situation, but she succeeded only once, and the prisoners noticed and took precautions. What's more, even some defects and weaknesses of the backward fruit ability have been discovered, so that there is no chance to activate it. These prisoners from the deep sea prison are all ferocious pirates and thugs from all over the world. Naturally, the reward amount is obtained through countless fights. In terms of combat experience, it can be said that they are very sophisticated. As for Ain's retrogression fruit, although after more than 2 years of development, the retrogression time has been extended to about 2 years, but in the face of prisoners who are not young, only one activation is obviously not enough to stabilize effect. Moreover, she is still unable to release her abilities, so she is even more restricted. Under the experienced fighting experience, some of the 9 prisoners quickly saw through Ain's ability limitations and flaws. As a result, Ain's plan to break the situation with Devil Fruit failed. At this time, while the prisoners were attacking fiercely, not giving Ain a chance to fight back or breathe, they were also vigilantly staring at Ain's hands, not giving him a chance to touch him. Of course, although In fell into a disadvantage, she still has the ability to retreat after mastering Shave and Moonwalk. It's just that she was unwilling to escape like this. On the one hand, it came from her self-esteem, and on the other hand, she was unwilling to face the prisoner's embarrassing escape because of her sense of justice as a Marine. Advertisement. One sword style Gale. Under the accumulation of unwilling emotions, In decided to take a risk and make a change. After finding a very small gap, he suddenly rushed out with his figure, and slashed at a prisoner in front with an astonishing speed. The piercing light of the knife flashed away, as if a gust of wind had blown by, spraying blood, and the prisoner who was hit by the slash spurted blood wildly on his chest, but was torn out with bloody knife marks. The prisoner fell to the ground screaming and was severely injured, but Ain also fell into greater danger because of his strong attack. The prisoners on both sides and the rear reacted and attacked in fury. Swords, sticks and axes enveloped Ain, leaving her no chance to dodge. Turning around and resisting with all his strength, Ain blocked most of the attacks with his physical strength stronger than that of the prisoner, but he was still injured. His shoulder and waist were hit by the blade and the iron rod respectively. Amidst the muffled sound, In hurriedly backed away, but even so, there were still deep knife marks on his shoulders, and his waist was also bruised and swollen under the impact of the iron rod. Stop playing. Use all your strength to kill this woman as soon as possible, and don't let her escape. After one person was seriously injured, the other 8 prisoners did not keep their hands. As one of them yelled violently, all the prisoners broke out in a more fierce and brutal offensive. Chapter 52. Group Destruction. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It is worth looking forward to being able to play with a female Marine, but if there are casualties as a result, it is not worth it. These prisoners are all vicious people, and they are undoubtedly very ruthless in fighting. Not good. Seriously injuring a prisoner in exchange for his own injury may seem like a profit, but in fact it is still a loss. Injuries will affect the display of strength. After seeing the prisoners as offensive become more ferocious, In's expression changed immediately. Shave. With the touch of her feet, she immediately swept aside at a speed beyond the naked eye, and appeared more than 10 meters away. Although he was not reconciled, unless he gave up his life to fight, there was no chance of winning at all, and even if that was the case, at most he would drag a few prisoners to die together. Even if Ain was not afraid of sacrifice, he would not waste his life in this situation, so after breaking away from the siege, he was still preparing to retreat. Jung. Suddenly, before Ain continued to shave and leave, there was a strong sound of breaking through the air. A translucent crescent-shaped slash flew over, and in an instant, it slashed across the waist of a prisoner who was about to charge towards Ain, and then tore a deep crack on the ground in front of him. Pooh. Advertisement. The dark red blood sprayed out, and the prisoner didn't even have time to react. His body was broken in 2 from the waist, and his upper body rushed several meters under the inertia and fell to the ground. The figure shot out like a fleeting figure, and when the swift figure appeared, it pierced another prisoner's heart with a sharp index finger. No, another Marine is here. Damn it, let's kill this kid first. Kill. The 2 prisoners were suddenly killed, and the rest of the prisoners were furious when they realized it. They gave up chasing Ain, and turned to violently attack the intruding figure. The iron rod swung towards him, but was bent by an extremely fierce fist. The bent iron rod immediately bounced back, smashing the head of the prisoner who was wielding it, screaming and falling down. The cold eyes swept across the faces of every prisoner. Luo Wei calmly moved to the side, easily dodging the attack. Finger pistol. After avoiding all the attacks, before the prisoners could attack again, a lightning-like finger hit the forehead of one of the prisoners. As if hit by a bullet, a blood hole was opened in the forehead of the prisoner, and he fell to the ground limply with fear and unwillingness on his face. Jung. The other right hand holding the knife was not free either. Swinging the knife cut out a swift and brilliant light, and cut off another prisoner's head in one stroke. Advertisement. Walking leisurely in the courtyard, both hands turned into killing weapons, the light of the knife, the fingers of the sword, wherever they passed, the prisoners fell one by one. From the appearance to the end, less than 10 seconds passed. Including the prisoner who was severely injured by Ain before, he was also killed by a bullet piercing through the head. All the prisoners became the ghosts under Luo Wei's feet. Reminders of obtaining evil points kept appearing in his mind. Luo Wei calmly swiped away the blood stained on the blade, and put the long knife back into the scabbard. Luo Wei, not far away, In stared dumbfounded at what happened in front of her. It happened so suddenly and so fast that she lost her mind. But when she realized it, she felt a strong shock and disbelief towards Luo Weisheng. The prisoners who forced her to escape were wiped out by Luo Wei in less than 10 seconds. Such overwhelming strength and victory can be said to have far exceeded her original understanding of Luo Wei. Information about obtaining crime points kept popping up in his mind. These 9 prisoners also did not disappoint Luo Wei. At least they brought him 70 or 80 points of crime points, and most of them exceeded 150 points of crime points. Not everyone who has been offered a reward is like Luffy. More people who have been offered a reward belong to the kind of murderer with blood on their hands. If it is on Earth, it may be more troublesome for me to obtain crime points, but in this world, it can be said that as long as you find those who have rewards, you will definitely be able to get crime points. Luo Wei shook his head in his heart, and mobilized his mind to find out the scorecards on the prisoners, raised his hand to grab them falsely, and sucked all the scorecards that flew out of nowhere into his palm. After doing all this, he turned around and looked not far away Ain. Thank you for your help. Seeing Luo Wei looking at him, In temporarily suppressed the complicated emotions in his heart, with a smile on his face, thanking Chen Ken while walking over. Advertisement. Don't get me wrong. I only make moves to get the scorecard, and since I met it, the scorecard you collected now belongs to me, hand it over. Luo Wei is like a straight man of steel, he didn't use the act of saving the beauty to capture the beauty's heart, but instead stretched out his palm indifferently. In's footsteps stopped, her body seemed to be frozen, and the smile on her face froze, obviously a little caught off guard by Luo Wei's actions. Why, don't you want to? Then I'll do it. Seeing that the other party didn't respond, Luo Wei's outstretched palm fell to the handle of the knife at his waist, and his eyes became sharper at the same time. Wait, don't do it, I am willing to give you the scorecard. Seeing this situation, In spoke quickly, and after hesitating for a moment, he took out the 20 or so scorecards he had collected with rather resentful eyes. She would choose to hand over the scorecard, not only because she was overwhelmed by the strength Luo Wei showed, but also because Luo Wei did solve her own danger. Even from what Luo Wei said, he only wanted to get the scorecards on the prisoners, but for Ain, Luo Wei has always helped himself. Her grievances come more from Luo Wei's steelman behavior. Although she never used her identity as a woman to gain special treatment, she felt that she was also a very attractive beauty, and she still felt a little aggrieved inexplicably when she was treated so indifferently now. Unfortunately, Luo Wei directly ignored In's grievances, unceremoniously took away the scorecard handed over, then turned and left. Chapter 53 Prisoner Groups. Advertisement. The gap between me and him has not narrowed, but is it getting bigger and bigger? Looking at the leaving figure in the distance, In sighed secretly, but his eyes quickly became firm again. After all, she was not that kind of little girl. Although she was hit hard, she didn't become decadent because of it. Instead, she aroused greater awareness. Not staying any longer, Ain left in another direction. She also has the ambition to get the top 3 places. Now that the scorecards on her body have been cleared, she can only work harder to collect the scorecards. The brief contact with Ain was just a small episode for Luo Wei. After that, he wandered around the island again, looking for more prisoners. The recruits who can participate in this big competition are undoubtedly the best of the best. Even if the military rank is only recruit, but in terms of strength, many people have actually reached superhuman combat strength, and even qualified for the school-level military rank of the headquarters. On the contrary, although the prisoners on the island are all vicious and powerful, but in one-on-one situations, few prisoners can match marine recruit. Under such circumstances, it is inevitable that prisoners will be grouped together, and as time goes by, the number of prisoners grouped together will increase. Advertisement. Boom. The powerful force unleashed unreservedly, and the figure hit by the fist spurted blood and flew upside down, smashing hard on the rock more than 10 meters away. What kind of elite recruit is nothing more than that? This is the first time, I seem to be a little confused. Those damn Marines still want to use us as a whetstone to sharpen recruits, it's ridiculous. The figure who was blown away was obviously a Marine recruit, while the person who was blown away was a muscular prisoner who was nearly 4 meters tall. However, there was not only one prisoner present, but 8 other prisoners. Although they did not make a move, it was enough to prove that this was also a group of 9 prisoners. It's cool. The feeling of flying Marine is refreshing. The strength of the strong prisoner is very strong. Before being caught, the reward amount is the highest 10 million berry. With only one person defeating a Marine recruit in the recruiting competition, the strength of the strong prisoner is undoubtedly the top existence among all the prisoners, and the strength is even much higher than the amount of the bounty offered. Laughing wildly, suddenly, the strong prisoner rushed over immediately after seeing a certain movement of the opposite Marine recruit. Click. The left hand of the seriously injured Marine recruit, who was trampled down hard and covered in blood, was broken by a strong prisoner. Advertisement. Ah! The Marine recruit wailed in pain, but was immediately grabbed by the head of the extremely strong prisoner with a smirk on his face, and his neck was twisted with a snap. The wailing stopped abruptly, and Marine recruit's eyes widened, and he swallowed his last breath with a face full of unwillingness. Hey, I still want to ask for help, just dream. Killing the Marine recruit, the strong prisoner looked disdainful, and then stepped on the rescue device with his foot, then greeted the other prisoners, and quickly left the place. Walking through the forest all the way, the 9 prisoners, including the strong prisoner, finally came to a hidden cave with overgrown weeds and dense trees. He went straight into the cave without stopping, and there was a tunnel that stretched with no end in sight, and after passing through this tunnel, he came to a small valley surrounded by high cliffs. Ha ha ha, it's a pleasure to go out and kill another Marine today. Huo he he he. Well done, come on, I just finished roasting the meat here. Although there is no wine, it is also a great pleasure to eat meat after killing Marine. Awesome, really worthy of Edgar, who is known as a violent bear. Every time he leads a team out, he can kill at least one Marine. In this paradise-like small valley, there were many prisoners gathered, roughly estimated that there were at least hundreds of them. At this time, piles of bonfires were lit like a banquet, and all kinds of beasts were roasted. Edgar, who was called a violent bear, was the strong prisoner who killed the Marine recruit before. While laughing and talking with the passing prisoners, he also came to the center of all the prisoners. Here, sitting cross-legged, is a man with a wild temperament. He is bare-chested, showing a chest full of various scars and strong muscles. Advertisement. In addition, the wild man also had 2 coquettish women in prison uniforms in his arms. While laughing and talking, his hands disappeared into the jackets of the 2 female prisoners, playing with 2 pairs of very large Nido. Boss Borg, I'm back. Edgar, who was extremely arrogant in front of others, came close, but bowed respectfully to the wild man in salute. His eyes also showed awe. It's Edgar, how about it? This time I went out and killed a few Marines. Borg found a more comfortable position for playing with both hands, and then looked at Edgar with a smile. Edgar straightened his body slightly, and said regretfully, this time I only encountered 1 Marine. After these few days of hunting, there are very few Marines in this area now. It's good to be able to hunt it down. After all the beasts on this island are as strong as monsters. If they are too far away, they might become the rations of some beast. Borg said, shaking his head. Edgar said, then why don't you go out to clean up again, boss, and slaughter those animals in the nearby area? The prisoners in the valley were able to hunt and kill Marines in the surrounding area, all because the powerful beasts in this area were cleaned up by Borg, otherwise the prisoners would go out and return safely. Borg couldn't deny it, and said, I'll talk about this later, let me talk about it first. You didn't meet any other prisoners when you went out this time. Chapter 54, Reaction and Discovery. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. No, in the area we are in, we rarely meet prisoners. Edgar shook his head. Borg frowned slightly. With only 100 or so prisoners now, the chances of escaping from Marines' pursuit are still too slim. Let's go out in person tomorrow. More prisoners must be gathered. Only in this way can there be enough chaos, and then I can find a chance to escape. Borg thought to himself. The prisoners in the deep-sea prison are at least life imprisonment. If it was in the deep-sea prison, Borg naturally had no hope of being able to escape, but now that he left that ghostly place, he naturally had the idea of escaping. Even if he is on a deserted island facing the sea and blocked by Marines, as long as there is a little hope, Borg, who is eager to regain his freedom, wants to try. By the way, you didn't meet anyone from the Marine Patrol this time? Borg asked again. Edgar shook his head and said proudly, of course not. After your arrangement, boss, now every time we go out, we have never been targeted by those Marine patrols again. Borg nodded, feeling a lot more relaxed. It's fine if we don't have one. Although Marines' top management regards us as a sharpening stone for those recruits, they won't allow us to unite and slaughter Marines' recruits. Even if they vent, they have to find a flaw. Now it seems that as long as the number of people in each operation is less than 10, the Marine Patrol team will not show up, so even if some Marine recruits are killed by us, they will not be punished. Quote. Borg smiled even wider, and at the same time, there was cruelty and blood in his smile. The imprisonment life in the deep-sea prison made every prisoner hate Marine extremely. Advertisement. With no chance of regaining freedom, for all prisoners on the island, killing Marine recruit is the only way to vent their hatred. Although Borg had plans to escape, in order to better command the prisoners gathered by him, he did not stop them from hunting the Marine recruit, and even found a loophole. In addition to limiting the number of people, there is no chance for Marine recruits to activate the rescue device, so the behavior of hunting Marine recruits will not be discovered. This is the best hunting strategy that Borg figured out from the situation he got after using many prisoners. Although there are also cases of being escaped, most of them are successfully hunted. Until now, nearly 20 Marine recruits have been slaughtered by Borg and the others. We might be able to leave some survivors in the last few days. If the escape plan fails, we can only try to threaten Marine recruits as hostages. A cold light flashed in Borg's eyes. Boo boo boo. The unique call of the phone bug sounded, and the figure of Meowman, who was on patrol, stopped, and took out the calling phone bug from his pocket. Hey, this is the Temporary Inspection Department, is it Lieutenant Colonel Hina? As soon as he was connected, the phone bug imitated a serious face vividly, and opened his mouth to speak. Yes, I'm Hina, someone activated the distress device and needs help. Hina immediately asked. Advertisement. No, we found that the frequency of recruits losing contact during this period has increased a lot, and they are all located in a general area, so we suspect that there may be a large-scale combination of prisoners and they are hunting recruits. Quote. Hina's face immediately turned serious, and said, there is such a thing, please tell me the location of this area, and I will go to check immediately. The large-scale union of prisoners has never happened in previous recruit competitions, and every time it occurs, the death rate of recruits will increase greatly. Although the hunting method arranged by Borg has avoided the chance of being discovered, it is still not perfect after all. He didn't know that the rescue devices worn by the Marine recruits had special sensing devices. Once the wearer's heartbeat stopped, the Ministry of Supervision, which was conducting investigations in this area, would immediately find out. At the same time, the rescue device also has a positioning effect. Even if it is destroyed, it can also know the location where the signal disappeared last. Marine's setting of the rescue device in this way can be said not only to keep track of the physical condition of each recruit, but also to prevent the death rate from exceeding the standard. After all, the recruits who can participate in this big competition are all the future elites of Marine. Even if it is for tempering, there will be a death limit. The person on the opposite side of the phone worm quickly informed the location. After Hina wrote it down, she put away the phone worm without hesitation and rushed to the area where the recruit death rate was abnormal. In addition to her, the Ministry of Supervision also contacted other patrol personnel. After all, if there is a large-scale combination of prisoners, it is easy to be dangerous if only one patrol personnel goes there. An hour later, including Hina, a total of 20 patrol officers gathered in the area provided by the Ministry of Supervision. Among them, there are not only 5 lieutenant colonels from the headquarters including Hina, but also 2 colonels from the headquarters. The overall lineup already has 1/3 of the strength of the entire patrol team. Advertisement. Look around. If you find a prisoner, you will be arrested and interrogated strictly. Also, if you see a recruit, you can temporarily reveal your identity and let them stay away from this area. The person who spoke was one of the 2 colonels of the headquarters. This was a man with yellow hair tied into a ponytail and an X scar on his chin. His name was Kibben. Clear. Hina and the others nodded, then dispersed and began to examine the area carefully. The ferocious beasts living on the island are extremely vicious and powerful, so it is impossible for prisoners like Borg to stay away too much when they go out to hunt Marine recruits. The valley where they gathered was indeed within the area inspected by the patrol team. Although the location was hidden, it was only a matter of time before they were searched and found. However, before the patrol team found the valley, a person had already arrived at the hidden cave connecting the valley. It's really interesting. There are so many people gathered. Recruiting is definitely impossible. So, is this a large-scale union of prisoners? Walking out of the dense forest, Luo Wei looked at the cave in front of him with great interest, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and there was a smile from the heart on his face. Chapter 55. Tigers like sheep. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After encountering Ain's episode, he continued to wander around looking for prisoners. Before he left, he discovered a large number of humanoid creatures in the perception of the field of thought. With such a large-scale gathering of people, Luo Wei naturally did not think that the humanoid creature perceived from the opposite side of the cave would be a recruit. And if they were all prisoners, it would be an exciting surprise. Luo Wei couldn't wait to walk into the cave, wanting to make sure whether the people inside were prisoners or not. As soon as he approached the cave, there was a sudden shouting sound from inside, followed by 2 men in prison uniforms running out. When they saw Luo Wei, their faces were both shocked and surprised. Is it a Marine recruit? Ha ha ha, I didn't expect there to be self-inflicted traps. Let's go together, kill this Marine. The 2 prisoners seemed to have seen a peerless and delicious hungry ghost, and waved their weapons ferociously to kill Luo Wei. The prisoners in the valley seem to be used to hunting recruits, so much so that they have formed in their consciousness that they regard the Marine recruits on the island as fat sheep that can be easily slaughtered. In the case of only 2 people, the 2 prisoners were not afraid, even full of confidence. It's really awesome to be a prisoner. Luo Wei was also not surprised but happy. After seeing the prison uniforms on the two people opposite him, in order to express his inner joy, he instantly turned into a black shadow and rushed out, but he rushed to the front of the two prisoners at super fast speed. Bang bang. Advertisement. Without even pulling out the knife, when the two sides met, Luo Wei threw out his fists at the speed that the two prisoners could not react, hitting the two men's hearts accurately. With the sound of violent fist and flesh collisions, the two prisoners stared wide-eyed and spewed blood. They flew backwards like cannonballs, and quickly hit the cliffs on both sides of the cave. Boom. The powerful impact instantly cracked the cliff, creating cracks like spider webs, and the two prisoners sank into the cliff like a mosaic. Their hearts were all shattered by Luo Wei's punch. If you cut open your mouth, you will immediately find that the hearts inside have shattered into petals. Sin value plus 75 feet. Sin value plus 93 feet. The two prisoners died suddenly on the spot with a look of reluctance. While their vitality dissipated, familiar information also appeared in Luo Wei's mind. Today seems to be my lucky day. With both fists down, Luo Wei strode into the cave without stopping, with a smile on his face. After all, they were only prisoners. Although there were two guards at the entrance of the cave, there were no other guards in the tunnel inside the cave. Passing through the tunnel without hindrance, soon a bright light came, and Luo Wei calmly walked out from the other side of the cave. What greeted the eyes was a valley surrounded by walls on all sides and a blue sky above his head. At the same time, there were many prisoners as if they were holding a banquet. Perhaps it was because he didn't expect anyone to find this place. After Luo Wei walked into the valley, most of the prisoners didn't notice it for a while, and they were still laughing wantonly and eating meat. Of course, the prisoners who were chewing on their big bones near the entrance of the cave were still stunned to see him. Although the recruit uniform on Luo Wei's body has become much dirty and torn after a few days of survival in the wild, the style can still be seen, and it is even more eye-catching compared with the prisoners. Advertisement. Marine. Cough cough. Not good, a Marine broke in. What's the situation? How could there be Marine? Damn it, it's really Marine, isn't there someone guarding the cave entrance? After a short period of astonishment, the prisoners finally came to their senses, and immediately roared in panic. The roar immediately spread throughout the valley, bringing the lively atmosphere of the banquet to an abrupt end. All the prisoners looked at the entrance of the cave in astonishment, and naturally saw Luo Wei standing in front of the entrance. What's the situation? It's really Marine, we were discovered. Gia ha ha ha, there is even someone who comes to your door, let me deal with him. Stop dreaming, this kid is my prey. The noise erupted suddenly. Some prisoners reacted with shock and anger, some laughed ferociously, and some were full of murderous aura. But no matter what the reaction was, all the prisoners had the same action, that is, they quickly grabbed the weapons beside them and rushed towards Luo Wei angrily. Borg, who was in the middle of the valley, also stood up with a slam, and the two female prisoners who were in his arms fell directly to the ground. As the person guarding the cave's entrance awaced, let Marine discover this place. Borg's face was ashen, and when he looked over the prisoners and looked at Luo Wei, he was full of strong killing intent. It took so much effort to gather so many people. If they were exposed, Marine's large army would definitely be wiped out. Naturally, Borg would not allow Luo Wei, an intruder, to leave alive. More than 100 prisoners swarmed up. The scene can be said to be very spectacular, but also very scary. Advertisement. Swords, axes, and sticks whistled in the air, and everyone possessed impressive fighting power. To put it bluntly, the hundreds of prisoners in the valley were fully capable of destroying a small town. There are really so many prisoners, it seems that there is going to be a big fight. On the other side, watching the inmates rushing madly, Luo Wei's smile never faded. It's just that under the smile, there is also a terrifying murderous intent. The left foot stepped out slightly, and the right hand instantly grabbed the handle of the long knife worn at the waist. Jung. Before the prisoners got close, the rapid light of the knife flashed, and the blade slashed out horizontally, and the incomparable thought power gathered and burst out, and immediately turned into a long, narrow and huge thought blade. While the air was being torn apart, the blade of mind, which was more than 10 meters long, sliced across the void, and at the same time it stirred up ripples, it flew towards the attacking prisoners like lightning, and then showed a terrifying edge. Chi chi chi. The sound of tearing came one after another, almost at the same time. I saw that within the slashing range of the blade of mind, the prisoners' bodies broke apart before they could react, causing a lot of blood to spray around. Ah! The shrill screams suddenly resounded. After the severed bodies, some prisoners did not die immediately, but were eroded by the pain that went straight to the bone marrow. Chapter 56. Slashing Ruthlessly. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The sharpness of the blade of mind was vividly displayed at this moment, and it flew away for 20 or 30 meters before it was dissipated in the constant beheading. And when it was over, there were nearly 20 more beheaded prisoners in the valley, and the blood flowing from their broken bodies dyed the ground red. What? The astonishing killing caused many people to stop in a hurry, especially those who passed by the blade of thought. Their faces were pale, and they looked at Luo Wei in horror. Borg, who didn't rush forward with the other prisoners, also constricted his pupils and his face changed when he saw this scene. Damn it, how can this marine recruit be strong? Could it be that he is a swordsman? Although Luo Wei did not expose the swordmaster's kendo, the blade of mind can easily cause cognitive errors for those who do not know the kendo. This was the case with Borg, and his already bad mood immediately turned into intense anxiety when he saw Luo Wei beheading so many prisoners with a single knife. There was deep fear in his eyes, as if to increase his confidence. Borg hurriedly grabbed the big knife beside him, and fixed his gaze on Luo Wei. Although some prisoners were shocked by the horrific killing, there were also those who were not afraid and continued to approach Luo Wei, and the leader of them was Edgar. Die Dalhousie. As a powerful combat force second only to Borg among all the prisoners, Edgar was holding a thick mace at this time, and when he approached Luo Wei, he jumped up high in anger, engulfing the powerful force enough to smash the boulder, fiercely swung the mace down. Under the terrible power, the mace easily caused a strong roar, and even created a wave of air visible to the naked eye. Advertisement. His expression remained the same. When the knife fell, Luo Wei took a sideways step and calmly avoided to the side. Boom. The mace fell into the air and hit the ground where Luo Wei was originally. Amidst the loud noise, the ground immediately collapsed, forming a crater more than half a meter deep. Swish swish swish. The knife flashed continuously, and the mace made of steel broke into several pieces in an instant. Edgar's face changed drastically, and he was about to retreat subconsciously. Finger pistol. The figure flew up, and Edgar just took a step back, and there was a sharp pain in his heart, and when he looked down, a finger had already sunk into his heart. Luo Wei didn't pause at all, quickly pulled out his finger, and kicked the opponent's abdomen with a side kick. Boom. With an astonishing burst of power, Edgar, whose eyes had dimmed, turned into a human-shaped cannonball, and his huge body quickly flew backwards, knocking the prisoners behind him like bowling balls. Ah! Amidst the screams and the sound of falling to the ground, all the prisoners who were knocked into the air vomited blood, had their tendons broken and their bones broken. The Edgar shell flew upside down for more than 20 meters, opening up a vacuum passage among the prisoners. When he fell to the ground, Edgar had already died, his eyes were wide open, and he looked like he was dying. Swish. Advertisement. The sound of piercing the air remained in place, and Luo Wei flashed out like a fleeting shadow in an instant, slashing with his right hand and pulling out a sharp knife light, and finger pistol with his left hand stabbed continuously. In the valley, it was as if a fierce tiger rushed into the flock of sheep, but wherever the phantom plundered, the prisoners could be seen screaming and falling to the ground. Enveloping his body with thought power, Luo Wei's strength, speed, and defense all reached a terrifying level. Even if the prisoners slashed at him with swords, they would be broken directly, and every time he made a move, at least one prisoner would be killed. Monster, monster, I want to get out of here. Are you kidding me? I don't want to die here. Run away. The resistance of the prisoners could last even a minute before collapsing. Many screamed in fear and ran desperately towards the only exit. Want to escape? Leave them all to me. The realm of thoughts spread throughout the entire valley, and every move of the prisoners was in Luo Wei's perception. When he realized that someone was rushing towards the entrance of the cave and wanted to escape, he immediately stopped the killing in front of him and jumped into the air. Turning around, the blade slashed quickly, and the terrifying blade of thought flew out again, like a huge crescent, grazing towards the entrance of the cave at an astonishing speed. Pooh! The sound of flesh and blood being torn continued to appear, and the prisoners who rushed to the entrance of the cave were all cut off by the blade of thought from behind. After beheading more than a dozen prisoners who were trying to escape, the blade of Nian still remained undiminished, violently impacting on the cliffs on both sides of the cave entrance. Two cracks appeared in an instant, and the blade of thought easily left a long and narrow gap with a depth of more than 2 meters on the cliff walls on both sides of the cave entrance. Advertisement. Before landing, Luo Wei used moonwalk in the air, galloped through the air, and jumped to the front of the cave, completely cutting off the prisoners' hope of escape. Come on, if you want to leave, then step on my dead body. Immediately, Luo Wei looked at the remaining prisoners provocatively, and hooked his fingers. Together, he is only one person, I don't believe that I can't kill him. Damn it, you didn't give me any way to survive, lousy fought with you. Let's kill him together. Shouting fiercely and yelling, the prisoners who were unwilling to be trapped to death launched a death charge, rushing towards Luo Wei frantically. In less than 10 minutes, corpses piled up like hills in front of the cave entrance, and at the top stood a tall and straight body. The thought power entwined around his body prevents him from being stained by the blood of the enemy. Even though he has experienced a terrible bloody killing, there is still no trace of bloodline on Luo Wei's body. The only thing that was stained red was the long knife hanging down by his side. With a lot of blood staining, the blade had been dyed a strange blood red, and the tip of the knife continued to drip blood in lines. The right hand holding the big knife was too hard, the back of the hand not only looked pale, but also throbbing blue veins could be seen. Borg, who had never made a move, locked his eyes firmly on Luo Wei on the pile of corpses. His eyes were both extremely fearful and bloodthirsty. Chapter 57 Self-Awakening. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. During Luo Wei's killing of the prisoner, Borg never made a move, and even backed away a little to avoid being involved in the killing. He thought he could use other people to drain his opponent's energy and even injure him, but looking at Luo Wei, who was not stained with blood and breathing very smoothly, Borg's heart became heavy. His indifferent eyes also fell on the last remaining prisoner in the valley. Luo Wei walked down the corpse pile step by step with a calm expression, stepping on the blood-stained ground towards him. Tick-tock. The blood still dripping from the tip of the knife created a terrifying atmosphere, and it also made Borg feel the palpitations of Shira's aura from the approaching Luo Wei. Kill. In the atmosphere that seemed to be frozen, Borg breathed rapidly, and could no longer restrain the tension and fear in his heart. He suddenly roared and rushed out with his knife in hand. Being able to become the leader of a group of prisoners, Borg's strength is naturally beyond doubt. Under the sprint, his speed is comparable to that of shaving. Although it is only the most basic shaving speed, it is enough to prove that Borg's physical strength is at least above 700 points. Appearing in front of Luo Wei almost in the blink of an eye, Borg was like a raging beast, swiping his knife and slashing at the top of Luo Wei's head, as if he wanted to split Luo Wei in two. His eyes were as calm as water, and his body was slightly turned sideways. Luo Wei avoided the falling blade by the slightest margin, and at the same time hit the finger pistol on the opponent's heart. Advertisement. Suddenly, Borg deviated with Luo Wei's movement and dodged sideways, which made the finger pistol stabbed by Luo Wei fall into the empty space. Not only that, but after avoiding the finger pistol's attack, Borg quickly turned the sword around, and when it fell halfway, the blade quickly cut across Luo Wei's waist. Kindness. There was a look of surprise in Luo Wei's eyes, but he didn't panic. He raised the knife, and the upside-down blade blocked the big knife coming from the side. Clang. The two sharp blades collided violently, causing sparks to fly violently. Just like the explosive speed shown before, Borg's physical strength is very strong. After the sword with amazing strength was blocked, the impact easily caused the surrounding air to be rolled up, forming a violent whirlwind visible to the naked eye. In terms of pure physical strength, Luo Wei is much weaker than the opponent, but under the force of the body's entanglement, the strength he displayed is even more terrifying. Ji's long knife that was blocking the big knife didn't move at all. Luo Wei held it lightly, and then saw him push it out lightly. Borg felt as if he had been hit hard. Not only the big knife was shaken away, but the whole person was also driven to stagger out a 7-8 steps. Damn it, his strength is so great. After stabilizing his figure, Borg looked at Luo Wei with fear on his face, but he quickly gritted his teeth again, suppressing the panic in his heart, and wanted to charge again. Shave. The body flashed forward. Luo Wei didn't wait for Borg to make another shot, and came close in an instant, causing Borg on the opposite side to back away in a hurry as if frightened. Advertisement. But at this moment, Ji Shuan Dao Guang has already rolled in like a waterfall. At this time, Borg once again showed the super fast reaction just now, dodging to the side at the same time Luo Wei drew the knife like a prophet. The air was forcefully torn apart, and the terrifying slash tore the ground into cracks that spread several meters long. But in the same way, Luo Wei's slash was dodged by Borg. Interesting. Once again being dodged by the opponent, Luo Wei frowned, with a hint of playfulness in his eyes. Not only did the attack not stop, but it was extremely coherent. Another blow from the finger pistol pierced like lightning. The Borg on the opposite side also moved almost at the same time, and immediately dodged to the side. But at this moment, Luo Wei's finger pistol suddenly changed direction, as if he had learned of Borg's movements, so Borg not only did not dodge, but seemed to slam into the finger pistol on his own initiative, and was hit by a point chest. Although he didn't stab the center, Borg still staggered back with a muffled grunt, and a deep blood hole was immediately exposed on his chest. It's amazing. I didn't expect that there are people like you among the prisoners. Is your observation haki self-awakened or cultivated? The fingers wrapped around Nianli were not stained with blood. Luo Wei lowered his arm and did not continue to attack. Instead, he looked at the opponent with interest and said. Covering the blood hole on his chest, he tried his best to reduce the blood loss. After just a few confrontations, Borg was already sweating profusely and panting heavily. When he heard Luo Wei's words, he was startled, hesitated for a while, and replied, I don't understand what you are talking about. What is observation haki? Advertisement. As if realizing that there was an absolute gap in strength between the two sides, Borg quickly said, I am willing to surrender. Don't you want the brand on our body? I can hand it over. I just ask you to save my life. Directly ignoring what the other party said later, Luo Wei's acting skills are very good at excluding the other party. Luo Wei did not see any trace of lying in the other party's expression. So it's just a lucky guy who didn't even know about haki, but accidentally awakened observation haki. Luo Wei's original sense of anticipation immediately faded away, and he curled his lips. Accidental awakening of observation haki is rare, but it is not impossible, just like Kebi in the original book of the Battle of the Top, who also awakened observation haki under emotional stimulation because of the cruel war without knowing haki. Luo Wei originally thought about whether he could get a copy of observation haki's practice method from the other party, but now, it is obviously impossible. Jung. Being bored, Luo Wei was naturally preparing to end this battle, striding forward, and a swift and brilliant knife light burst out from in front of him immediately. Looking forward to Luo Wei being able to let him go, Borg's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly used the insight of observation haki to evade. But unfortunately, Luo Wei's slash suddenly changed its trajectory halfway, as if he had predicted the direction of Borg's dodge. Observation haki's prediction is not absolute, and Luo Wei's mind field also has the ability to predict. In this case, the competition is whose prediction is sharper and whose strength is stronger. Chapter 58 Shocked Hina. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Obviously, Borg, who is only self-awakening and lacks practice methods, his observation haki prediction ability is not as sharp as Luo Wei's field of mind, and in terms of strength, there is a huge gap between the two sides. Standing with the knife closed, looking around the entire valley, under the perception of the field of thought, after confirming that no fish slipped through the net, Luo Wei wiped off the blood on the blade, began to clean the battlefield, and found the scorecards on the prisoners. Such scars and scenes were blown away by someone with a powerful force, and the cave on this side is too suspicious. No, I have to notify other people to come and check together. Hina looked at the corpses of the two prisoners embedded on the cliff opposite in amazement, and when her eyes swept over the cave beside her, she became alert. There seems to be a large-scale alliance of prisoners in this area, and two prisoners who were killed by bombing appeared beside the cave in front of them. With a cautious attitude, it is natural to investigate carefully. However, although Hina has confidence in her own strength, if there are really a large number of prisoners gathered in the cave, it is still too dangerous for her to enter alone, so she plans to contact other members of the patrol team. Tread. Suddenly, Hina paused when she took out the phone bug. The sound of footsteps coming from the cave made her feel awe-inspiring. She quickly jumped back and opened a distance, her beautiful eyes locked on the entrance of the cave. The appearance of footsteps disrupted her plan. Before she had time to contact other people, once the person who came out of the cave was a prisoner, she was ready to capture or kill him. Advertisement. Soon, with Hina gaining momentum, the sound of footsteps came to the entrance of the cave, followed by a figure wearing a somewhat torn marine uniform. The figure walking out of the cave was exactly Luo Wei, and the moment he appeared, he looked at Hina, who was looking at him guardedly not far away. He raised his eyebrows and was quite surprised. It's actually her. So she is also a rescuer. The field of mind has been maintained. Luo Wei naturally found someone outside the cave, but he didn't expect it to be Hina. However, in the past few days, he has already discovered through the field of mind that there are other people on the island besides recruits and prisoners. This group of people will not intervene in the battle between the recruit and the prisoners, but will rescue after the recruit activates the rescue device, so Luo Wei defines this group of people as Marine's rescue team. Hina, who has already graduated from the elite training camp, will appear on the island, so naturally he can only be one of the members of the rescue team. Recruit, report your name and training camp. On the other hand, although Hina didn't make a move because Luo Wei was wearing a marine uniform, she also didn't relax her vigilance because of this, but asked loudly. Prisoners kill recruits, and then change into recruit uniforms to confuse other recruits. Such things are not so rare. It is normal for Hina to be as vigilant as she is now. Because Luo Wei recognized Hina, he naturally would not suspect that the other party was a prisoner. After hearing the sound, he calmly said, "My name is Luo Wei, and I belong to the elite training camp of the headquarters." "Okay. You stand still and don't move, I need to verify your identity now." After Hina said something in a warning tone, she continued to stare at Luo Wei vigilantly while taking out the phone bug. Advertisement. Hi, I'm Hina, help me check if there is a recruit named Luo Wei in the elite training camp of this department, and describe this person's appearance at the same time. Understood, please wait. Lieutenant Colonel Hina, after checking, it is confirmed that there is indeed a recruit named Luo Wei in the elite training camp of the headquarters, and the general appearance of the other party is. After waiting for a while, the person opposite the phone bug had the result. While listening to the description of the phone bug, Hina looked around Luo Wei from time to time. There was no doubt that the appearance of the description was completely consistent. Trouble, I'm fine here. After confirming that it was correct, Hina really relaxed. After hanging up the phone bug, she walked towards Luo Wei. Recruit Luo Wei, did you solve these two prisoners? Coming closer, Hina pointed to the corpses of the two prisoners on the cliff and asked. Luo Wei nodded slightly and said, "Yes, so can I leave now?" "Wait a minute, you came out of this cave just now, are there any other prisoners in there? By the way, I haven't introduced yet. My name is Hina, and I'm one of the patrol team members of this recruitment contest." Quote. Normally, patrol personnel like Hina cannot be exposed to recruits, but because of what happened just now and to reassure Luo Wei of doubts, Hina simply revealed her identity. Naturally, Luo Wei was not surprised by this, and said, "So, there are indeed many prisoners in this cave, There is a small valley inside, and there must be more than 100 prisoners." "What? There are so many prisoners, wait, how did you get out?" Hina's face changed drastically when she heard that there were more than 100 prisoners, but she followed her and looked at Luo in surprised way. Isn't this obvious? Naturally, I got rid of the prisoners inside and walked out. Luo Wei said flatly. Advertisement. Hina frowned, and looked at Luo Wei suspiciously. So you solved more than 100 prisoners by yourself. Well, take me in and have a look. If it's true, then you can leave already. Then come with me. Luo Wei, who didn't want to waste any more time, turned around and walked back to the cave. Hina followed immediately, but she didn't have Luo Wei's relaxed expression, but kept on guard. Soon, the two of them passed through the tunnel and appeared in a small valley surrounded by walls. This is. Seeing the scene in the valley, Hina's pupils suddenly contracted into needles, with a shocked expression on his face. The blood-red ground, the stumped limbs and broken arms everywhere, and the pile of corpses in front of the cave, even Hina, who has experienced many times of fighting with pirates, can't help but feel his scalp tingling. Well, I can leave now. Luo Wei, who personally created the scene in front of him, naturally wouldn't react much. After entering the valley, he just turned around and looked at Hina beside him, and said calmly. Waking up from the shock, Hina looked at Luo Wei in disbelief. You really killed all these prisoners? Do you need me to show you the scorecards I got from these prisoners? Luo Wei frowned. He really didn't want to dawdle, not only because he couldn't wait to improve his strength with the sin value he harvested, but also because he didn't want to waste precious hunting time. Chapter 59. Double Promotion. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. There are only so many prisoners on the island. Even if other recruits cannot find prisoners as easily as him, it can be said that the number of prisoners is decreasing all the time. Rare harvest opportunities, every moment is very precious to Luo Wei. That's not necessary, I'm just a little surprised, I didn't expect that there would be a monster recruit like you in this year's recruit competition. Hina shook her head, glanced at Luo Wei with a complicated expression, and said with emotion in her tone. The term, monster, recruit first came from the establishment of the elite training camp, which was created by Kuzan, Sakazuki, and Pelusolino. Although it is described as a monster, the name, monster, recruit is not a derogatory term, but a very high compliment. Only one person eliminated more than 100 murderers with a reward of 5 million to 10 million berry. Luo Wei's combat power, even if it is not as good as the three admirals in the recruit period, but in Hina's cognition, it is already a monster, exist. I accept your compliment, since I'm fine, then I'm leaving. Luo Wei looked as usual, and after saying a few words, he turned around and entered the entrance of the cave, and left directly. What a frightening young man, not only his strength, but also his calm attitude after the killing. It should be said that such a person is fortunate to have joined the Marine. If he becomes a pirate, he will become an extremely dangerous existence. This time, Hina didn't stop her. After taking a deep look at the figure who disappeared into the cave, she unconsciously felt grateful. Advertisement. Walking out of the cave again, Luo Wei left without encountering any obstacles, and finally came to a cliff a few kilometers away. After the field of mind confirmed that there were no other people or danger within a radius of 1 kilometer, Luo Wei sank into his mind with a somewhat agitated consciousness, and checked the harvest situation. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nyen Nyen fruit. 5th level 07290ths. Open black lens bracket kendo. 5th level 07290ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 15,700 close black lens bracket. Phew. It's really lucky to find hundreds of prisoners at once this time. It actually allowed me to get more than 10,000 crime points in one go. Taking a deep breath, an unstoppable smile appeared on his face. Luo Wei only felt bursts of relief and joy. Even without counting the 9 prisoners he killed when he met Ain, the crime value of 15,700 points shown now is enough to prove that he gained tens of thousands of points after beheading hundreds of prisoners in the valley. Guilty value. With so many evil points, Nianian fruit and sword Dao are enough to raise another level. Looking forward to stronger strength, Luo Wei quickly began to add points. The first is Nianian fruit. The crime value is continuously invested, and soon reaches the 5th level full value, which is the experience value, 7,297,290ths. Just like the previous increase, the 5-level increase from 0 experience value to full experience value has fully increased the strength of the mind by 24,300 kilograms, making the strength of the mind jump from the original 24,200 to 48,500 kilograms. But this is not over yet. As Luo Wei added a little evil value to Nyen Nyen fruit again, Nyen Nyen fruit began to upgrade immediately, from the 5th level to the 6th level. Advertisement. Boom. The turbulent thought power almost formed a substantial air wave erupting from his body, and the air immediately formed a violent air flow visible to the naked eye under the strong squeeze. Under the terrifying power fluctuations, the rocks under Luo Wei's feet were all cracked and sunken, and a crater with a diameter of several meters was quickly formed. After upgrading to the 6th level, the strength of the Nianian fruit produced by Nianian fruit has undoubtedly skyrocketed again. making it increase by 24,300 kilograms in an instant, reaching the current terrifying 72,800 kilograms. 72,800 kilograms is 72.8 tons. With a force of more than 72 tons, this is undoubtedly a terrifying value, and it is also a force powerful enough to smash the earth and sweep across all directions. What a pleasant feeling. Under the spurt of thought power, an unparalleled sense of power filled his heart. Luo Wei opened his hands, and Hockey looked down at the lush forest under the cliff. The right hand stretched out into a palm, and gently waved it towards the forest below to press it down. In an instant, terrifying thoughts burst out and gathered, and an illusory giant palm with a square meter of more than 10 meters appeared immediately above the forest. As if covering the sky and blocking out the sun, the huge palm fell with unrivaled power under the billowing air waves, and the trees and rocks within the range collapsed one after another. Boom! A deafening roar resounded, the ground vibrated, and a large cloud of dust rolled up and filled the air. In the forest under the cliff, there suddenly appeared a huge pit with a depth of 5 or 6 meters, shaped like a palm. The power is not bad. The corners of his mouth were raised, and after a little test of the power of the Nianian fruit, Luo Wei smiled lightly and waved away the gathered Nianian power. Advertisement. It's the turn of Kendo. Attention was once again focused on the golden template, which also invested 7,290 evil points, and soon, the sword Dao also reached the full value of the 5th level. Although it is not as accurate as Nian Nian fruit to know the extent of improvement, but after reaching the full value of the 5th level, Luo Wei can also feel that his understanding of the realm of Kendo has greatly increased. Then there is the key breakthrough. Just like Nianian fruit, with the input of a little evil value, the Kendo immediately rises from the 5th level to the 6th level. Every upgrade is a qualitative transformation, and so is the way of swordsmanship. Luo Wei's consciousness trembled, and his comprehension of the realm of swordsmanship was like breaking a shackle and stepping into a higher level. Clang! With the blade unsheathed, Luo Wei jumped off the cliff in one step. When he fell, he turned around and slashed in midair, slashing towards the cliff where he was originally with a terrifying golden sword aura. Yes, it is sword energy, not chopping wave. Although it is also a flying chopping wave, it is different from vacuum chopping wave. Sword energy is a power that a swordsman can only comprehend after reaching the level of a swordsman. The same power, the sharpness of the sword energy is far better than the vacuum chopping wave. Chi chi chi. There was a tearing sound in the void, and the golden sword energy that was more than 20 meters long fell on the cliff in an instant. Amidst the surging air waves, the cliff trembled slightly, and then a huge crack that spread horizontally appeared. Chapter 60 Ending and Results. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The body did not continue to fall to the ground, but when approaching the dense canopy of the forest, Luo Wei suddenly stopped out of thin air, suspended in midair empty. Staying in the air without using moonwalk, all of this is naturally caused by the power of mind. With more than 72 tons of mental strength, it is too easy for Luo Wei to control his body to fly. Just stepping in midair, looking at the huge crack cut by him on the cliff in front of him, the corners of Luo Wei's mouth slightly raised. Although the depth of the crack cannot be seen clearly with the naked eye, under the investigation of the Nianji domain, it can be clearly found that the depth of the crack reaches more than 20 meters, which is comparable to the scale of sword energy. If the 5th level Kendo realm is only in the middle level of the swordsman's domain, then the 1st level Kendo realm is the upper level swordsman's domain. This is still in a state where the experience value of the 6th level is at 0. If the experience value is full, the sharpness of the sword energy will inevitably be enhanced. It's a pity that my current physical fitness is not strong enough, otherwise, the scale of sword energy should be able to expand a lot. In addition to being satisfied, there are also shortcomings, Luo Wei thought helplessly. Whether it is Nian Nian fruit or Kendo, they have improved too fast in the past few days, and the physical fitness that Luo Wei has finally caught up with has become a shortcoming again. Such as Kendo. Although the sharpness of the sword energy depends on the level of comprehension of the realm of the sword, but a strong arm can also increase the scale of the sword energy. Just like the sword chi that Luo Wei cut out just now, if he has the power to match 047 of the 6th level of Kendo, it will definitely be no problem to double the size of the sword chi. As for Nianian fruit, let alone the Nianian power released, the greater the intensity of the Nianian power, the more energy consumed is proportional to it. The situation seems to be back to when I first joined the elite training camp. Luo Wei was a little dumbfounded. Of course, although the situation is similar, the strength is no longer comparable to what it used to be. Advertisement. After this promotion, his combat power has undoubtedly been improved again. It can be said that it has advanced from the original low-level strong-level combat power to the middle-level powerful level combat power. Compared with Vice Admiral, some weaker headquarters in Marine, Luo Wei's current combat power is not weaker than these people at all. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level, 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket Kendo. 6th level, 021,870ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 1120 close black lens bracket. Checking the situation of the golden template again, looking at the amount of evil points left, Luo Wei did not continue to use it. Nian fruit and kendo have already far exceeded physical fitness. Although continuous improvement will still help the improvement of strength, it will also increase the burden on physical fitness. Instead of continuing to improve, it is better to enhance physical fitness first, and once hockey can also be included in the golden template, it will inevitably require a lot of evil points to improve. After thinking about it, Luo Wei decided to save all the crime points obtained from hunting the prisoners in the future for future use. Withdrawing his consciousness from his mind, he looked around and found a random direction to leave this area. Fighting with ferocious beasts, chasing with prisoners, and the 10-day recruit competition can be said to be a comprehensive test that combines survival, combat, investigation, and vigilance. On this day, Recruit Dobby ushered in the last day, and when the time was over, there was a huge explosion sound from the east coast, followed by a striking red signal flare rising from the sky. This is a signal of assembly, which means that the recruit competition is over, and all recruits must rush to the spot immediately after discovering the flare. The east coast is where the forest exudes a primitive atmosphere, and you can see the return of recruits one by one. In the absence of resources, the recruits were naturally dressed in rags, and some were even pale and emaciated. Obviously, within 10 days, they couldn't even guarantee food. Advertisement. It seems that this result was expected long ago, and a lot of food has been prepared on the coast to fill the stomachs of the returning recruits. Of course, not all the recruits were in a hurry to get food. Although some people were dressed in torn clothes, they didn't look hungry at all. Obviously, there was no shortage of food during the 10 days on the island. Recruits like this are naturally the ones with the highest strength. Even though the beasts on the island are extremely ferocious, they are still just food in their eyes. Luo Wei undoubtedly belonged to this category of people. After arriving at the coast, he waited in the rest area after being checked by the medical staff. All recruits listened to orders, line up and gather. Almost 2 hours later, no recruit appeared again, and at this time, F.A., who was the chief examiner, also stepped out. Following the loud orders of the adjutant standing behind, the recruits quickly assembled, regardless of the training camp, forming the simplest queue. Compared with 10 days ago, although the recruits looked very embarrassed now, they were much more energetic than 10 days ago. This is naturally the result of these 10 days of harsh tempering. The recruits have grown tremendously, not only in terms of fighting, but also in will and character. Now roll call. The adjutant said loudly again, and then started the roll call. It is enough to use a cruel competition, not to mention being injured, and even many people have stayed on this island forever. During the roll call, no one responded after the names of some people were read. Although they may still be on their way back, it is more likely that they have been killed by wild beasts or prisoners on the island. With such a situation, the atmosphere of the scene became heavy, and Zephyr's eyes darkened slightly as he stood in front of the queue. Even though he is mainly in charge of the recruits of the elite training camp, the recruits who can participate in this big competition are all elite talents in all aspects, so casualties are naturally a big loss. However, such harsh tempering is necessary. In the era of great pirates, where the power of pirates is getting stronger and stronger, Marine's future must be supported by true elites. When the roll call ended, nearly 100 recruits were marked as missing, because they did not respond. Let's start registering the results. Advertisement. Zephyr took a deep breath, and after adjusting his state, he gave instructions to the adjutant. Yes. The adjutant nodded, and then loudly said to the recruits, after 10 days, the recruit competition has come to an end. Now, according to the order of the queue, start registering the points earned by each person. As he spoke, the adjutant led the soldiers behind him to the queue and began to register one by one. G6 branch, Duke, scored 5 points. G5 branch, Darcy, scored 2 points. Elite camp, Harry, scored 0 points. First, you need to know the training camp you are in, and then check the scoreboard you got. Every time the adjutant registers a person's score, he will announce it loudly. A total of 1,100 recruits participated, and 1,000 prisoners were put on the island. If the 4 silver score cards are not counted, the total score of this competition is only 1,000 points. Among the announced scores, many people had only a few score cards, and many people didn't even have one. This kind of recruit with a 0 score naturally blushed with shame when the adjutant announced the result, and lowered his head, wishing to get into the cracks in the ground. Zephyr's face also gradually frowned under the continuous announcement of the results, and his face sank. Although the recruitment competition is very harsh, so far, the results of the recruits are really bad, and the poor ones are far beyond his minimum standard. Not only that, the elite training camp recruit he was in charge of was even more ugly, and most of them got 0 points. You must know that the elite training camp has always been the core of all recruit camps, and the resources they enjoy are also the best. Zephyr doesn't expect the results to be outstanding, but at least it must not be weaker than the recruits of the other 9 branches. But the result is that among the currently registered recruits, the recruits from the elite training camp have the worst comprehensive scores. 15%. Chapter 61, A Blessing in Disguise, Seeking Automatic Subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When I go back, I have to strengthen my training. I really can't relax for a moment when dealing with these little ghosts. As a Zephyr, he would naturally not be jealous of the 9 branches, but would only examine his own shortcomings. While feeling annoyed in his heart, he also looked at the recruits of the elite training camp with fierce eyes, his eyes full of unkindness. Feeling the gaze from the chief instructor, the elite training camp recruits with poor grades all shivered and felt a strong sense of shame. No way. Zephyr's prestige in the elite training camp is unimaginably high, the recruits respect Zephyr extremely, and now he is ashamed of the chief instructor, naturally ashamed. But fortunately, the elite training camp is not really inferior to the recruits of the 9 branches, there are still some people who perform very well. Elite camp, Bins, scored 57 points. Elite camp, Al Ain, scored 112 points. When 2 high scores appeared in a row, Zephyr's face suddenly eased a lot, from cloudy to sunny, with a smile on his face. Bins, who appeared first, scored 57 points, which can be said to directly break the highest record of the previous recruits, and after a few people, it was Ain's turn to score more than 100 points. It is worth mentioning that the reason why Ain's score is so high is because of the silver scorecard in the scorecard she submitted. Advertisement. This silver scorecard, 1 is equivalent to 100 points, and being able to show it, this naturally means that Ain has fought against a beast overlord on the island, and successfully captured it from the opponent's lair. With a score of more than 100, Ain undoubtedly replaced Bins and occupies the current highest score. It turned out to be a silver scorecard. Does that mean she defeated those monsters? That's amazing. Is this the true strength of the elite training camp? Wow. Is her name In? Not only is she beautiful, but she is also so strong. I don't know if there is a chance to meet her. The appearance of the silver scorecard naturally attracted the attention of other recruits, and at the same time, the super high score made Ain the focus of the audience. Beauty and strength, the combination of the two is very lethal. When many male recruits look at Ain, their eyes are very fiery. It turns out that the scorecard of the strange snake was taken away by Ian, no wonder I didn't find it after searching for a long time, and Ajij thought it was accidentally eaten by the strange snake and then digested. In the queue, upon hearing the adjutant's announcement and other recruits' discussions, Luo Wei glanced in Ain's direction quite unexpectedly. The 4 silver scorecards were respectively placed in the lairs of the 4 beast overlords on the island, and the 4 beast overlords were a 4-armed King Kong, a golden eagle with a wingspan of more than 20 meters, and an ancient tyrannosaur, and a giant python with a body length of tens of meters. The strange snake mentioned by Luo Wei is actually one of them, the giant python. When he thought of the giant python that he had broken down into countless pieces and even became his food, he couldn't help feeling speechless in his heart. He really shouldn't suspect that the scorecard was eaten by the opponent, otherwise he wouldn't chop it up in anger, and he wouldn't let the opponent even die and eat it. Brother Snake, you have to forgive me, I really didn't mean it. Luo Wei silently apologized. Advertisement. In, who was gathered by all kinds of amazed eyes, was actually not very happy. She was both grateful and worried. My choice of focusing on the silver scorecard is indeed correct. If it weren't for this, I'm afraid even Bins would not be able to compare with the points I got from the prisoners. This naturally has the credit of Luo Wei. If the scorecards collected a few days ago were not taken away, how could Ain take the risk to find the beast overlord on the island? It's just that I don't know who got the other 3 silver scorecards. I hope I can successfully enter the top 3. Ain thought anxiously. After gaining the sweetness of success, she naturally went to look for the other 3 beast overlords, but what she found were 3 appalling wreckages. This naturally proved that before her, someone had found the 3 beast overlords first, and took away the silver scorecards to which they belonged. A silver scorecard is 100 points, and IN's score is only over 12 points. If the winners of the other 3 silver scorecards exceed her score, then naturally it means that she will miss the top 3 rankings. Although Ain's high score caused a lot of commotion, the announcement of the results is still going on. After the adjutant continued to announce the results of the remaining recruits in the order of the queue, after more than half an hour, it was finally Luo Wei's turn. Recruit, tell me your name and the training camp you belong to. Luo Wei, I belong to the elite training camp. During the interrogation by the adjutant before him, Luo Wei explained his information. Okay, take out the scorecard you got. Wait, don't tell me that there are all scorecards in it. Advertisement. After the soldier in charge of the registration finished recording, the adjutant signaled to Luo Wei that he could take out the scorecard, but when he saw Luo Wei take out a rucksack from his back, his face showed a stunned expression. This rucksack was simply remodeled with prison uniforms. It looked very simple, but it was not small. In terms of scale, if it really contained scorecards, it would have to have at least 200 or 300 cards. Yes, there are all scorecards in here. Faced with the adjutant's astonishment, Luo Wei smiled and nodded, then grabbed both sides of the rucksack with both hands, and pulled it apart to reveal the inside. Stacked and piled up, the rucksack is really full of scorecards, and even on the top, you can see 3 special scorecards glowing silver. The adjutant's expression changed from stunned to shocked, and the soldiers who were in charge of registering the scores all of a sudden widened their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. Quick, count immediately and count the scores. It took a while for the adjutant to react from the shock, and immediately asked the soldiers to take the backpacks and count them. As a large number of scorecards were taken out from the rucksack, the recruits near Luo Wei were all dumbfounded after seeing it. My god, how come there are so many scorecards? How much is this? Just kidding, how did this person get so many scorecards? There are more than 100 of them here. Wait a minute, there are actually 3 silver scorecards, don't you want to be so exaggerated? Even discipline was ignored, and many recruits on the side even exclaimed, feeling as if the 3 views had been greatly impacted. Chapter 62 Commendation Conference, Seeking Automatic Subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. There are so many scorecards. In front of the queue, Zephyr was also attracted by this scene. After seeing the large number of scorecards counted by the adjutants, he also had a surprised expression on his face. Not far from the recruit queue, among the patrols that had withdrawn from the island, Hina had been paying attention to Luo Wei when the recruits' results were announced. Sure enough, this is the result. Not to mention the hundreds of prisoners in the valley, with this guy's strength, I wouldn't be surprised even if he got more scorecards. A look of understanding appeared in Hina's beautiful eyes. She was not surprised at all that Luo Wei had collected a large number of scorecards, but felt that it should be so. Of course, even so, after seeing the large number of scorecards being counted, Hina still had a higher understanding of Luo Wei. Not only is he powerful, but even his investigative ability is so amazing, and he is also good looking. As the opposite sex, no matter how high-sighted Hina is, he has to admit that Luo Wei is really dazzling among all the male recruits. Even if it wasn't for the age difference between the two of them, she would really feel excited. After all, for a woman, being in her 20s is a period of spring. After a long period of counting, Luo Wei's score was finally calculated. Elite Training Camp, Luo Wei, minus 623 points. The adjutant seemed to express his inner wonder, almost announcing the results with his loudest voice. As soon as this result came out, even the nearby recruits who had seen a lot of scorecards were shocked unparalleled. Advertisement. Unexpectedly exceeded 600 points, what the hell is going on? I just saw that there are 3 silver scorecards in his scorecard, which means that he has at least fought against 3 beast overlords. Damn, why is there such a big difference? What have I been doing these 10 days? Some were irritated and couldn't even speak clearly, some had an unbelievable expression, and even some had drooping faces and depression. George is undoubtedly the last one. He once regarded Luo Wei as his competitor, but at this moment, he found sadly that he didn't even have the qualifications to be Luo Wei's competitor. The gap between the two has not narrowed, but has widened desperate. IN also looked at Luo Wei's location in shock, and he also suffered a huge shock in his heart. 3 silver scorecards. So, the 3-headed overlord of beasts was killed by him, huh? Is it really worthy of being Luo Wei? It's so strong that people can hardly even see their backs. Quote. Feelings, low self-esteem, and inexplicable emotions came to my heart one after another, and an extremely complicated look gradually appeared in IN's beautiful eyes. Luo Wei, I didn't expect such an excellent seedling to be ushered in the training camp after such a long time. After this time is over, we must focus on cultivating it. When Zephyr looked at Luo Wei, he also showed surprise, and at the same time, he couldn't help but feel a strong expectation in his heart. After cultivating Kuzan and others in the early days, the situation of the elite training camp is going from bad to worse. Zephyr, who has retired from the front line, now the only thing he can do for Marine is to continuously cultivate excellent recruits, and what he wants most is naturally to reproduce the early glory of the elite training camp and cultivate monster recruits again. Although he didn't know the specific situation of Luo Wei, Zephyr still saw hope in Luo Wei from the amazing performance of this recruit competition. Advertisement. After Luo Wei, the scores of the remaining recruits went back to the beginning, either they only got a few points, or they got 0 points at the beginning. In fact, Luo Wei accounted for a large part of the reason why the recruits' grades were so poor in this recruit competition. Even without the silver scorecard, Luo Wei scored more than 300 points, equivalent to nearly 1/3 of the total score. Under such circumstances, unless there is someone who is as powerful as Luo Wei far beyond the others, or has the same investigative ability as the field of Nian, he will basically not get any high scores. The only one who got the highest score through the normal way was Bin's, and his efforts were not in vain. When the scores were counted, he ranked third. As for the second and first place, it is naturally Ain with 112 points and Luo Wei with 623 points. I announce that the top 3 points of this recruit competition are the third place, Elite Training Camp Bins, the second place, Elite Training Camp Ain, the first place, Elite Training Camp Luo Wei. 0****. Zephyr was naturally in charge of the final results announcement, and when he announced it, he was obviously in a good mood with a smile in his eyes. Although the results of most people in the elite training camp annoyed him very much, the appearance of the 3 Luo Wei made up for it very well. The elite training camp occupies the top 3 places, and Zephyr, who is in charge, naturally feels proud. When the results were announced, it was time to leave. The 4 warships that came had already docked at the coast, and all the recruits left after boarding the warships. As for the remaining prisoners on the island, after Luo Wei's large-scale cleaning and other recruit searches, it is estimated that there may not be even double digits in total. Advertisement. Of course, even so, Marine will not let it go, but will find out the remaining prisoners and send them back to the deep-sea prison. On a training ground of the elite training camp, a large number of people gathered at this time. Not only the recruits who participated in the recruit competition, but also many senior Marines are also on the leadership seats. Here, as the Marshal of the Marine, I will award medals to the excellent recruits who have won the top 3 places in this recruit competition. The 3rd place, Elite Training Camp Bins, was awarded the 3rd-class Individual Merit Medal. The 2nd place, Elite Training Camp Ain, was awarded the 3rd-class Individual Merit Medal. The 1st place, Luo Wei from the Elite Training Camp, was awarded the 2nd-class Individual Merit Medal. The medals are conferred, and now Admiral's representative, Kuzan Admiral, speaks. After a short rest for a day, the commendation meeting after the recruitment competition was officially held. Recruit Dabi has assembled almost all the elites of the new generation of Marine, and is also the future seed of Marine. Under such a situation, the top management of Marine naturally attached great importance to it. The people present included not only Kuzan as Admiral's representative, but also General Staff Crane and several Vice Admirals from the headquarters. Of course, the most important one is the Marshal Sengoku, and he is also responsible for the announcement of the top 3 rankings of the recruit competition. Chapter 63 Reward Arrangements. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marines' merits are ranked from low to high, which are 3rd-class merit, 2nd-class merit, 1st-class merit, and special merit. At the same time, it is also divided into collective and individual. There is no doubt that even if it is the same merit, individual merit must have more weight than collective merit. Before graduation, it is very rare for a recruit to obtain personal merit, and he will also receive better treatment in terms of military rank distribution when he graduates in the future. At the same time, it just confirmed the saying that Wen Wu is the first and Wu Wu is the second. In and Bins, who rank 2nd and 3rd, only received 3rd-class personal meritorious service, while Luo Wei, who won the 1st place but he has won a higher level of personal 2nd-class meritorious service. It can be said that if Luo Wei does not leave the Marine, he will at least be able to get the rank of a major after graduating from the elite training camp with this 260 merit. After the awarding of the medals, Luo Wei, Ain, and Bin stepped down from the leadership seats, and they also welcomed the envy and jealousy of many recruits in the audience. Ahem. For this recruit competition. At the leaders' table, Kuzan started his speech. Although after experiencing the Ohara incident, his acting style has become extremely lazy, but as admiral, he still maintains his majesty in formal occasions. Advertisement. The recruits in the audience, and even the instructors in charge of the security guards, stood upright and listened carefully to Kuzan's speech, and applauded desperately when they encountered important points. After Luo Wei returned to the queue, he also looked at the senior Marine executives on the leadership table. His gaze shifted from Sengoku to Kuzan, then to Crane, and finally fell on several vice admirals from the headquarters. Although the recruit competition this time allowed me to gain a lot of evil points, it also allowed me to enter the eyes of these Marine executives. If I leave during the next training ship expedition, I am afraid that I will be severely punished. Find out. Luo Wei thought silently. Of course, he will not regret it. After all, the risk is directly proportional to the benefit, and the benefits he got this time are enough for him to take risks. The commendation meeting ended without any disturbance. Unlike other recruits who were disbanded in place, Luo Wei, Ain, and Bins who won the top 3 came to Zephyr's office. Here, in addition to Zephyr, there are 3 other people who participated in the commendation ceremony and are Sengoku, Suru, and Kuzan, who are at the top of Marine's top management. Luo Wei is alright. Ian and Bins were very nervous when they saw the 4 people in the office. After the 3 saluted, Ian and Bins were a little heavy and did not dare to move. Don't be so nervous, we are not tigers that eat people. Little girl, your name is Ian, right? Do you want to join me after graduation? It was Crane who spoke. As a woman and a highly intelligent person, she immediately showed a warm smile after discovering the tension between Ain and Bins, especially for Ain, who is also a woman. She showed kindness and kindness. In addition to serving as the general staff in the Marine, Crane also has an army composed of all female Marines, so she takes special care of every female Marine, and is admired and respected by many female soldiers. Advertisement. In naturally also admired he very much. He forgot his nervousness in surprise, and said excitedly, "Is it really possible, he Vice Admiral? I am very willing to join your command." In the original book, although In finally entered the scientific research department, if there is no accident of the internship shipwreck, perhaps in the future she will really be very likely to do heavy work under Crane's hands. That's why there is a saying that plans are not as good as changes. Then we can agree. I am looking forward to the day you graduate. When Crane saw Ian's performance, his smile became more attractive, as if he recognized Guion, who was quite different in age, as his younger sister. She really took good care of the outstanding girl Marine. Ahem. Ian, he Vice Admiral is a very good woman. If you can join her, as a teacher, I look forward to your performance in the future. As the owner of this place, FA also said with a smile. Although his nominal position is the chief instructor, he prefers to let the recruits in the training camp call him a teacher, and he usually calls himself a teacher in front of the recruits. Whether it's friendship with Crane's comrades in arms, or out of the teacher's love, Zephyr obviously agrees with Ains joining Crane's command. Yes, Teacher Zephyr, I will work harder. Advertisement. Ian naturally nodded again and again, and at the same time felt that the whole person was enveloped by happiness, and his heart was full of joy. Seemingly realizing that Luo Wei and Bins had been neglected, Sengoku also said at this time, okay, let's get down to business first. As he said that, he looked at Luo Wei, Ain, and Bins, and said with a smile, Luo Wei, Ain, and Bins, the three of you won the top 3 places in this recruitment competition. Although the medals have just been awarded, there is another reward for your outstanding performance. I think the instructor of Zephyr should have told you about the reward arrangements, so then you can talk about what you need for the rewards. Well, let's start with Bins. Bins swallowed, relieved his tension, and then said cautiously, well, Marshal, I want a devil fruit as a reward 1.0, can I do it? Devil fruit. You got the 3rd place. It is not impossible to use devil fruit as a reward, but with your reward standard, I am afraid that you can only get ordinary zone or paramecia devil fruit. Can you accept such a reward? Quote. Sengoku nodded slightly, and then explained some things asking to the telegraph. Bins hesitated for a while, but finally nodded solemnly, I am willing to accept this reward. Naturally, he also thought of obtaining a powerful devil fruit, but the more powerful a devil fruit is, the rarer it is, and how can it be obtained casually? Percent. Chapter 64 Zephyr's Favor, Seeking Automatic Subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In this recruit competition, Luo Wei and Ain, who ranked ahead of him, both had demon fruit power, which undoubtedly made Bins have a strong desire for devil fruit. Okay, since you have no objection, I will send someone to notify you afterwards, and I will pick out a suitable devil fruit for you to choose. Sengoku nodded. Marine naturally has a lot of devil fruits in its inventory, especially devil fruits with ordinary abilities, which are quite a few. Sengoku did not choose one randomly, but handed over the initiative to Bins himself, which can be said to be his special care for excellent recruits. What about you, Ain, what reward do you want? After dealing with Bins's reward, Sengoku then looked at Ain. In didn't even think about it, or he had already thought about it, and said in a charming voice, return to Marshal, I want to use the famous knife as a reward. Every 09 swordsman hopes to own a famous sword, and so does Ain. Well. You are the 2nd place, if it's just Liang Kuaidao, is there any problem? Sengoku asked. Advertisement. No. In shook her head. For her, being able to get the famous knife is already very gratifying. Although Liang Kuaidao is ranked at the end of the famous knife, she is already very satisfied. After arranging the rewards for Ain and Bins, it was naturally Luo Wei's last turn. Sengoku naturally paid more attention to Luo Wei, who won the 1st place in the recruit competition and far surpassed other recruits. Luo Wei, you are number 1 in the recruit competition, tell me about your needs for rewards, and I will do my best to help you meet them. Sengoku's tone became a lot more serious, which also proved that he valued Luo Wei. Not only Sengoku, but he and Kuzan, who had never spoken, also stared at Luo Wei, obviously wanting to see what kind of reward Luo Wei would choose. Back to Marshal, I hope to get the practice method of armed color and observation hockey, If I can say it, it is best to be the practice method compiled by Teacher Zephyr or Vice Admiral Garp. Luo Wei said his request frankly with a smile neither humble nor overbearing, even after a pause, he deliberately added a sentence at the end. Looking at the powerhouses in Marine, in terms of hockey, the most outstanding ones are undoubtedly Zephyr and Garp who have no fruit ability but have reached the level of world-class combat power. Taking the 1st place, Luo Wei felt that there would be no problem with the hockey practice method as a reward, so he raised the standard of the practice method. You want hockey's training method? Sengoku said in surprise. Advertisement. Crane, Kuzan and Zephyr also looked surprised. At first, they thought that Luo Wei would ask for a famous sword as a reward. After all, according to their understanding, Luo Wei is already a demon fruit power, and he has also practiced kendo, so he may ask for it in kendo. As for the hockey practice method proposed now, they really didn't expect it. After all, Marine's training mechanism is very perfect. After reaching a certain military rank, even if they don't mention it, they will pass on the hockey practice method. With Luo Wei's potential, it is only a matter of time before he gets hockey's practice method, and it seems like a waste of a good opportunity to use it as a reward. However, after the accident, Sengoku and the others had to admit that Luo Wei's choice seemed to be a waste of opportunity, but in fact it was very smart and correct. If it is just an ordinary hockey practice method, it is naturally cheap, but if it is a hockey practice method compiled by Garp or Zephyr, it is extremely precious. Zephyr and Garp undoubtedly have far superior insights and experiences in hockey, and the practice methods they compiled are equivalent to the peerless magic skills in the world of martial arts. It is also the practice of inner strength. The ordinary inner strength mentality is naturally very different from the peerless magic. What an unexpected choice, but also very smart. Crane glanced at Luo Wei appreciatively, and sighed inwardly. Sengoku frowned slightly, looking at Luo Wei, who has been very calm and indifferent since he came in, completely different from Ain and Bin's. He hesitated in his heart. His hesitation is not without reason, because the hockey practice method compiled by Zephyr and Garp is too precious, no less than a powerful Logia devil fruit, and the reward standard of being the first in the recruit competition is far from enough. Advertisement. However, as far as he knows, Luo Wei's performance in the recruit competition is very good, and his strength far exceeds that of other Shinli players. With Luo Wei's age and strength, it is enough to prove that he has great potential, not to mention becoming the vice admiral of the headquarters in the future, and even becoming an admiral has hope. Treating exceptionally outstanding people naturally requires more preferential treatment, so Sengoku, who should have been very decisive, really didn't know whether he should agree to Luo Wei's request. Okay. No problem on my side, Luo Wei, you want my hockey practice method, I can teach you after today. At this moment, Zephyr suddenly said. 903 He doesn't have as many ideas as Sengoku. In his opinion, Luo Wei is good enough for him to train with all his strength, and he originally planned to train Luo Wei into a monster recruit after Kuzan and the other three. When speaking, Zephyr also looked at Luo Wei with admiration. Although Luo Wei has demon fruit power, being able to use hockey's practice method as a reward at this time is enough to show that Luo Wei is not the kind of person who relies on devil fruit. Just as he has always been displeased with Pelusalino, who is a negative example, Luo Wei now rewards the hockey practice method, which makes Zephyr appreciate it very much. Zephyr's opening undoubtedly broke Sengoku's hesitation. He glanced at his old comrade in arms in surprise, and after seeing Zephyr's admiring gaze towards Luo Wei, he realized it in his heart. Ahem. Since you are fine, Zephyr, then Luo Wei, I have approved your request, and Zephyr's chief instructor will teach you how to practice hockey. It is impossible for Sengoku to refute the face of his old comrade in arms at this time, and Zephyr's statement is like the last straw that overwhelmed the camel's camel, making his hesitation come to fruition. Chapter 65. Pain-provoking method. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Thank you, Teacher Zephyr, and Marshal Sengoku for your permission. Luo Wei first bowed slightly towards Zephyr, and then saluted Sengoku. Although both of them agreed in the end, Luo Wei could see that if Zephyr hadn't opened his mouth, Sengoku might not have agreed to his subsequent request. Therefore, for Zephyr, he is really grateful, but because of this, he has complicated emotions in his heart. He's leaving Marine after all, and that's bound to create a rift between him and Zephyr. He obviously didn't want to stay bound, but in the end he did. Even Luo Wei, who has always been firm and decisive in his heart, couldn't help feeling a little confused. After leaving the office, Luo Wei returned to the dormitory silently. The reason why I work so hard to become stronger is not only because of my desire for great power, but also because I want to live an unfettered life without any suppression. The form of Marine, it can be said that I am destined to stay here and I will be bound, so, leaving is a must. After examining his heart, Luo Wei took a deep breath, and finally did not change his original intention. However, he will not ignore Zephyr's kindness, so he needs to repay it. Edward Weeble. Advertisement. Luo Wei lowered his eyelids, murmured a name in a low voice, his half-hidden eyes gradually revealed a sharp gaze. Originally, he didn't want to participate in the internship ship attack incident, but now, in order to repay Zephyr's heavy kindness, he must solve the hidden danger of Weeble. Although the recruit competition caused great disturbance in the elite training camp, it gradually calmed down as time passed. At the same time, as the top three winners, Luo Wei, Ain, Binz and Bashi received their respective awards in the next few days. It is worth mentioning that the devil fruit obtained by Binz is exactly the lush fruit. It can be seen that the butterfly effect will change a lot, but some people or some things will still develop along the original track. As for Ain, she naturally got the famous knife as she wished, and it was a rare pair among famous knives. Compared with the one-knife style, the double knife style is more skill-oriented, and the pair of famous knives obtained by Ain is still a pair of short swords, which has high requirements for skills. However, as a woman, she is weaker than a man in terms of strength, so the dual sword style is a very good choice for a female swordsman. In may also be in this consideration, that's why he changed from the original one-sword style to the double sword style. As for Luo Wei, he naturally obtained Zephyr's hockey practice method smoothly, and even got Zephyr's personal guidance. The reason why hockey is not taught in elite training camp. Advertisement. One is because practicing armament hockey requires considerable physical fitness, and the other is to prevent recruits from being distracted, so that they can concentrate more energy on laying a good foundation. In terms of physical fitness, Luo Wei's power value has improved rapidly. Up to now, He has not only broken through the level of 600 power value, but has even started to move towards 700 power value. Such rapid growth is not only due to the better and better body training effect of the vibration tempering technique, but also partly due to the help brought by the cultivation of the superhuman technique Marine 6 styles. With a physical strength of more than 600 points, Luo Wei has already met the standard for practicing armament hockey. As for the problem of distraction, he who has the golden template naturally doesn't have this problem. Luo Wei first started to practice armament hockey. Although armament hockey has one more physical requirement than observation hockey, in fact, the cultivation difficulty of observation hockey is definitely higher than that of armament hockey. Even in the new world where hockey is quite common, there are far more people who master armament hockey than those who master observation hockey. Mastering Zephyr's hockey practice method, coupled with his own personal guidance, Luo Wei can be said to have an innate advantage in the practice of armament hockey. Hockey is the potential power that everyone has, but most people don't realize this power, and they can't even use it in their whole life. Now that you are practicing armament hockey, you must stimulate the power hidden in your body. The best way is to constantly oppress your body and make it awaken instinctively. On the independent training ground, Luo Wei only wore a pair of trousers and was bare-chested, allowing several instructors around him to beat his body with iron bars from all angles, while Zephyr was explaining from time to time, and from time to time let Luo Wei adjust the way of muscle exertion. Advertisement. The iron rod kept hitting him. Without using the iron body to defend, but relying on his own body to resist, even with Luo Wei's current physical strength, he couldn't remain indifferent. Moreover, in order to better oppress the body, the iron rod has been soaked in a special potion, so that it will cause greater pain when it is whipped on the body. The first step in the armament hockey practice method compiled by Zephyr is to use extreme pain to stimulate armament hockey. Luo Wei believed that it was impossible for Zephyr to fool himself in this regard, so even though he was shocked at the beginning of this pain stimulation method, he still started to practice unswervingly. With the continuous smashing of the iron rod, red marks soon appeared on Luo Wei's naked upper body. After all, the instructors are all professional, deserved, and they are very clever about the whipping technique. They managed to completely infiltrate the force of the iron rod into the flesh and blood without causing Luo Wei to be bruised. Of course, with such excellent skills, Luo Wei suffered the greatest pain without any omission, and the pain caused the veins on his forehead to burst. Even armament hockey, which is less difficult to learn, is not easy to inspire. After 2 hours of whipping, Luo Wei's body turned red and he experienced extreme pain, but he didn't arouse armament hockey in the slightest. Drink the nutrient solution immediately, rest for 10 minutes, and continue the second round of oppression. With a wave of Zephyr's hand, an instructor immediately sent a bottle of nutrient solution to Luo Wei's hand, and at the same time, he only gave Luo Wei 10 minutes to breathe. Chapter 66 Inspiration and Recording 6th. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The nutrient solution contains rich nutrients, which can be absorbed quickly and nourish the body at the same time. After drinking the nutrient solution with some trembling in his body, Luo Wei immediately used the digestion technique to speed up the absorption of the nutrient solution. Absorbing the nutrient solution to the greatest extent, the pain on Luo Wei's body has been well relieved, but he has also started the second round of the pain-style stimulation method. A round of 2 hours, with a 10-minute break each time, Zephyr will provide Luo Wei with a bottle of nutrient solution. Under such a cycle, Luo Wei's body is not only under extreme pressure all the time, but also uses the nutrient solution to prevent Luo Wei's body from leaving dark wounds under the pressure. Normally, even for the recruits of the Genius Camp, the distribution of nutrient solution is only 1 bottle every 3 days, but Luo Wei consumed 5 bottles of nutrient solution during his 1-day practice. Such resource investment naturally benefits from Zephyr's total instructor authority. Wanting to train Luo Wei into a monster recruit, he has already personally instructed him, so naturally he will not be stingy with the investment of resources. For 3 days in a row, Luo Wei has maintained the practice state of painful triggering. The extreme pain is not only a huge oppression to the body, but also a great test of the will. Simply, the vibration tempering technique, developed by Luo Wei itself, will cause unimaginable pain when tempering the body. 113, so in terms of will, his endurance is far beyond others. No matter how painful the pain was, Luo Wei never said a word, nor did he complain. His performance is naturally seen by Zephyr, which also makes Zephyr appreciate Luo Wei more and more. Advertisement. I practiced hockey during the recruit period, and it's not like it didn't appear, just like the 3 monsters recruits in the past. Kuzan, Sakazuki, and Pelusolino were like this. The 3 of them also received Zephyr's personal guidance during the recruit period, but even Sakazuki, who has the strongest will, did not perform as well as the current Luo Wei in the process of motivating armament hockey. With such an amazing will, he might really be able to reach Kuzan's level. Zephyr felt Shunan couldn't help feeling a sense of expectation. On the 3rd day of the pain stimulation method, during another round of beating with sticks, suddenly Luo Wei, enduring the extreme pain, felt a strange aura emerging from his body. Almost subconsciously, this strange breath flowed to the back, and it also made the iron rod whipped on the back make the sound of clashing gold and spears as if hitting steel, and then suddenly bounced high. This sudden turn of events not only made the instructor holding the iron bar stop immediately, but also made Zephyr, who was watching from the side, lighten up and a smile appeared on his face. Finally inspired, Zephyr waved his hand to signal for others to stop, and then walked in front of Luo Wei. Luo Wei also reacted naturally. The iron rod that hit his back just now hardly made him feel any pain, and although the strange breath flowing to his back dissipated after receiving the attack, that feeling was definitely not his illusion. Well, you should feel it too, Zephyr said with a smile when he saw the change in Luo Wei's expression. Luo Wei nodded, but said hesitantly, I can feel it, but I can't seem to control it, and the feeling just now has disappeared again. It's normal, you only slightly stimulated a little armament hockey hidden in your body just now, not to mention the real mastery, even the activation is not complete. Advertisement. But you don't have to worry, since there are already signs of arousal, then the next practice will not be a big problem, just continue to press like this, and the armament hockey hidden in your body will be fully aroused. Zephyr said with a smile. 10 days is neither short nor long. Although there is continuous input of nutrient solution, AGD armament hockey can be stimulated within 10 days. The hockey qualifications shown by Luo Wei are still very satisfying to Zephyr Of course, it is still just at the stage of stimulation, not to mention proficient use, even the complete stimulation has not yet been achieved. Normally, it would take at least half a month to a month for Luo Wei to stimulate all the armament hockey hidden in his body, and then he would need special training to master it. As that's so, Teacher Zephyr, I want to think about the feeling just now, can I stop for a while? After receiving Zephyr's explanation, Luo Wei also understood his current situation, his heart moved slightly, and he asked without leaving a trace on his face. Zephyr nodded and said, yes, although your armament hockey has just inspired some, but it is the first step, if you can figure out some insights from it. It will be helpful for the next thorough stimulation and mastery. After getting the approval, Luo Wei ignored the scorching sun and sat down on the spot. Zephyr also left temporarily after resting the other instructors. Although his main energy is now on Luo Wei, but if he has free time, he will also visit other recruits. After sitting cross-legged, Luo Wei seemed to close his eyes to rest his mind in order to figure it out, but actually his consciousness sank into his mind. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket kendo. 6th level 021,870ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket armament hockey. Getting started 1/30th close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 10,600 close black lens bracket. When Luo Wei saw the information displayed on the golden template consciously, Luo Wei's heart relaxed, and he almost had a smile on his face. Sure enough, armament hockey, which also belongs to the strength ability, has also been successfully recorded by the golden template. Luo Wei thought happily. He tried to increase the crime value almost immediately. In the last few days of the recruit competition, even though other recruits also killed many prisoners, Luo Wei still hunted down nearly 100 prisoners, making his crime value break through 10,000 again. After consuming a little evil value, the value displayed by armament hockey has been upgraded from the original entry, 1/30th, to entry 2/30ths, without any suspense. Chapter 67 Armed Forces beginning, please subscribe automatically. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At the same time as the experience points increased, Luo Wei also immediately felt the strange aura emerging from the body again, and it was more than the previous one. There is no doubt that this strange aura is armament hockey lurking in his body. Maybe it's because it hasn't been fully stimulated yet, the armament hockey that emerges is very weak, and soon disappears again. It has been verified that armament hockey can also use the evil value to increase, so let's increase it to the entry, full value first. Luo Wei is not in a hurry to use the evil value on a large scale. After all, he has just been inspired now. If he suddenly raises armament hockey to a very high level, it cannot be explained by excellent aptitude. Therefore, the first promotion to the full value of the entry stage is a relatively reasonable performance that Luo Wei created for outsiders. Although the progress is still amazingly fast, at least it can be explained by excellent aptitude. Soon, armament hockey's progress quickly reached the entry 30/30ths under the investment of sin value. After reaching this level, Luo Wei also found that the armament hockey hidden in his body was completely activated. Although it is still not easy to control, armament hockey, which emerges spontaneously from time to time, has a much stronger richness than at the beginning. After completing the ascension, Luo Wei still maintained the appearance of keeping his eyes closed, and when he felt that it was almost the same, he stood up pretending that the realization was over. Advertisement. At this time, Zephyr was also shopping around and came back after pointing out a few recruits. Naturally, the practice started again. After several instructors came around Luo Wei, they immediately continued to beat him. Boom. The first blow was made, because Luo Wei hadn't controlled armament hockey freely, so he wanted to defend, but because he couldn't control it, he took another blow firmly. But when another instructor slapped his shoulder with an iron rod, armament hockey was lucky enough to be controlled by Luo Wei, and he rushed to his shoulder. As if hitting the steel, the iron rod was just bounced off, and the instructor who was caught off guard was shocked back a few steps. Huh. Zephyr on the side also showed a surprised expression. After the armament hockey was fully stimulated, even if Luo Wei hadn't practiced yet, the strength of the armament hockey that emerged was much stronger than that at the beginning. Wait, stop for a moment. Zephyr hastily stopped the whipping of other instructors, before he said to Luo Wei with a strange expression, "Did you realize something just now?" Luo Wei, who had been prepared for a long time, nodded and said as usual, "Well, I just tried to stimulate armament hockey again. Although it is still not effective from time to time, in the process, more and more armament hockey emerge every time." Speaking of this, Luo Wei paused for a moment, hesitated, and said, "Teacher Zephyr, according to the hockey practice method you gave me, I feel that my armament hockey has reached a state of complete stimulation." Advertisement. Although he had already guessed, after hearing Luo Wei's words, even with Zephyr's heart, he was still a little shocked. He stopped suddenly, naturally because he discovered the abnormality of Luo Wei's armament hockey. Armament hockey, who had Luo Wei wrapped around his shoulders and bounced off the iron rod just now, was not as strong as the previous one. The so-called full stimulation means that every inch of flesh and blood in the body can produce armament hockey. At the same time, although the strength of armament hockey can be improved through practice, the initial stimulation stage depends on one's own physical fitness. The best example is the fight between Luffy and Burndy World in the original book. At that time, Luffy, who had not yet mastered armament hockey freely, was still in the motivating stage, because his physical fitness was already very strong, so even if he hadn't mastered hockey yet, the strength of hockey was already capable of competing with Burndy, who had lost his strength due to being frozen for many years. World. With Luo Wei's physical fitness, the strength of the armament hockey he just unleashed can also be said to have reached the maximum limit of his own physical fitness without practicing. 0. Seeking flowers. And this is also the best proof that he really has completely inspired armament hockey. Of course, Zephyr also noticed this, so he also agreed with what Luo Wei said. I didn't expect him to have such high aptitude on armament hockey. He was just aroused, but after thinking about it for a while, he actually reached a fully aroused state. Advertisement. Can't help being amazed in his heart, Jifa's eyes on Yao Wei are obviously brighter. Under information asymmetry, even Zephyr was successfully confused by Luo Wei, pushing his amazing performance inspired by armament hockey to his aptitude. Point 0. Of course, the practice has not yet come to an end. After completing the stimulation of armament hockey, the next step is to control armament hockey freely. After praising and encouraging Luo Wei, Zephyr allowed Luo Wei to enter the second step of practice. In the following process, Luo Wei was continuously beaten with an iron rod. Motivation and control, the practice methods of the two are almost like withdrawing. Unable to dodge, using extreme pain stimulation, in order to avoid the pain, Luo Wei can only try to control armament hockey to defend. Although it was painful, Luo Wei persisted for 2 full days in order not to behave too much beyond common sense, and then showed his amazing aptitude once again, completing armament hockey's free control. After completing this stage of practice, Luo Wei can be said to have truly entered the right track in the practice of armament hockey. Next, he only needs to follow Zephyr's practice method to practice alone. However, although the practice of armament hockey has come to an end, the practice of observation hockey has just begun. Luo Wei didn't give himself time to rest at all. After armament hockey got on track, he immediately asked Zephyr to teach him how to practice observation hockey. Chapter 68 Application Level 8th. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. With his eyes covered by a black cloth, completely obscuring his vision, Luo Wei started his life as a human sandbag again. In the initial practice of the two kinds of hockey, the methods actually have a lot in common. The only difference is that Luo Wei cannot dodge when armament hockey inspires him, but when observation hockey inspires him, he needs to dodge with all his strength to hit the iron rod that hit him while losing his vision. Just like the reason why I chose to practice armament hockey first, observation hockey is much more difficult to practice. It took 3 days to motivate armament hockey Luo Wei, it has been revised before, not 10 days but 3 days, and observation hockey, he was beaten for more than 10 days before he was stimulated. Like armament hockey, observation hockey was also successfully recorded by the 50 golden template after being inspired. After that, Luo Wei waited for another 3 days before using the evil value to raise the progress of observation hockey to the stage of mastering. At night, in the dormitory, Luo Wei sank into his mind, checking the situation of the golden template. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level, 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket Kendo. 6th level, 021,870ths, close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket armament hockey. First order, 090ths, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket observation hockey. First order, 090ths, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 10,540 close black lens bracket. Now both armament hockey and observation hockey have been controlled. Although it is only the most basic level of mastery, the next practice only needs to be deliberately controlled in front of Zephyr, so even if the network is greatly increased, it will not be released. The purpose of saving so much evil value is for hockey. Now that his practice is on the right track, he won't be under Zephyr's attention all the time like before. Luo Wei is naturally ready to start a real improvement. Now there are still 10,540 evil points. According to the triple increase of the experience value after each upgrade, Luo Wei spent 3,604 evil points respectively to raise the two kinds of hockey to the 5th level in one fell swoop. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level, 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket Kendo. 6th level, 021,870ths, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket armament hockey. Tier 5, 07,290ths, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket observation hockey. Tier 5, 07,290ths, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 3,332 close black lens bracket. Looking at the golden template that was constantly refreshed to show the latest information, Luo Wei stopped moving. Advertisement. Although there are still more than 3,000 evil points left, it is not enough to upgrade any kind of power. Instead of using it, it is better to keep it for an emergency. As this the 5th level hockey. After stopping the promotion, Luo Wei also felt the enhancement of the other two hockey. He raised his right arm in front of him, and with a thought, a strange aura wrapped around him, and a jet black luster-like metal appeared on his arm. When the other arm was also wrapped around armament hockey, Luo Wei touched the two arms, and the two immediately made a sound like a clash of golden swords. There is also observation hockey. When he concentrates on launching it, in an instant, the invisible perception network spreads in all directions, until it reaches a range of nearly 10 kilometers. Within this range, various auras and fluctuations are fed back one after another, enabling Luo Wei to accurately lock the position of these auras and predict actions. It can be said that purely in terms of strength, whether it is armament hockey or observation hockey, after entering the 5th level, they have reached an extremely profound level. Even in the new world, with Luo Wei's current hockey cultivation level, it is enough to be called a hockey master. Of course, no matter what kind of power it is, it needs to be used perfectly to exert its true power. Otherwise, it is like brute force. Even if the power is stronger than others, it will still be weakened by a power weaker than yourself under rough skills, but Grandmaster skills people to suppress. Take armament hockey as an example. The improvement of the evil value only increases its strength, and in the field of armament hockey, how to use it is very critical. In the practice method compiled by Zephyr, the application method of armament hockey is also described in detail, and it is even divided into 4 levels from low to high. The lowest level of application is winding. This is also the level that Luo Wei is at now, just wrapping the armament hockey on the surface of the body or the weapon very simply. Advertisement. Although such an application method can increase the offensive and defensive power, it will cause unnecessary consumption and dissipation, that is to say, it cannot fully exert the strength that armament hockey should have. Intermediate applications are hardened. This is the watershed for armament hockey from a novice to a master. Armament hockey hardening means integrating armament hockey into flesh or weapons, which is somewhat similar to changing the source of matter. Such an application can eliminate the defects of low-level applications, so that the power of armament hockey can be fully exerted, and it will not cause unnecessary consumption. Then there are advanced applications. The advanced application of the armed color kitchen gas is the external release. After reaching this stage, armament hockey will have the effect of leaving the body, that is, it will be shot out of the body, and then attack the enemy in the air. Even in the new world, there are very few people who can use armament hockey to an advanced level, and each of them must be extremely powerful. The final top app is Infiltration, 5.6. In addition to the intermediate and advanced application effects at this stage, the biggest performance is the ability to drive armament hockey into the target, and then cause damage from the inside. Attacks from the inside out and attacks from the outside in, the destructiveness produced by the two is absolutely vastly different. The application of the 4 levels of entanglement, hardening, external release, and infiltration is the way armament hockey is used. Although Luo Wei's armament hockey has reached the 5th level, and its strength is not weaker than those of hockey masters who have practiced for decades, but in terms of application, it is still only a low-level application for novices, that is, entanglement. Chapter 69 Internship Ship Expedition, 9th Update. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As for observation hockey, Naturally, it also has different levels of applications. Sensing location and predicting attacks are just the most basic low-level applications, followed by high-end applications such as sensing the strength of creatures, sensing emotions and thinking, spiritual communication, and predicting the future. On Zephyr's hockey practice method, except for observation hockey, which only has a description of the top-level application and has no actual practice method, the 4 levels of armament hockey have detailed practice explanations. Excluding the other parties' reservations, then Zephyr's hockey practice, armament hockey's application should have reached the top level, and observation hockey's application is slightly inferior. Luo Wei thought thoughtfully. Zephyr in its heyday is undoubtedly a world-class combat power, otherwise it would not be able to ascend to the position of Marine Admiral. In the case of not being demon fruit power and swordsman, his strength undoubtedly comes from physique and hockey. Although he lacks the practice method of observation hockey top application, Luo Wei is not dissatisfied with it. Compared with others, he is very lucky to get Zephyr's hockey practice method. Because Zephyr 09 attached great importance to Luo Wei gained greater freedom in his practice in the following days. Advertisement. With the help of the vibration tempering body technique, in terms of physical fitness, he no longer needs regular exercise. In addition to physical training, in the rest of the time, Luo Wei's energy was spent on the 6 styles, swordsmanship, hockey application, and fruit move development. Although his physique is mediocre, his learning talent is extremely high. Therefore, when he practices the 6 styles, the application of hockey, etc., which are classified as skills, the speed of progress can be said to be very fast. In the half-year assessment of the Genius Camp, the method of actual combat is to build a training ship and crusade against pirates. Because the time to go to sea is 1 month, the half-year assessment time of the Genius Camp will be 1 month earlier than that of the regular camp, and the actual combat assessment will be conducted first. After the recruitment competition ended, time passed quietly, and soon about 2 months passed, and at the same time, Luo Wei ushered in the first half-year assessment after entering the talent camp. On this day, all the recruits of the Genius Battalion gathered at a port in Marineford, and at the same time, a large warship had already docked here. Hundreds of recruits quickly boarded the warship, led by Zephyr himself, and officially started this expedition on the training ship. On the warship of the training ship, not only the recruits of the Genius Battalion and the instructor team headed by Zephyr are also equipped with many elite soldiers and a complete logistics force. The training ship is mainly for recruits to hone their strength by fighting pirates, and the sailing of warships naturally requires relevant personnel to operate. Of course, recruits don't just need to stay in the cabin to rest and wait before encountering pirates, but will be assigned to various positions in turn, and get familiar with the process of sea navigation through practical operations. Advertisement. Sailing at sea is actually a very boring thing. At the beginning, you may be excited by the vastness of the sea, but after a long time, it will become boring. A few days passed quickly after the training ship went to sea, but no pirates were found. On the contrary, the recruits, including Luo Wei, took turns in the positions of helmsman, whistler, sailor, etc., and transformed the maritime knowledge learned in the training camp into practical operation ability. Because I have never encountered a pirate, the recruit who has already gone on a training ship is okay, but Xinxian, who is still going to sea for the first time, gradually becomes anxious. Although Luo Wei is not like this, after going out to sea, he has always been tense in his heart. As long as there is a slight disturbance, he will immediately use observation hockey or the field of thoughts to investigate. Such a move was naturally because he was guarding against Weibel's appearance. Although it is still uncertain whether this expedition of the training ship is the period when the training ship was attacked, in the original book, it is still necessary to take precautions. After all, he is ready to assist Zephyr to repel and even kill Weibel. What's more, in order to repay Zephyr for teaching him, even if he didn't meet Weibel in this expedition, Luo Wei is ready to stay in the elite training camp for another half a year. Only after Ain and the others graduate, will Luo Wei leave Marine with peace of mind and go on his own path. Report. Documents have been sent from the base of the 79 branch. Pirates have been found in the sea area. They are suspected to be the Bloody Hand pirates. Advertisement. When the recruits distributed various positions to control the sailing of the warship, Zephyr also welcomed a marine soldier who hurriedly knocked on the door in the command room. Notify the recruits to gather and go to the sea area where the base of the 79th Division is located. Zephyr ordered very decisively. The man at the helm immediately changed the course when he heard this, and the commander of the warship, a marine commodore also acted as Zephyr's adjutant, went to the deck immediately after saluting, and blew the assembly whistle. Recruit assembly. The loud shouts caused the recruits in various positions to hurriedly hand over the work in hand to the original soldiers, and then rushed to the wide deck. Even for a large warship configured by Vice Admiral, under the assembled queue of hundreds of recruits, the deck is densely packed with figures. When the queue collection is completed, Zephyr also came to the opposite side of the recruits. I just got the news that the Bloody Hand pirates were found in the waters of the 79 branch base. This is a pirate group with a total bounty of more than 100 million berry, and the leader of the pirate captain even has a bounty of 50 million berry. Now, we are rushing to the past, and we want to try to crusade against the Bloody Hand pirates. Tell me, are you afraid? Zephyr said loudly with a solemn face. All the recruits answered Zephyr's words with the loudest voice while their hearts were vibrating. Zephyr showed satisfaction. Although it was just a formality, he was very pleased with the performance of the recruits. Chapter 70 Bloody Pirates 10th. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The sea area where the base of the 79 branch is located is not very far from the location where the practice ship sails, and with the penultimate sailing speed of the large warship, it took only half a day to arrive. During this period, the liaison officer on the warship also contacted the people at the 79 branch base many times to obtain the latest trends and specific directions of the bloody pirates. Report. This is the watchtower. 3 ships were spotted at 10 o'clock. The distance is about 3 nautical miles. The loudspeaker telephone bug placed on the thick mast rang the voices of the soldiers on the watchtower, causing everyone on the warship to stare at the distant sea in the direction mentioned. Even without a telescope, at a distance of about 3 nautical miles, you can barely see the small boats on the distant sea with the naked eye. Full speed ahead, catch up with them. Marine Commodore shouted loudly, and the soldiers at the helm immediately controlled the warship to sail towards 10 o'clock at full speed. As they approached, the soldiers on the observation deck gradually saw the specific appearance of the 3 ships through the telescope, and found the extremely ostentatious skull pattern on the sails. There is no doubt that these 3 ships are pirate ships, and when the soldiers at the watchtower reported the situation through the loudspeaker bug, the recruits as combat troops became extremely awe-inspiring. Keep moving forward. Once you enter the shelling range, immediately fire the cannon and force the pirate ship on the opposite side to stop. Marine Commodore quickly gave instructions, and also issued an order to the recruits to prepare for battle. Advertisement. Normally, even if the enemy has 3 pirate ships, with the firepower configuration of a large warship, it is enough to sink the pirate ships with powerful firepower. However, this trip to sea is to sharpen the actual combat of the recruits, and the attack method adopted is naturally mainly based on boarding battles. On the other side, the 3 pirate ships apparently also spotted the warship in the distance. Although there are some vicious people who will take the initiative to attack after discovering Marine, more pirates will undoubtedly choose to flee. This group of pirates belonged to the latter, so after discovering the warship, they hurriedly changed direction and sailed at full speed in the other direction. It's just that the configuration of the 3 pirate ships is far behind that of Marine's large warships. After chasing and fleeing, the 2 not only did not distance themselves, but became closer and closer. And when the 3 warships entered the artillery range of the large warship, the sound of huge artillery fire immediately echoed in this sea area. Boom boom boom. More than 20 heavy-duty cannons were fired at once. Amidst the scorching flames, the shells flew out fiercely, breaking through the air, rising obliquely to high altitude, and then turning into a parabola, falling towards the 3 pirate ships in the distance. After all, it is a professionally trained army, and the position of the artillery shells is very accurate. Dense shells passed over the 3 pirate ships one after another, and then fell on the sea ahead, and in the violent explosion, the blasted water jets instantly blocked the progress of the pirate ships. At the same time, although the ship was not damaged, the tumbling waves caused by the explosion kept impacting on the pirate ship, causing the pirate ship to shake violently, causing panic among the people on it. Damn it! Turn the rudder fast, don't stop. Advertisement. Damn it! These Marines are determined not to let us leave, we might as well fight them. Counterattack. Marine is chasing us, pushing our cannons out. The ship shook, and unfortunately some pirates were thrown off the deck and landed on Poseidon. At the same time, the rest of the pirates were terrified and furious, either urging to escape in panic, or pulling out their weapons angrily, wanting to hunt and kill Marine. The pirate who controlled the rudder hurriedly turned the rudder, trying to change the line of defense, but as soon as the bow of the ship changed direction, the shells fired by the distant warship would block the sea ahead again. After a few struggles, some pirates became vicious, and simply pushed out the cannon on the ship, pointed the muzzle at the quasi-warship, and ignited the cannon. Intense roaring sounds also sounded from the 3 pirate ships, and the shells flew out rapidly, and after crossing the sky, they fell towards the sea around the warship. The pirates are naturally inferior to the professional gunners in the Marine. Of the more than a dozen shells that counterattacked, it would be good if one of them landed on the warship. Almost all of them landed on the sea around the training ship. Of course, under the continuous counterattack, a few shells were fortunate enough to fall towards the warship, and for this, the helmsman in control of the warship would naturally not be indifferent, and reacted very quickly to control the warship to dodge. Seeing that the pirate ship in the distance launched a counterattack, Marine Commodore, the commander of the warship, naturally turned cold. Continue to fire, aiming at the bow and stern of the pirate ship to attack. Even if it is to sharpen the recruits and mainly adopt side-to-side battles, it does not mean that the pirates will be allowed to fight back. Marine Commodore obviously intends to use powerful firepower to suppress and destroy the resistance of the pirates. Advertisement. Under the order, the excellent gunners on the warship also implemented it well, changing the target of the bombardment, and the dense shells rushed out, directly falling on the front and rear areas of the 3 pirate ships. Boom boom boom. In the violent explosion, the heads and tails of the three pirate ships were bombed to varying degrees, the hulls swayed wildly, and even serious water leakage occurred. Under the suppression of the fierce artillery fire, the pirates could not even stand firm, and naturally they could no longer counterattack with cannons. The training ship and warship also took this opportunity to narrow the distance between the two sides by a large margin again. Little ones, get ready to fight, kill all these damn marines, whoever kills a marine, I will blow him away. On one of the pirate ships, a ferocious pirate wearing a captain's cap pulled out a short flintlock gun at his waist, and while shooting towards the sky, he roared angrily. This pirate is the captain of the Bloody Hand Pirates. He is an extremely cruel murderer who likes to tear enemies apart with his hands. It is also because of the cruel way of killing that Zhao Li's will stain his hands blood red every time, so he will be called a Bloody Hand. Did you hear that? The captain has spoken. You can get 10,000 berry if you kill a marine. Brothers, we must kill marines later. Damn marine, they actually blew up our ship like this. After killing them in a while, they simply robbed their ship and used it as our new pirate ship. Ha ha ha. This proposal is good. Use Marine's warship as a pirate ship. Our bloody pirates will definitely become famous in the sea. The pirates responded to the captain one after another. Even under the bombardment, they looked very embarrassed, but they were still extremely vicious and arrogant. Completed. The 10th update on the first day on the shelf. I have nothing to save, basically uploading while coding. I will try to keep it above 4 updates in future updates. I hope all lovely book friends will continue to support. 18%. Chapter 71 Starlight Extinction. Please subscribe automatically. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The pirates had already sat down and prepared for the boarding battle, and even gave up the artillery counterattack. At this time, the training ship warship also narrowed the distance between the two sides to within 100 meters. On the warship, the recruits who are combat troops are all ready to go, swords and guns tightly held in their hands, and they will rush into the other side's pirate ship as soon as the two sides meet the board. Zephyr came to the bow deck, staring calmly at the approaching pirate ship. The expedition of the training ship is a test for the recruits. Although casualties are not allowed, the casualty rate must be controlled within an acceptable range. In the upcoming first battle of the training ship expedition, Zephyr will of course sit on the battlefield in person to prevent the casualties of the recruits from exceeding the upper limit. Swish. Suddenly, after the training ship and the three pirate ships got closer to less than 100 meters, on the wide deck, among the recruits, a figure suddenly rushed up, standing in midair with both feet. The thumbs and index fingers of both hands touch, and then the palms are half pushed forward, and a regular triangle space includes all the three pirate ships on the opposite side. Flow of thoughts. Starlight Extinction. The figure stepping into the air is Luo Wei, with a cold expression on his face, his eyes locked on the opposite pirate ship Queen 190 through the space between his palms with ice-cold eyes. Uzumaki seems to appear in the space of twisting nether. Advertisement. Boom. In just an instant, the distorted Uzumaki erupted with a terrifying aura. During the violent turmoil of the air waves, countless golden light spots formed by the power of thoughts rushed out violently in the form of gradual diffusion. At this moment, a bright golden river seemed to appear on the sea, and it moved towards the three pirate ships in the distance at an astonishing speed. Boom boom boom. Underneath the beautiful scene is terrifying destruction. The golden light spots that make up the Golden River are astonishingly powerful as shells. When they hit the pirate ship in the blink of an eye, they immediately caused continuous waves like a violent storm. Explode. Under the high-frequency explosion, the deafening roar resounded almost throughout the entire sea area, and the huge air waves continued to pass around, with a radiation range of more than several hundred meters. Everyone on the training ship and warship was stunned by the sudden AJCF situation, and when it lasted for several seconds and the explosion dissipated in the distance, almost everyone was even more shocked. The air that was disturbed by the shocking explosion gradually returned to normal, but the three pirate ships that originally existed in the center of the explosion have disappeared, replaced by a huge sunken current Uzumaki. Disappeared. What the hell is going on? What happened to the explosion just now? Advertisement. Luo Wei. This is his attack. On the training ship warship, after a short period of silence, bursts of exclamations erupted. Both soldiers and recruits stared wide-eyed, looking at the huge Uzumaki in the distance with disbelief. At the same time, some people noticed Luo Wei floating above the deck. After recalling the direction in which the Golden River appeared just now, these people looked at Luo Wei with horror and shock. What kind of ability is this, and its power is so terrifying? Is he really a recruit? At the bow, Marine Commodore also had a shocked expression on his face. He first looked at Uzumaki on the opposite side, and then immediately stared closely at Luo Wei standing in midair, feeling very surprised in his heart. Paramecia Nianian fruit. Has Luo Wei developed this devil fruit to such a high level, and does this attack method belong to the same type as Pelusolino's 8-foot Chonguyu? Zephyr also looked at Luo Wei in surprise. He obviously did not expect Luo Wei to make a sudden attack, and he also showed a very high level of devil fruit power. As for Luo Wei's devil fruit ability, he naturally already knew it clearly, but he never thought that Luo Wei's development of Nian Nian fruit would be so profound. At the same time, apart from being amazed, he was also a little puzzled. Luo Wei's Starlight Extinction is very similar to Kizaru's Bakichonguyu, both of which are group attacks that condense a large amount of energy bombs. Destroyed 3 pirate ships with one blow, and killed all the pirates on board. In midair, Luo Wei slowly lowered his hands, and landed back on the deck calmly. Advertisement. He has never been slack in the development of Nianian Fruit's moves. Starlight Extinction is his latest developed move, and it is also a group attack aimed at a large number of enemies. Zephyr's doubts are not unreasonable, because when Luo Wei developed Starlight Extinction, he did refer to Kizaru's Bakichonguyu in part. Physical fitness is still a bit weak. After landing, Luo Wei ignored the strange gazes from around, but frowned slightly and thought to himself. After this period of practice, his physical fitness has grown considerably again, and he has successfully broken through 705 points. However, under the Starlight Extinction that performed group attacks, the consumption of physical strength is equal. Even with the current physical fitness, Luo Wei still feels a little tired. Of course, compared to the destructive power, the consumption of some physical strength is still very worthwhile. After passing the blow just now, he is very satisfied with the power of Starlight Extinction. In the command room of the warship, Marine Commodore on the side looked at Luo Wei with strange eyes, both amazed and sad. It is actually normal to have such complex emotions. After all, with the power of Starlight Extermination, this Marine Commodore also felt the destructive power enough to threaten his own life. For the fact that the strength of a recruit is likely to be stronger than his Commodore, Marine Commodore will naturally feel suspicious of life. Ahem. Luo Wei, your performance this time is very good, but I know that your strength is much higher than other recruits, but you have to understand that the training ship is a training for all recruits. You can't patronize yourself, so, in the next battle, I hope you can restrain yourself and try to give others a chance to perform. Looking at the calm and indifferent Luo Wei standing opposite, Zephyr was satisfied and did not forget to remind and persuade. Chapter 72. The Emperor's New Clothes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Luo Wei eliminated the Bloody Hand pirates by himself, which naturally made the other recruits no chance to take action, and also made the meaning of the training ship's expedition lost. Although Zephyr is very satisfied with Luo Wei's amazing performance, he will not ignore the training of other recruits because of this, so now he brings Luo Wei alone to explain the situation. Luo Wei also knows that it is impossible for him to monopolize all the battles. Even though he is very eager for evil points, he will not make it difficult for Zephyr. I understand. I will pay attention to it next time, Mr. Zephyr, don't worry. He nodded and said. Zephyr said with relief. It's good that you understand, and you can rest assured that I won't really restrain you in the next battle, as long as you don't use the previous group attacks, normal battles, you can still get your hands dirty. Luo Wei naturally understood. Immediately afterwards, Zephyr murmured again. Luo Wei, our marine crusade against pirates is mainly about arresting them. Although it is okay to kill them under the resistance of pirates, if they can be captured alive, it is better to capture them alive. Even after experiencing tragic family deaths, Zephyr, who is known as, don't kill, obviously has not changed his philosophy. Of course, he didn't make a mandatory requirement, he just expressed his own opinion according to his own ideas. Well, I'll try my best. Luo Wei said noncommittally. Advertisement. He will not directly refute the opponent's ideas, but he will not really follow them. Whether it is because of the evil value or his own ideas, he always treats the enemy with all his might. After experiencing the Bloody Hands pirates, Luo Wei seems to have become a star on the warship. No matter where he goes, he will receive strong attention from soldiers and recruits. Even the Marine Commodore was shocked by the superpower of Starlight Annihilation, and the soldiers and recruits were naturally even more so. Especially the recruits, even if they had the experience of winning the first place in the recruit competition, they were deeply shocked by the amazing combat power shown by Luo Wei. Among them, Ain and Bins, who had a little more contact with Luo Wei, were even more so. They no longer have the idea of competing with Luo Wei at all, and every time the terrifying destruction under the beauty of Starlight Extinction comes to their minds, they can't help but feel powerless. Half a month passed without knowing it. During this period, the training ship experienced 5 or 6 battles with pirates after the Bloody Hand pirates. After being reminded by Zephyr, Luo Wei naturally restrained himself a lot, and did not use Starlight Extinction anymore. He just engaged in a regular boarding battle with the pirates he encountered like other recruits. Of course, even in regular battles, Luo Wei is still not the most dazzling performer among all recruits. Every time he takes a shot, not only will he first target the captain of the pirate group he meets, but also, in every battle, the number of pirates killed is even more than the sum of other recruits. This is the status quo where there is an absolute gap in strength. Compared with the speed of other recruits to wipe out pirates, Luo Wei can easily surpass it by himself. Moreover, even the pirates whose bounty reaches tens of millions of berry, when facing Luo Wei, they will be instantly killed with one move. Advertisement. After learning the two-color hockey and reaching the 5th level, his combat power has steadily entered the upper level of powerful combat power. Comparing the bounties offered by pirates, Luo Wei's strength is comparable to those big pirates with bounties exceeding 300 million berry, not counting those who offer inflated bounties. Dealing with pirates whose bounty has not even reached 100 million, he naturally has no pressure, and even feels bored. But this boredom only refers to the battle. Luo Wei is still very motivated when it comes to killing pirates. There is no way. Whoever makes most of the pirates are sin-ridden thugs, burning, killing, looting, doing all kinds of evil. Beheading these people will naturally generate a lot of crime points. In another new battle, he successfully wiped out a group of pirates that had been hunted down. Luo Wei returned to his room directly after the battle was cleaned up. 0. Seeking flowers. Even recruits are treated differently under the proof of strength. After Luo Wei was in the Bloody Hand Pirates, he got an independent room, unlike other recruits who needed several people to share a room. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket kendo. 6th level 021,870ths close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket armament hockey. Tier 5 07,290ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket observation hockey. Tier 5 07,290ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 14,532 close black lens bracket. After entering the room, Luo Wei opened the chair and sat down, looking at the golden template while recovering his strength. Point 0. In addition to the complete annihilation of the Bloody Hands pirates, after several waves of battles with the pirates, the crime value has been very gratifying, reaching the current 14,532 crime points. The pursuit of freedom and adventure is really just the Emperor's new clothes that pirates give me. In the past half a month, every time I kill a pirate, I can get at least 10 crime points, like those pirates who offer a reward of tens of millions of berry. The captains have reached 200 or 300 crime points one by one. Luo Wei thought to himself. It's also a monstrous killing. Although he feels that he is not a good person, he really has no burden on killing pirates. Without thinking too much about pirates, Luo Wei quickly focused on the golden template. The evil value is close to 15,000 points. Although Nianian fruit and sword Dao are not enough to upgrade, hockey is enough, and even only a few dozen points are enough to upgrade the 2 hockey pairs by 1 level. Then let's start by raising armament hockey. At the current speed of obtaining evil points, it is easy to get dozens of evil points, so after thinking about it, Luo Wei decided to upgrade one of the hockey first. As for why armament hockey is chosen first, the reason is very simple, because armament hockey is the most effective force against devil fruit. Chapter 73 Weibel and Bajan. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. There are countless strange fruit abilities in this world. Just like the ghost fruit, if hockey is not strong enough, even if it is extremely powerful in other aspects, once it is hit, it will be affected by the fruit's ability and fall into a dangerous negative state. Although the 5th level armament hockey is already very strong, but if you are not afraid of 10,000, you are afraid of the eventuality. Luo Wei can be said to attach great importance to armament hockey. Open black lens bracket character. Luo Wei close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket age. 15 close black lens bracket. Nianian fruit. 6th level 021,870ths. Open black lens bracket kendo. 6th level 021,870ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket armament hockey. Tier 5 07,290ths. Tier 6 021,870ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. 880. Observation hockey. 5th order 07,290ths close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evil value. 1,453,247,241 close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Consuming 7,291 evil points, armament hockey was quickly promoted to tier 6. Armed coiled. With a slight movement of his thoughts, Luo Wei's raised arms were instantly entwined with the jet black armament hockey, and the black luster that appeared revealed an indestructible feeling. After being promoted to the 6th level, the strength of armament hockey has undoubtedly been greatly increased. Even though it is still in the low-level application of entanglement, the increased offensive and defensive power is already amazing. Luffy combined rubber fruit and armament hockey to develop the 4th gear. If I combine Nian fruit with hockey, it will definitely help the growth of strength. Speaking of which, whether it is the entanglement of mind or the domain of mind, I used hockey as a reference when I first developed it. The effects of the two can be said to be very similar. I don't know what effect will be produced after the fusion of each other. Luo Wei's eyes flickered, and various thoughts came into his mind. On the undulating sea, a 3-masted ship was sailing forward. The skull patterns painted on the sails all prove that this ship is a pirate ship, and many pirates can be seen running around nervously on the deck. Hurry up! Hurry up and send these food in. If we are slow, we will be finished. No way, boss, our food reserves are almost exhausted. If we continue like this, even if we don't get killed by that monster, we will starve to death. Damn, there is no other way now. We can only satisfy the other party first, otherwise, we will be killed directly. Advertisement. In the busy scene, some pirates talked in a low voice, and when they looked at the bow of the ship, their eyes were full of fear. The running pirates were impressively carrying plates full of various foods, and these foods were used to serve the two people sitting at the bow, one big and one small, to enjoy. Even sitting on the deck, the big figure is 3 to 4 meters high. Its body is not so much strong as it is plump, and its legs are very thin and short compared to its upper body. As for the small figure, it was a small and old woman with blonde hair and very flamboyant clothes, as if she wanted to be covered with jewels. The bone and leg meat, which was as big as half a person, was swallowed in one bite, and the fat and huge figure said in a low voice, "Mom, why don't you eat? Isn't the food here delicious?" "Shut up. I'm not in the mood to eat right now. You know that group of pirates robbed all the treasures of a great nobleman. If it wasn't for these wastes being lost, I would have at least got more than 1 billion berry treasure." The little old woman didn't sit on the deck, but sat on the exquisite sofa brought by the pirates, screaming with heartache and anger. If Luo Wei was here, he would definitely be able to recognize the identities of the two, one big and one small, because they were Weibel and Ba Jin. Weibel was at a loss when he heard Ba Jin's words. After all, strength is not equal to IQ. For him, as long as there is enough food to feed himself, then it is enough. As for treasure, can it be eaten? After screaming like venting, Ba Jin grabbed the barrel-shaped wine glass panting, and drank the wine inside in one gulp. "What are you looking at? Why don't you control the ship for me?" Noticing that the pirates on the deck were all looking at him cautiously, Ba Jin showed a vitriolic expression, and angrily rebuked in a disgusted tone. If it wasn't for the need for these people to control the pirate ship for her and the loss of a large amount of treasure, she would have asked Weibel to kill all the pirates to vent her anger. Advertisement. The pirates all showed panic and hurried back to their posts, not daring to look at Ba Jin again. Of course, it is not so much that they are afraid of Ba Jin, it is not that they are afraid of Weibel. When he snatched the pirate ship back then, Weibel crushed the resisting pirate with his hands at will. Horrific and bloody killing methods, as well as a terrifying body that can't even cause the slightest damage to shells, Weibel left an indelible psychological shadow on the pirates on the ship with absolute power, and it also made them unable to resist at all. In this way, the treasure was left behind, and the pirate ship could only follow the record pointer and move towards the pointed island. Point 4.1. When the training ship is on the expedition, each marine branch base near the route area will provide information on the pirates found. With such convenience, it is easy for the training ship to find pirates, and it also allows recruits to hone themselves more by fighting pirates. Kill these marines. You trash at sea, your life is over, surrender now. Stop talking nonsense with these rubbish. If you resist, you will be killed directly. Under the suppression of powerful firepower, when the training ship warship and the pirate ship were on board, a fierce battle broke out. The recruits who had already been ready to go were as brave as tigers, and rushed to the deck of the pirate ship angrily. Chapter 74. Seized stolen goods. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Fighting and blood spattering. Once the battle broke out, it showed the essence of bloody fighting. Pirates or recruits could be seen falling everywhere, and the blood splashed out quickly dyed the deck blood red. Of course, the development trend of the battle situation is almost one-sided for pirates, who are constantly killed by recruits on the spot, or arrested and detained. This is also a normal situation. After all, the recruits of the genius camp are the elite among the elites. Even the junior recruits with a short training time generally have combat power that surpasses that of ordinary pirates. The crusade against the training ship is more like recruits competing with each other, who will destroy or capture more pirates. The sound of gunshots kept ringing, and the sound of swords cutting into flesh and blood was endless. During the battle, a figure shuttled among the pirates at lightning speed, leaving corpses everywhere it passed. With a flick of a finger, a bullet pierces the skull, or with a vertical finger like a sword, lightly swipe 09 times, causing the surrounding pirates to break in half. This figure who kills quickly is exactly Luo Wei. Even if he restrains himself somewhat, he is still unmatched in killing pirates. Perhaps feeling the pressure from Luo Wei, the other recruits who wanted to win more meritorious deeds also worked harder to attack the remaining pirates. Holding two short swords in both hands, she moved around like a female cheetah, with a vigorous and unsightly figure. In also performed very well. In a short period of time, he has already eliminated more than a dozen pirates. After getting the famous sword, her performance in swordsmanship was obviously more exquisite, and the two daggers danced like a net of death intertwined. Advertisement. Of course, among other recruits, there are also some outstanding ones. For example, Bins, while twisting his body like dancing, the lush fruit is activated, and the deck under his feet quickly grows tough vines. Not only can it withstand the attacks of the pirates, but these vines can also be swayed and shaken, and can easily strangle or entangle the surrounding pirates. From the beginning to the end of the boarding battle, this group of pirates with a total bounty of nearly 100 million berry was taken down by the recruits in less than half an hour. After the battle, the recruits returned to the warship, the injured were treated by medical personnel, and the rest rested in place. At the same time, the elite soldiers accompanying the training ship also quickly cleaned the battlefield, either escorting the captured pirates back to the warship, or conducting a careful search of the pirate ship. It's in the cabin of the pirate ship, when Captain Marine led a small team to search the bilge, his eyes widened suddenly, and a surprised expression appeared on his face. Even in the dark, the golden light cannot hide its brilliance, and there are astonishing amounts of treasures piled up in the bilge of the pirate ship. At first glance, the visual impact is astonishing. After reacting, Captain Marine quickly asked his subordinates to take care of the treasure, while he immediately left the bilge and reported the findings here to his superiors. Advertisement. You said that there is a lot of treasure in the bilge of this pirate ship. On the bow of the training ship warship, Zephyr looked in surprise at the Marine Commodore who came to report the situation. Marine Commodore nodded and said, "Yes, Mr. Zephyr, the amount of treasures seized this time is very large, and the initial estimated value has exceeded 1 billion berry. In addition, I also interrogated the remaining pirates. They looted these treasures. What the queen of a nobleman got. It is not unusual for pirates to loot property. At the same time, it is very common for marines to find treasures from pirate ships after destroying pirates. It's just that the amount of stolen goods seized this time is relatively large, so Marine Commodore will report to Zephyr specially. After all, Zephyr was once his teacher even if Zephyr was not counted. The highest officer is still Zephyr. The market value of one devil fruit is only 100 million berry, so the treasure worth more than 1 billion is naturally very heavy." Zephyr pondered for a while and asked, "Do you know the situation of the noble who was ransacked?" Marine Commodore understood Zephyr's consciousness, and immediately explained, "When these pirates ransacked, they burned the nobleman and his family to death, so these treasures should belong to ownerless property." Hearing this, although Zephyr felt gloomy about the pirates' brutal behavior, he still gave instructions and said slowly, "In this case, then return to the headquarters and hand in these stolen goods." Given the nature of the marine, the stolen goods with owners will naturally be returned to the original owners, but if they are unowned, they will be added to the military funds. Advertisement. Even with the backing of the world government, Marine's financial situation, it has always been in deficit. After all, conscription also requires wages. The Marine has a huge number of personnel, and the salary expenditure alone is an astonishing amount. As for arms, logistics, etc., let alone incorporating the seized unclaimed loot into the 257 military funds has already become an important income for Marine to make up for the fiscal deficit. Because of the need to transport treasures, the warship temporarily docked in this sea area. On the deck, Luo Wei, who quickly regained his stamina with the help of the breathing technique, walked to one side of the guardrail. He put one hand on the guardrail and stared at the sea in the distance. More than half of a month has passed, but Wabel has not appeared until now. Could it be that this time the training ship expedition is not the period when the training ship was attacked, incident happened? He was thinking in his heart. Although the appearance of Wabel means that a dangerous battle will be ushered in, if he does not appear this time, it also means that he can only stay in the elite training camp for another half a year. Luo Wei frowned slightly. Although staying for half a year is not really a waste of time, he can continue to exercise his physical fitness, but the resources of the elite training camp are no longer enough to bring him much help. He prefers to leave Marine as soon as possible and start his own training journey of. So it is the most difficult to repay the debt of favor, and you can only stay for half a year, and maybe because of your appearance, it caused a butterfly effect, and Zephyr's fate was changed. Luo Wei thought in a daze. 19%. Chapter 75 Final Encounter. Please subscribe automatically. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Half an hour later, the treasure handling was over, and the training ship set sail again. Several days have passed since the last replenishment, and with the large number of personnel, the supplies are consumed extremely quickly. Naturally, the Marine Commodore ordered to go to a nearby island to prepare for the replenishment of the ship. Half a day later, when the sky came to dusk, the mighty and fortified warship went to the outline of an island, and the town on it could be vaguely seen from a distance. This is. On the watchtower of the warship, the sentries were still very vigilant and used binoculars to detect all directions. Suddenly, the face of the sentry facing the island in front changed slightly. Woo woo woo. The sentry hurriedly pressed the button next to him, causing the siren installed under the watchtower to emit a loud air defense siren. Attention! There is a pirate ship at 12 o'clock, and the other party is approaching the island ahead. In the sound of the siren, the loudspeaker phone bug also sounded the call of the sentinel. Did you find the pirate again? Pirate ship. It's just what I want. I didn't catch a few pirates in the previous few battles. This time I will definitely destroy more pirates. Advertisement. No. The pirates definitely want to go ashore, and they must intercept the pirate ship in front, otherwise innocent people will be killed or killed during the battle. The recruits reacted differently after hearing this, but they all quickly left the others behind and immediately assembled on the deck, ready to fight. Marine Commodore also shouted in a solemn voice at this time. Follow at full speed. You must intercept the pirate ships before they land. The gunners are ready, and immediately fire to intercept them after entering the range. Orders were issued quickly, and the soldiers on the warship were running at high speed, and the sails were stretched to the limit, pushing the sailing to the highest limit. The pirates encountered in the past were all actively pursued by the various branch bases after providing information, but as long as they are pirates, they are naturally the targets of the training ship. Under the sailing speed far exceeding, the training ship warship quickly narrowed the distance to the pirate ship in front, which also allowed the sentry on the observation deck to really see clearly the appearance of the sail and skull on the pirate ship. Each pirate group has its own skull mark. After the sentinel described the pattern and reported it, special personnel on the warship immediately identified which pirate group the pattern belonged to. Jenna Commodore, the identity of the target has been determined. The pirate ship in front is the double gun pirates. This is a group of pirates with a total bounty of about 80 million berry. The captain of the pirate has a bounty of 32 million berry. A captain quickly rushed to Marine Commodore, saluted and reported loudly. Jenner's original solemn expression eased a lot, nodded and said, "Okay, thank you for your hard work," and continued to report other discoveries. Yes. The captain saluted again, and then returned to the command room without stopping. When Captain Marine left, Garner also found Zephyr. Advertisement. Mr. Zephyr, it seems that there is no need to worry. The pirates this time are just a pirate group with a total reward of not even 100 million. With the strength of the recruits, it should be easy to solve. Zephyr nodded slightly, but still said calmly, "No matter what kind of enemy you are facing, underestimating the enemy and being careless are absolutely unacceptable. The amount of the reward does not represent your strength. Jenner, you must keep this in mind." Jenner's smile faded away, and his face became solemn, and said, "Teacher Zephyr taught me that I was negligent, and I will pay more attention later." It is also from the elite training camp, and Garner obviously respects Zephyr from the bottom of his heart. "No, it's Marine, there's Marine behind us." "What? Oh no, it's really Marine, and a warship of this size, could it be some general of Marine?" "Damn, their speed is too fast, we can't get rid of them at our sailing speed, what should we do?" On the pirate ship that was sailing to the island in front, when a pirate accidentally discovered the mighty warship that was approaching rapidly behind, the whole ship was a frying pan. The pirates ran around in a panic like burning their buttocks, some of them screamed again and again, nervousness and shock appeared on their faces. Meet Marine. Ba Jin, who was sitting on the exquisite sofa, frowned, and stood up. The short figure easily raised a few meters high, landed on Weibel's head, and looked behind the pirate ship. This is the large warship equipped with the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral class. Ba Jin's face changed slightly when he saw the warships that were constantly chasing after him. Advertisement. He originally thought that he just encountered an ordinary marine ship, but now he saw that it was not that simple. Damn it, to meet a warship of this size, which headquarters is the opponent from Vice Admiral. With the current pirate ship, it is impossible to get rid of it, so the only thing we can do is to defeat the opponent. Ba Jin immediately thought about it, and at the same time looked down at Weibel, who was still eating meat under his feet and completely ignoring the outside world. His heart suddenly settled down, and the sense of crisis just born disappeared. With Weibel around, no matter which headquarters Vice Admiral is on Marine's side, it's not enough to threaten her. Jumping off Weibel's head and landing on the deck, Ba Jin kicked the opponent's open calf, and said loudly, "Son, there are Marines chasing us, after they get close, you will destroy their ship for me, do you know see?" Weibel stopped eating, swallowed the meat in his mouth, grabbed the big naginata beside him, and stood up. "Leave it to me, Mom, I won't allow anyone, de Nuo Jiao, to hurt you." Weibel showed his evil face, and a big naginata hit the deck, and the terrible force easily shattered a spider web-like crack. Ba Jin looked satisfied. Although this guy was a bit stupid, he was really strong, and he also listened to her. With him around, she would not only be safe and useless, but also gain more treasures. Boom boom boom. When the pirate ship approached the island in front with only a few hundred meters left, the training ship warship chasing at full speed also narrowed the distance between the two sides within the gun range. Amidst the intense and loud roaring sound, the cannonballs shaped like spreading wings blasted out instantly, sweeping towards the sea surface in front of the pirate ship at a fast speed to bombard. Chapter 76 Terrible Collision Part 1. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the uninterrupted explosion, the sea surface was blasted with water columns, which separated the pirate ship from the island like a fence, and at the same time, the huge waves rolled up caused the impacting pirate ship to shake wildly. Some pirates on the deck were thrown out without standing still, while other pirates also hurriedly grabbed nearby fixed objects to stabilize their bodies. On the Grand Line, the double-gun pirates are just inferior pirates. Facing the super firepower of the training ship warships, they can't even counterattack. With the pirates unable to launch a counterattack, in order to allow the recruits to fight the pirates better, Jenner did not conduct real artillery bombardment on the pirate ship. Soon, the training ship sailed at full speed, and quickly approached a place less than 100 meters away from the pirate ship. Sun, take action and destroy their ship. Ba Jin, who had been waiting for this moment for a long time, shouted with a grin. The pirate has never fought back, but she did it on purpose, in order to show weakness and avoid being hit by Marine's artillery and sinking the pirate ship. But now, after getting close enough, Ba Jin naturally showed his fangs, ready to let Weibo directly destroy the warship, so that Marine could not pursue them. Without saying a word, Weibo looked viciously at the warship not far away, swung the big naginata, and a terrifying power emerged, and swung the sword to slash horizontally. 733. Boom. A white light appeared on the shiny blade, and as it was slashed, a huge shock wave in the shape of a slash erupted from the naginata. Advertisement. The terrifying power directly caused violent and massive air waves in the void ahead, and even caused the sea surface to collapse where it passed. The huge slashing shock wave swept towards the training ship warship at an alarming speed, and the faces of Zephyr, Jenner, and Luo Wei also changed. Not good. Zephyr's reaction was the quickest. With a slight change in his face, he transformed into a black shadow and rushed out of the warship with unimaginable explosive power, directly facing the terrifying slash-like impact that swept over him. Bang! The astonishingly strong armament hockey covered the fist, and under the layers of peaks that squeezed the air in front of him, Zephyr slammed into a slash-like impact with a punch that showed no sign of weakness. An astonishing collision erupted instantly, and the deafening roar almost resounded through the entire sea area, and the circular air waves spread crazily to the surroundings, spreading hundreds of meters away. The sea surface was violently impacted, and big waves were set off. The training ship and warship nearby were also shaken violently under the impact of the billowing air waves. Some people who didn't stand still fell directly to the ground. On the deck, the recruits were also shocked. They hurriedly grabbed the fixed objects beside them, or lay down directly on the ground to avoid being thrown out. His eyes were slightly condensed, and with a faint golden light flashing, the invisible thought power turned into an indestructible barrier in front of Luo Wei's body, and the impacting air waves were easily isolated. However, Luo Wei's heart did not relax in the slightest. On the contrary, he revealed a look of surprise. The huge slashing impact was finally lost to Zephyr's fist, and he was blasted abruptly. At the same time, Zephyr also flew obliquely, falling on the deck at the bow of the ship like a meteor. Advertisement. Boom. Both feet landed on the ground, and amazing power was transmitted from Zephyr's body to the warship. The huge battleship was shaken by it, and even the hard deck cracked with dense cracks. What a strong impact. Is it possible that among this group of pirates are some powerful characters from New World? Zephyr felt the numbness on his fist, and there was a dignified expression between his brows, and at the same time, he looked sharply at the pirate ship not far away. Everyone is on alert. Aim at the pirate ship ahead and fire with full force. At this time, Jenner also reacted, and immediately yelled. Even if you don't experience the slashing impact from Weibo, it is enough to see the horror. Also aware of the existence of an extremely powerful presence on the opposite pirate ship, Jenna naturally changed his plan, preparing to gather firepower to destroy the opposite pirate ship. The gunners woke up suddenly in the roar, and followed Jenner's instructions, adjusted the muzzle immediately, and fired all over the sky towards the pirate ship. Whoosh! After the air wave dissipated, Luo Wei flew over the building of the warship's cabin. His eyes sharply locked on the pirate ship not far away, and at the same time the field of thought spread away instantly. With such a body shape and weapon, you can't go wrong. It's really Weibo. The mixed emotions of fear and excitement made Luo Wei's hairs explode, and his face was full of awe. Advertisement. Weibo's obese body and the same big naginata as Whitebeard are very distinct, and it also allows Luo Wei to clearly detect it with the perception of the field of mind. Luo Wei had been waiting for a long time to meet Weibo. Although the encounter was sudden, he still adjusted his state immediately, his body was tense, and he was ready to make a move at any time. On the other side, the scene of the slash-like impact sent by Weibo being scattered by Zephyr naturally fell into Ba Jin's eyes, and this also made her complexion change drastically, and her heart was full of shock and anger. Damn it, the figure who blocked Weibo's attack just now can't be wrong. It's Black Arm. Zephyr. He didn't retire. Why did he appear here? Wait. Could it be said that this warship is Marine's recruit training ship? In the same era, and once a member of the Rock's ship, Ba Jin is naturally no stranger to Zephyr, and therefore, after she recognized Zephyr, she immediately became nervous. It is true that Weibo's strength is amazing, but facing the former Marine Admiral Zephyr, Ba Jin has no confidence at all. It's just that if you don't fight, you have to fight now. If you can't escape, unless Ba Jin is willing to go to the Shenzhen prison for vacation, he can only entrust Weibo to fight against Zephyr. Quick, steer the boat to port. The experienced Ba Jin quickly analyzed the situation, and then almost screamed at the pirates on the boat. Weibo is a capable person, and it doesn't matter when facing the weak, but facing a strong person like Zephyr, once he is knocked into the sea, it will be completely over. Moreover, only after landing, can she have a chance to escape. The pirates naturally didn't hesitate to Ba Jin's order, and hurriedly controlled the pirate ship to sail again, heading towards the island less than a few hundred meters away. At this time, the artillery shells fired by the training ship and warship against the pirate ship were also approaching. 9%. Chapter 77 Zephyr's Wable, Second More. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Block the shells quickly, don't let them destroy the ship. Bajan screamed and kicked Wable's legs like fleas. I know, Mom. Wable was also a little surprised that his attack was blocked, but when he heard what his mother said, he quickly obeyed and swung the naginata, continuously bursting out terrifying shock waves. Boom, boom, boom. The thrown shells were shattered by the shock wave one after another, blooming like fireworks in midair, and the pirate ship also took advantage of the spread of the air waves to increase its speed and approached the island not far away. Damn it, keep firing. On the training ship warship, Jenner saw the pirate ship sailing again and approaching the island. He was shocked and angry, and urged the gunners to continue to attack. But in the face of Wable's continuous horrific impact, all the shells approaching the pirate ship were blocked in the middle, unable to inflict substantial damage on the pirate ship. If I hadn't intercepted the attack just in time, I'm afraid the entire warship would be smashed to pieces in an instant. Anyone who can make such an attack, even if I approach with moonwalk, will probably be blocked in midair. It seems that only let's start a land battle. Zephyr frowned. Although he also wanted to prevent the opponent from landing on the island, after thinking about it, he gave up this plan and planned to settle the battle after landing on the island. Advertisement. Do you want to land? That's fine. Although my mental power can condense the protective cover to isolate the sea water, it is impossible to disperse excess energy when facing a strong enemy like Wable. Land warfare is also beneficial to me. Staring closely at the pirate ship sailing towards the island, Luo Wei's eyes flashed, thinking secretly. Although they haven't fought yet, just the slash-like impact intercepted by Zephyr is enough for him to judge Wable's terrifying strength. Although Luo Wei intends to participate in the battle, he will not make a rash move. He knows that Zephyr will definitely face Wable later, so he needs to wait for the right opportunity to make a move. It's a pirate. Run away. Not good. There are Marines hunting down pirates, and the pirates are coming. Everyone leave quickly. Hurry up. Leave the port quickly. You will be killed by pirates if you stay here. The pursuit and bombardment of the training ship, warship and pirate ship naturally aroused the discovery of the people in the port, especially when they saw the pirate ship approaching them. All the people here panicked and fled. Jenner did not stop the pirate ship from landing in the end, but fortunately, when the pirate ship landed, the people on the port had basically fled, so even if a fierce battle broke out for a while, it would not involve too many people. Son, I will leave these Marines to you, I will come to you later. After hitting the shore almost with a bump, Ba Jin jumped off the pirate ship at a fast speed, and then rushed towards the town. She doesn't have much strength herself, so naturally she won't stay to assist Wable in fighting Zephyr. Advertisement. Moreover, using Wable to delay Zephyr is a very good opportunity to escape, and Ba Jin naturally only cares about whether he can leave safely. Wable didn't know his mother's real intentions, so he didn't think too much about Ba Jin's departure. Instead, after landing, he looked unhappily at the training ship and warship that followed. How dare you keep chasing me and watch Lousy chop you up? While roaring, Wable swung the naginata fiercely from top to bottom, white light reappeared, and a terrifying slash-like shock wave erupted again. The sea surface outside the port was directly torn in half by the terrifying slash, forming a huge chasm-like crack. At the same time, the air waves visible to the naked eye were swept to both sides, causing huge waves to roll around the sea surface. Such a terrifying attack, even if all the gunfire on the training ship and warship is concentrated, it is difficult to resist, so Zephyr, who has already been ready to go, flew out of the warship without hesitation, stepped into the air with moonwalk, and went to meet it. Disappear for me. The majestic power burst out along the fist arm, and above the sea, Zephyr's hands covering armament hockey directly caught the slashing shock wave that split the sea. He stomped on both feet, and moonwalk was brought into full play. Not only did he resist the power of the slashing shock wave, but his eyes showed sharp gazes, and he slammed towards the sides, forcibly match the slashing shock wave with crack and annihilate. 0. Seeking flowers. The figure was not stagnant, and after getting rid of the slashing shock wave, Zephyr's speed increased sharply, skimming the sea like a meteor, and quickly swooped towards Wable on the port. With a cold and stern face, Zephyr swooped down and swung his fist under the momentum of a dive. The black iron fist smashed against Wable's head with mighty power. Advertisement. However, Wable also reacted very quickly. Although he looked demented, he actually had an unimaginable talent in combat. In an instant, he swung the white glowing naginata and slashed at Zephyr's fist. Boom. The astonishing collision caused a deafening sound in an instant, and when the fists and knives met, the majestic impact visible to the naked eye radiated crazily towards the surroundings, and the range exceeded several hundred meters in an instant. Where the violent air waves passed by, the ground shook, and whether it was the cement-paved ground or the houses built on the port, they were all cracked into dense cracks like spider webs. Wable's figure sank, and it was obvious that the ground under his feet could not bear the terrifying pressure and collapsed, forming a huge pit with a depth of more than 2 meters and a diameter of more than 10 meters. Not only that, while the ground was collapsing, Wable also retreated from the bombardment. His legs sunk into the ground, continued to plow out the ditches until he retreated out of the pit area. This guy has a lot of power. Zephyr's eyes narrowed slightly, feeling surprised in his heart. Although he punched the opponent back forcefully, Wei did not really suffer any substantial damage. And when they collided just now, Zephyr also felt the turbulent strange force from the Naginata. If you don't include armament hockey, if you estimate the translation method purely based on physical strength, you will even find that you don't have an advantage. He felt a little awe-inspiring in his heart. Weibel's danger was beyond Zephyr's estimation, which also made him more tolerant of his own negligence. Chapter 78. Hunting Ba Jin. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Zephyr, who was extremely experienced in combat, naturally wouldn't give Weibel a chance to breathe. He rushed out of the pit with almost no pause, and slammed his fists at the opponent. Boom boom boom. The astonishingly strong armament hockey covers both fists, making every attack of Zephyr contain the power to shatter the earth. Weibel hastily swung his Naginata to resist, but most of the shadows of the fist still landed on his fat and huge body, producing bursts of muffled impact sounds. The powerful fist made him retreat uncontrollably, and at the same time, there was blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth. When Zephyr was fighting fiercely with Weibel, on the other side, Luo Wei, who was originally on the top of the cabin, followed Zephyr and flew out 430, on the training ship warship that was rapidly approaching the port. Luo Wei. What is he going to do? On the deck, Jenner and some recruits were the first to discover Luo Wei's movements. They were all surprised when they saw that Luo Wei shot towards the port in a flying posture. Shua. Advertisement. Using his mind to control his body to fly, Luo Wei cut through the sky at a speed close to the speed of sound, and arrived at the sky above the port almost instantly. Down below, Zephyr was fighting Weibel amazingly, and the majestic air waves that continued to stir up even the sky were in the radiating range, making his clothes rattle. However, with Luo Wei's current mental power, the aftermath of the mere turmoil will naturally not have much impact on him. Glancing at the two people fighting fiercely at the port, Luo Wei's eyes quickly fell to the other side. The area in sight is the members of the two-gun pirates. They escaped from Ba Jin, and Weibel and Zephyr fought fiercely, and they also wanted to take this opportunity to escape. Destroy. Seeing the fleeing pirates, Luo Wei's eyes flashed coldness, he let out a light breath, and with a faint golden light flickering from his eyes, the invisible thoughts spread like lightning. The pirates, who were fleeing towards the town, suddenly felt as if the screen was paused, and each of them froze in place, followed by a bomb in their heads, and they all turned their heads in strange postures. Burst open. Bang bang bang. Plasma mixed with filth was scattered all over the ground, and in just one look, the two-gun pirates were wiped out, turning into headless corpses and falling to the ground. According to my perception just now, the short figure next to Weibel is Ba Jin. If nothing else, it's better to get rid of this old woman first. Standing tall in the sky and not being shaken by the howling air waves rolling up from the port, Luo Wei looked cold, and instantly pushed the field of thought to its limit, starting from the port and spreading to the interior of the South Island. Advertisement. With the current level of Nian Nian Fruit and Observation Hockey, in terms of detection, Nianji domain is even stronger than Observation Hockey. With the spread of perception, everything that passes by cannot escape Luo Wei's discovery. Found it. In just 2 or 3 seconds, Luo Wei's eyes flashed, and in an instant, he broke through the sky, like a meteor from the sky, across the port, and shot towards a town not far away. Ba Jin's small reminder is very easy to detect, and she has been sensed by Luo Wei's field of mind before, so if she is searched now, as long as she does not exceed the range of perception, she will naturally be easily found. With a perception range of more than several kilometers, with Ba Jin's ordinary physical fitness, she couldn't run very far in a short period of time. She didn't even really escape at all, but hid after entering the city. In the cellar of a tavern in the town, Ba Jin sat anxiously on the barrel, her expression constantly changing. It's really fighting. Although Zephyr's current age, his strength is definitely not as good as before, but Weibel will definitely not be an opponent. Damn it, he will be so unlucky to meet Marine's training ship. After all, Ba Jin is a member of Cross's ship. Although his strength is average, he has a good observation hockey. After hiding, he immediately sensed the situation on the port with the observation hockey. She was uncertain for a while, gnashed her teeth for a while, and then jumped out of the wine barrel anxiously and walked back and forth in the cellar alone. The reason why she didn't really escape was because she felt that she couldn't escape Marine's capture with her own strength, and on the other hand, she was just taking chances. After Zephyr resigned from the position of admiral, it caused a lot of speculation. Those who know the situation know that he resigned in despair because of the death of his family members, but more people think that because of his age, his strength has seriously deteriorated, so it is no longer enough to hold the post of Marine Admiral. Ba Jin obviously belonged to the latter, so he took a chance, hoping that Zephyr's strength was not as good as before, and Weibel could win. Advertisement. Huh, who is this, flying in the air, and the speed is so fast? Wait, no, the other party is approaching me. Suddenly, Ba Jin, who was perceiving the battle at the port, discovered something else. His face showed surprise at first, but then his face changed drastically. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Unparalleled power appeared from the tavern above the cellar, that is, the meteorite fell. The terrifying impact not only destroyed the tavern instantly, but also shattered the compartment above the cellar. A large amount of rubble was splashed, and the billowing dust filled the air, as if the sky had collapsed and the ground had collapsed. The cellar shook violently, and the long-lost sunlight shone in along the cracked compartment. In the violent concussion, Ba Jin fell to the ground, rolling wildly with the wine barrels in the cellar like a ball, and even hit his head against the wall, causing his head to bleed. Ah. 2.6. It hurts. Ba Jin covered her broken head and looked at the big hole exposed in the ceiling of the cellar in embarrassment. The next second, her heart trembled. The big hole that burst out of the cellar like a god fell slowly. Luo Wei looked at Ba Jin in the corner indifferently. Ba Jin was startled by the way Luo Wei appeared, but even more nervous was the marine uniform on Luo Wei's body. In just a split second, she was scrambling around and rushing to Luo Wei with an excited expression on her face. Young man, you are marine. I am a resident of this town. I just heard someone say that there is a marine invasion, so I hid here in a panic. Can you take me to a safe place? Ba Jin interpreted the performance of an old man who was rescued from danger very well, and even squeezed out a few tears abruptly, feeling excited and sad at the same time. Chapter 79 Strong Body, 4th. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. If it were someone else, it would be possible to be deceived by Ba Jin's superb performance and take him to a safe area as an ordinary resident. But Luo Wei had already recognized the other party. He raised his palm expressionlessly, and gave it a light shake. Forehead. Ba Jin's face froze, his short body was suspended, and his face turned red at the same time, as if someone had choked his throat and was unable to breathe. Gotcha. Don't bother to say a word. Under the power of thought, Ba Jin's head turned a few times, and with the creepy sound of bone shattering from his neck, he finally turned his face down and turned his back. Evil value plus 852. Ba Jin's eyes widened, with a look of reluctance to die. As the vitality in her body disappeared, a message also appeared in Luo Wei's mind. Number 852 points of crime. With the character and strength of the opponent, he will definitely not fight to the death with others, so to have so many crime points, I am afraid that the source of 09 comes from Weibo. Dissipate the power of thought and let the corpse fall to the ground, Luo Wei thought thoughtfully. In hunting again and again, he also has a better understanding of the crime value. For example, if the target of the hunt has killed someone, it must have a crime value. Advertisement. Assuming that the sin of a human life is 1 point of sin, Ba Jin's 852 points of sin is the sin of 852 lives. It wasn't that Luo Wei looked down on Ba Jin, or underestimated the cruelty of the other party. He felt that the 852 evil points might come from Weibo to a large extent. Although Weibo's nature is violent, he obeys Ba Jin's orders. From the understanding of the original book, we can know that Weibo destroyed many towns under Ba Jin's instigation, and caused countless deaths. The identity of the emissary, of course, is impossible to be free from any crimes in the killings he caused. According to Luo Wei's speculation, if Ba Jin instructs Weibo to do evil, he will definitely share part of the crime, and this is why the other party will generate a crime value close to 1000 after he is killed. Of course, this is just a reference for Luo Wei to understand the source of the evil value, so he didn't think deeply about it. After solving Ba Jin's hidden danger, Luo Wei didn't linger, and flew into the air, quickly rushed out of the big hole in the ceiling, and came to the outside world. Now there is only Weibo left, as long as he gets rid of him, then first can leave Marine without burden. The field of mind that has not withdrawn perceives the increasingly fierce battle on the port, Luo Wei murmurs to himself, followed by a sharp look in his eyes, and instantly explodes at an astonishing speed, flying across the town below like a rainbow piercing the sun. Damn old fellow, don't get carried away. Port obviously suffered at least dozens of heavy punches from Zephyr, but Weibo didn't suffer much damage except for some blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth. Amidst the roaring roar, he actually resisted Zephyr's iron fist and slammed, and swung the big naginata vigorously to chop Zephyr's head. Advertisement. Paper arts. The terrifying slash didn't put pressure on Zephyr at all, he moved his body and avoided the falling naginata calmly. Boom. The terrifying slash-like shock wave burst out crazily, directly tearing a huge gap in the port, even spreading to the sea surface, and then continuing to split the sea, extending to a distance. Tempest kick. At this moment, Zephyr's counterattack also came. His right leg turned into a broadsword, and he kicked a huge blazing slashing wave towards Weibo from top to bottom. Boom. As if the huge tempest kick slashing wave tens of meters straight from the ground to the sky violently impacted on Weibo's body, causing him to fly upside down and hit a warehouse nearly 100 meters away. The terrifying impact instantly caused the entire warehouse to collapse into ruins, also burying Weibo underneath. In less than 3 seconds, the ruins scatter into the sky like an explosion, and Weibo, who looks like a demon god, rushed out like a mad beast, slashing at Zephyr with a ferocious face. It can be seen that Weibo, who was hit head-on by Zephyr's tempest kick slashing wave, has a huge bloody gap in his chest, and blood is constantly flowing from it. However, judging from Weibel's brave performance, this degree of injury does not seem to have caused him much damage. Advertisement. How is it possible? How can his body be so strong? That is the Tempest Kick kicked out by Teacher Zephyr. At this time, the training ship and warship had also sailed into the port, and Jenner had just led everyone to land, and before he had time to give an order, he was shocked by Weibel's performance. Although Zephyr is known as, "Don't kill," it doesn't mean that he will show mercy to the pirates. That is to say, the Tempest Kick that Zephyr kicked with all his strength just now couldn't hit Weibel hard. Even though Zephyr has come down from his peak as he ages, Gerner still feels unbelievable about Weibel's strong body. As this Weibel's strength, 650 is indeed terrifyingly strong, but the stronger one is Zephyr. His current strength should have come down from his peak period, but even so, does he still have the combat power to suppress Weibel? The figure flew through the air and landed on a building full of cracks in the port. Luo Wei glanced back and forth between Zephyr and Weibel, and was startled by their strength. Even though he hasn't participated in the battle yet, whether it's Weibel or Zephyr, he feels tremendous pressure. Under the battle, the aura emitted by the two almost formed a substantial terrifying aura, enough to suffocate ordinary people to death. Under awe-inspiring observation, Luo Wei also noticed Weibel's abnormality, and his brows could not help but frown. Although a strong body does not represent strength, it undoubtedly shows the ability to survive. For Luo Wei who wants to kill Weibel, it is more difficult to choose a stronger opponent than the opponent. Quick! The 1st to 5th teams will block the port, and the 6th and 7th teams will go to the town and disperse the residents of the town to a safe place. After all, Jenner is the commodore of the headquarters, and he quickly recovered from the shock, and then quickly issued orders to the recruits and soldiers. 20%. Chapter 80 Advanced Weaponry, 5th Update. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Perhaps because of Weibel's strong performance, even with Zephyr's shot, Ner still couldn't feel at ease. Not only did he have people block the port, but he also added a line at the end to prepare for the evacuation of the residents in the town. While Jenner was busy commanding, the battle between Zephyr and Weibel continued in the center of the port. Boom. The big naginata that Weibel slashed out was shaken away by Zephyr's unyielding punch, followed by fists and feet, which crazily fell on the opponent's body at the frequency of forming afterimages. Weibel was constantly backed up by the bombardment, while gnashing his teeth ferociously, while constantly roaring or resisting, or counter-attacking. There were deafening roars, and the howling and violent air waves radiated in all directions one after another like good waves. The huge movement caused the entire port to tremble, and the sea surface on the coast also churned violently under the impact of the not-too-distant aftermath. Advertisement. Facts proved that Garner's decision to disperse the townspeople was correct. Under Weibel's super strong body, Zephyr, who has the obvious upper hand, is also difficult to take down for a while. Under such a situation, the battle between the two became more and more terrifying, and the aftermath caused gradually spread into the town, causing the Emperor's houses and streets to collapse one after another. Breaking through Weibel's defense again and again, and throwing heavy punches and kicks on the opponent, Zephyr fully lived up to the invincible power of the former Marine Admiral, a world-class combat power. Every attack he made was extremely powerful, as if a mountain could collapse. However, Weibel also showed an unparalleled defense. No matter how many attacks his body endured from Zephyr, at most he would cough up some blood, and then he would fight back with incomparable bravery. Boom. In addition to possessing the unknown Devil Fruit ability, Weibel also possesses the very powerful Haki. Especially Armament Haki, although the application level is only an intermediate level of hardening, the strength of Armament Haki is very high. Under the high-strength Armament Haki boost, Weibel's counterattack can be said to be equally powerful. Whether it is a knife slash or a punch, it will roll up a burst of air waves and shatter the surrounding ground. Die de lousy. Advertisement. Resisting the next extremely heavy iron fist in the abdomen, Weibel, who was full of blood, snarled ferociously, swung his big naginata, and slashed violently at the opposite Zephyr again with a violent attitude. Covered with unknown abilities and Armament Haki's big naginata burst out with terrifying power. Just the pressure on the air, Kang's squeeze produced a hurricane-like impact. Monster-like body, impressive Haki, and the ability to generate shock waves. If I hadn't met him, except for a few people like Kuzan in Marine, the rest of the people, even a few vice admirals, would have met this guy the first. I'm afraid that there will be accidents. Such a dangerous existence must not be allowed to escape. Seeing Weibel, who would quickly counterattack no matter how many times he was knocked back, thoughts flashed through Zephyr's mind. At the same time, his eyes became sharper, and his pitch-black fist burst out with more power than before. Here comes the naginata. Bang! A strange scene appeared. When the big naginata and the fist were still about a foot apart, there was a sudden and terrifying collision. Amidst the huge roar and turbulent air waves, Weibel was shocked far more than before. The big naginata was raised high, and he almost flew away, and his whole body rolled out towards the rear like a somersault. Tens of meters away. It's Luo Wei, who was closely watching the battle, immediately brightened his eyes when he saw this scene. After the Armament Haki has been cultivated to an advanced level, it will have the ability to attack from a distance. The principle is to flow the solid armament Haki, and then generate an explosive aura after being concentrated. Through Zephyr's Haki practice method, he has learned about Luo Wei, who uses armament Haki at various levels. At this time, he naturally recognized that Zephyr's punch that blasted Weibo used the advanced application of armament Haki, which is outward release. Advertisement. As this the outward release of the advanced application. The power of this punch is obviously stronger than the previous attack, that is to say, armament Haki's outside release, will the power not decrease but increase. Compared with cold words, witnessing with your own eyes is undoubtedly more real and intuitive. If it is said that Luo Wei's external release of armament Haki was just a concept, then now, after witnessing Zephyr's advanced use of armament Haki, he really has a clear understanding of the level of external release, cognition and comprehension. Armament Haki's power is not reduced but increased. This all shows that the application of this level, in addition to the effect of in-body attack, can also exert the strength of armament Haki to 100% plus power. My current application of armament Haki is very close to the hardening of the intermediate level. Watching this battle will undoubtedly be of great help to me in the application and cultivation of armament Haki. Luo Wei cheered up, and even more in order to carefully observe Zephyr's every move. Although Zephyr's strength has come down from its peak, it has obviously not fallen out of Nuo Li's world-class combat power level, and watching a world-class combat power in battle is definitely a visual and spiritual feast. Just witnessing the advanced application of Wu's Haki with his own eyes, Wang armament Haki has gained a lot of understanding. Of course, being able to observe with such peace of mind is also because Zephyr clearly has the upper hand in the current battle situation. Even though Weibo is physically strong, given his current situation, he is almost powerless against Zephyr. No accident happened, and the ending seems to have been determined. Although I don't know if my appearance caused the butterfly effect, but at least for now, I don't need to make a move for the time being. I just take this opportunity to observe it. Luo Wei thought with twinkling eyes.